This chapter is dedicated to welcoming our very first member on Patreon. Please give a warm welcome to H6 Gamer 1 Thighs. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you enjoy the ride. Chapter 1, Elves on the Battlefield. Ding. Yuta blocked the oncoming katana with his kunai. In a flash, he ducked low and curled into the arms of the towering enemy, who had left his guard wide open. With a flick of his wrist, Yuta's kunai arced upward, slicing the man's throat. The bandit's eyes widened in shock, but Yuta was already gone, his body blurred into motion, and the kunai buried itself in the back of another enemy locked in combat with Akeno. Phew. Saved. Akeno stared at the enemy who had been overpowering him moments ago, now lifeless on the ground. Luck had spared him. A second later, and he would have been the one cut down. His body sagged, the adrenaline fading. The red-haired Genin collapsed, sweat-drenched spikes of hair clinging to his forehead protector. After a few labored breaths, he turned his head toward a short-haired blonde girl nearby. Kiko. Bandage me up, I'm hit. Oh. Sorry, I spaced out. Kiko jolted at his voice, then hurried over, hands already pulling gauze from her medic pouch. Kiko was a civilian-trained medical ninja. Beyond the academy's basic 3 jutsu, her skills were limited, no mystical palm or proper field training. She could patch wounds, but little else. Her gentle nature made her a liability in fights, leaving her nearly useless to the team. As she finished trapping Akeno's injury, her gaze drifted to Yuta. His figure flickered across the battlefield like a specter. Every flash meant another enemy fallen. To Kiko, it looked less like combat and more like a dance, a deadly waltz where Yuta led, and death followed. Will Yuta-kun be okay? Even as the last bandits dropped, her voice trembled with worry. Relax. Yuta's fine, Akeno grunted. But where the hell Suzuki-sensei? Probably hiding while we do his job. Akeno wasn't concerned. A year as teammates had taught him Yuta's strength. Bandits stood no chance. His irritation was reserved for their missing Jonin instructor. The final enemy crumpled. Yuta scanned the clearing, kunai poised, then relaxed. No threats remained. He wiped the blade clean and strode toward his teammates. Silver hair. Gray fatigues. A calm face that softened into a reassuring smile. Not a drop of blood on him. Akeno and Kiko gaped. So strong. Yuta tilted his head. Mission's over. Time to regroup with Suzuki-sensei. He hauled Akeno up with one arm and nodded to Kiko. Move out. In a single motion, he leapt into the trees, Akeno in tow. Oh. Kiko blinked, then scurried after them, cheeks pink. Yuta-kun is so kind. At the rendezvous point, Suzuki lounged on a branch, straw between his teeth, legs swinging. His Jonin vest was pristine, but Yuta's sharp eyes caught the blood on his wrist and the fresh cuts on his sandals. So, he had his own fight. Yuta said nothing. Some questions weren't meant to be asked. Suzuki-sensei. Akeno bellowed. We're getting slaughtered, and you're napping? Look at me. He jabbed at his bandaged side. Kiko puffed her cheeks in silent accusation. Ahaha. Well, Suzuki scratched his head, then leapt down. Mission's done, right? Good work. Yuta smirked. Suzuki deflected, tossing a grin. Come on, kids. Hand in the report, and I'll treat you to BBQ. BBQ. Akeno's rage vanished. Then hurry up. Places close early. He tore off toward the village road, injuries forgotten. Yuta watched Akeno's carefree sprint toward the village, a pang of envy striking him. That kind of freedom must make life easier. But for someone like him, bound by shadows, such lightness was only a wistful thought. He and Suzuki followed at a slower pace, trailing Kiko's nervous chirps and Akeno's booming laughter. The sound tugged Yuta's lips into an unguarded smile. Suzuki's straw twitched between his teeth. Huh? Even you have happy moments? The smile vanished. Yuta defaulted to his usual squinting grin. TCH. Drop the act. Suzuki scowled. You look like a fox caught in a lantern's light. Yuta kept his tone mild. My classmates call this expression gentle. Because they're naive. Adults see right through it. Hell, even the Sandame refused to take you as a student over that damn smile. His imitation of Ikiraku's warmth had backfired, earning him wariness instead of trust. Only the inexperienced found it comforting. But he wouldn't change it now. To do so would admit the lie. As they walked, Yuta cut to the heart of it. Why hide the truth from Akeno and Kiko? That you fought your own battle back there? They'll resent you for abandoning them. Suzuki halted. What truth? Your wrist. Your sandals. Yuta's gaze sharpened. The enemy was strong enough to leave marks on a Jonin. Yet you let them think you napped. Annoying brat. Suzuki shrugged, neither confirming nor denying. Yuta's voice softened. Masks are necessary. Lies, illusions, reality gets people killed. Suzuki stayed silent until they reached Hidden Leaf Village's gates. At the checkpoint, he muttered, "Maybe so." After Suzuki left to report to the Hokage, Yuta's team headed for the barbecue shop. They barely reached the door when a voice shouted, "Yo! Yuta! Back from a mission already?" Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Orochimaru skidded to a stop behind them, panting. Hueco blinked. "You don't have to run for dinner." Jiraiya and Tsunade flushed. Orochimaru hung back, frantically signaling Yuta with his eyes. Okano barreled ahead. "We killed people this time. Real out-of-village mission." Tsunade's envy flared. "Stupid Sandame won't let us go yet. It's his fault we're stuck here." "Sandame, elsewhere, I took blame before Danzō made it fashionable." They tumbled into the restaurant. Orochimaru lingered, earning a questioning look from the host. He offered a strained smile. No one discussed payment. Meat hit the grill. Chopsticks flew. Chapter 2, then used Tsunade to offset the debt. Hokage's office. The newly appointed Sandame Hokage removed his hat, massaging his temples as Suzuki delivered the mission report. He took a long drag from his pipe, the smoke curling around his weary face. "I didn't expect Hidden Stone's village to make moves so soon after the first Shinobi War," he muttered. "To think they'd already infiltrate our borders." He exhaled sharply. "This mission will be upgraded to A rank. Eliminating Hidden Stone's village's covert forces, and encountering their Jonin, warrants it." A pause. The pipe glowed ember red as Sandame inhaled again. "How is Yuta performing?" Suzuki straightened. "Observant. Decisive. Strong enough for Chunin promotion." Sandame sighed. The answer confirmed his fears. "Still guarded, then." Misa and Shia's deaths wounded him deeply. Like Orochimaru. He met Suzuki's gaze. "Guide him gently. He needs to learn trust again." "Hokage-sama, Yuta is improving." A non-committal hum. "Dismissed. Your reward will be delivered." As Suzuki turned to leave, he hesitated, eyes flickering to the Hokage's hunched shoulders, but left unsaid what weighed on his tongue. Outside, sunset bathed the Hokage monument in gold. Suzuki stared at Shodame's stony face. The will of fire. A wry smile twisted his lips. Yuta was right. We all wear masks. Hands in pockets, he sauntered home, trading lazy waves with passing villagers. Barbecue restaurant. 6 pairs of eyes fixed on the tower of empty plates. "You're seriously broke?" Jiraiya loomed over Hueco, disbelief sharpening his voice. Tsunade and Orochimaru mirrored his shock, staring down at Yuta's team. "You dragged us here." Okano's hair bristled like his temper. He slammed the table. "We thought you were paying." "Suzuki-sensei promised to treat us." He froze. Hueco's whisper was a death knell. "We forgot to wait for him." 5 faces paled. Yuta sighed. Of their group, 5 were penniless gain-in. The 6th, Tsunade, had gambled away her clan's fortune last week. "Senpai wouldn't abandon us. Right?" Tsunade ventured. Hueco's weak protest dissolved under memories of Suzuki's absenteeism. Jiraiya groaned. "We're screwed. If we don't pay, the owner'll skin us alive." Tsunade's glare could melt steel. "Got any bright ideas, genius?" Jiraiya pointed wildly at Yuta and Orochimaru. "They're the brains. Ask them." Orochimaru shook his head, but all eyes locked onto Yuta, their last hope. A slow, fox-like smile curled Yuta's lips. "There is one way. But it requires discussion. Spit high tea out." Tsunade's fist cratered the table. Yuta's grin widened. The other 3 leaned in impatiently. Hueco watched Yuta with starry-eyed admiration, while Orochimaru studied him thoughtfully, then flicked a glance at Tsunade. When Yuta gave a barely perceptible nod, Orochimaru inhaled sharply. That eye-squinting fox is vicious. The plan was ruthless. But with no alternatives, he stayed silent. Yuta motioned them closer. 6 heads huddled together, whispering, until Tsunade shot upright, face flushed. "Absolutely not." Jiraiya and Akane gaped. Hueco's hands flew to her mouth. Yuta shrugged. "Only idea I've got. Otherwise." He gestured to the kitchen. "Dishwashing brigade, assemble." As closing time loomed, all eyes locked onto Tsunade. She clenched her fists, shaking them under their noses. "Do you have any idea how humiliating this is?" Jiraiya, emboldened by desperation, blurted, "Better than scrubbing pans all night. We'll split your share 5 ways, consider it a dignity tax." The others nodded frantically. Tsunade's fists trembled. Then uncurled. "Fine. But if you welch," she snarled, "I'll break every bone you've got." With the gravitas of a martyr marching to battle, she strode to the counter, flanked by 5 pleading faces. "Ahem. Boss." Tsunade jutted her chin. "You know who I am?" The Akimeki owner glanced up from his ledger, jowls quivering. "Princess Tsunade. Settling your bill?" Her bravado wavered. Forgot funds. Put it on the Senju tab? No tabs. His smile stayed saccharine. House rules. That damn squinting bastard. She cursed Yuta internally. Defeated, Tsunade slumped against the counter and whispered. Can you take me as collateral? Let them fetch the money. Then redeem me? The boss's eyes bulged like overstuffed takoyaki. Chapter 3, Mysterious Speeds. Tsunade stood frozen with embarrassment, her toes curling against the floorboards of the barbecue restaurant. Just as she considered digging a hole through the floor with her bare feet, Suzuki finally arrived. He paid the bill and ushered all 6 teenagers outside. As they said goodbye, Yuta noticed Tsunade's thoughtful expression. He silently mourned for poor Shizune's future. Back in his small wooden house at the village outskirts, Yuta closed the door without lighting the lamp. He sat cross-legged on his bed in the dark. His focus turned inward, to the glowing bead floating in his mind's eye. Yuta wasn't from this world. 3 years ago, he'd woken up in this body, a child who'd died from grief after losing his parents. Through the boy's memories, Yuta recognized the Naruto universe. This troubled him. In this world, only those connected to the Otsutsuki clan achieved true power. The original Yuta came from common stock. His parents had died on a mission alongside Kagami Uchiha, all killed under mysterious circumstances. The safer someone was here, the quicker death seemed to find them. Yuta resolved to live quietly. But during his final semester at the academy, after barely reaching Genin level, the bead appeared. After much experimentation, he discovered its powers. First, the bead's constant glow strengthened his body to the natural human limit for his age while repairing any damage. Second, it granted one yearly epiphany, a chance to master any technique to its peak. Last year's epiphany had perfected his Academy 3 techniques and chakra control, putting him ahead of even Tsunade. Combined with the body flicker technique he'd developed under Suzuki's guidance, Yuta now rivaled most Chunin, despite knowing no elemental jutsu. Tonight marked his second epiphany. He chose to master the Rasengan, the perfect instant attack for his speed-focused style. As Yuta sat motionless, faint light pulsed around him. At dawn, Yuta opened his eyes, amazed. The night's work had exceeded expectations, not only completing the Rasengan but perfecting his body flicker and strength techniques too. He rushed to a training ground to test his new skills. Surveying the devastated field afterward, Yuta nodded in satisfaction before slipping back into his usual smiling mask. Yuta. Where were you so early? Okano waited at his doorstep, holding a money pouch. Suzuki-sensei sent your mission pay. Yuta held up grocery bags. Just buying breakfast. Want to join me? Perfect. I'm starving. Okano grinned. Thanks, Yuta. When Yuta invited him for breakfast, Okano accepted eagerly. Inside Yuta's home, Okano poured himself hot water while glancing around the room. Yuta moved through the kitchen with practiced ease, preparing their meal. After eating, they strolled through the village streets. Academy students rushed past them in their uniforms. Can you believe it's been almost a year since we graduated? Okano marveled. Yuta nodded. I miss those school days. He remembered his first confused months after arriving in this world. Little Keiko's constant encouragement had kept him going until he unlocked the mysterious speed's power. Yuta. Come quick. Jiraiya's voice interrupted their reminiscing. He grabbed Yuta's arm without explanation, dragging him toward the Senju compound while bewildered Okano called after them. At Tsunade's home, they found a chaotic scene. A red-haired woman was apologizing to a frightened, heavy-set man. Another woman comforted a crying child while Tsunade knelt in the corner, muttering rebelliously. Orochimaru stood silently nearby. Yuta approached Orochimaru. What's happening here? Tsunade's eyes lit up at Yuta's arrival, but a sharp look from the red-haired woman silenced her. Hello, Grandma Mido, Orochimaru and Jiraiya chorused. Me. Grandma Mido? Yuta echoed before realizing, this was Uzumaki Mido, the first Hokage's wife and the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. She looked remarkably young. You seem to recognize me, Mido observed. Sensing no malice through the Nine-Tails chakra, she pressed further. Everyone knows the famous Lady Mido, Yuta deflected smoothly. That's not what I meant. Never mind. Mido caught herself. Let's discuss how you convinced my granddaughter to use clan children as gambling collateral. Yuta blinked. I did what? Chapter 4, Jutsu Exchange. After hearing Jiraiya's explanation, Yuta stared at Tsunade in disbelief. Her scheme was truly outrageous. Yesterday's failed restaurant incident had sparked an idea. If she couldn't pawn herself, why not use someone less recognizable? That morning, she lured a young Senju clansman to the casino with candy. The moment she left, the furious casino owner had dragged the child straight to the Senju compound. Ironically, Tsunade technically won her bet. The casino couldn't afford to keep a Senju child hostage. Casino owner, we surrender. Tsunade, pay up or lose your kneecaps. So you're the one who put this idea in their heads? Mido's sweet voice snapped Yuta back to the present. Yuta's blood ran cold despite her gentle smile. Now he understood Suzuki's terror when facing his own deceptive grin. Let me explain, Lady Mido. Yuta stammered. Mido's smile never wavered. Consider this, 6 strangers walk in. The owner only recognizes Tsunade. So hey. Yuta put on his most innocent expression. Jiraiya and Orochimaru nodded frantically beside him. This wasn't betrayal, just practical truth. But that doesn't excuse using my granddaughter as collateral. Mido's voice remained pleasant even as her chakra flared. Technically, it didn't work. Jiraiya ventured. Crack. One instant, Jiraiya stood beside them. The next, he was embedded in the far wall. Yuta and Orochimaru paled. Neither had seen Mido move. Let this be your only warning, Mido said, dusting her hands. Influence Tsunade again, and you'll join your friend. Hi. The 2 remaining boys bowed so low their noses nearly touched the floor. Alright, go play now. Mido waved them off before turning back toward the house. The woman holding the child glanced curiously at Yuta. When his sharp eyes met hers, she startled like a rabbit and scurried away. Inside, Saratobe Hiruzen waited anxiously. Lady Mido? Is the boy a threat to the village? Mido knelt at the tea table without looking at him. A clever child with too many defenses. He bears no hatred, only sealed his heart away after suffering. She sipped her tea. Now leave. And treat him kindly. I'll take my leave then. The Sandame grabbed his hat and departed. Alone, Mido sighed. At Training Ground 3, Tsunade's team gaped at the devastation Yuta had wrought. That's incredible. Jiraiya shouted. How'd you do it? Yuta shrugged. Precise chakra bursts at the moment of impact. Master the timing, and you maximize damage. Who cares how it works? It's awesome. Jiraiya whooped. Tsunade and Orochimaru studied the destruction thoughtfully. Finally, Orochimaru shook his head. The control required. I can't manage it yet. But Tsunade might. Tsunade's eyes gleamed as she stared at Yuta. When he remained silent, Jiraiya groaned. Come on. Don't hold out on us. Orochimaru intervened. He wants to trade techniques. Isn't that right, Yuta? After a year, Suzuki-sensei still hasn't taught him any elemental ninjutsu. Jiraiya's jaw dropped. Seriously? What have you been learning all this time? Tsunade crossed her arms. I can't teach forbidden techniques. But what do you want for this one? Yuta smiled. Nothing extreme. Just the mystical palm and sensory techniques. Fair trade for an instant attack move that scales with your strength, don't you think? Yuta, you're getting the worse end of this deal. Jiraiya protested. Yuta ignored him, keeping his narrowed eyes locked on Tsunade. Deal. Without hesitation, Tsunade pulled 2 scrolls from her pouch and tossed them to Yuta. He caught them awkwardly. I don't have money for blank scrolls right now. Can I give you the technique tomorrow? TCH. Hopeless. Tsunade threw another blank scroll at him. Write it now. Her fingers twitched with anticipation. This technique could revolutionize her fighting style. After completing the exchange, and securing permission to share the jutsu freely, Yuta immediately taught both medical techniques to Hueco. She practiced intently by the riverside, oblivious to Akaino's jealous stares. Yuta approached Suzuki, who sat fishing. Sensei, spar with me seriously. Suzuki's fishing rod dipped. Oh, my strength? You're sure? That infuriating smile never left Yuta's face. Damn brat. Suzuki launched to his feet, cracking his knuckles. I'll wipe that smirk off permanently. Chapter 5, Fighting Suzuki-sensei. Yuta was about to compete with Suzuki-sensei. Akaino stood nearby, watching with curiosity. Damn it, does Yuta look down on us? Akaino said, frustrated, watching the 2 figures in the distance. Don't worry, Yuta-kun will not give up on us, Hueco said, appearing behind Akaino, comforting her. Besides, Suzuki-sensei cares about us too. But he hasn't taught us any ninjutsu yet, Akaino retorted, still annoyed. Maybe Suzuki-sensei has a plan? Hueco said, focusing on the fight. Not bad. Yuta and Suzuki held kunai against each other, neither gaining an advantage. The first exchange ended in a draw. After a brief pause, they moved back, preparing for the second round. Suzuki now respected Yuta's skill. The previous clash showed Yuta's strength and reaction speed were superior. Yuta kicked at Suzuki, who dodged and countered with a fireball that exploded behind Yuta. Suzuki quickly moved, watching the flames. Alert! Suzuki-sensei. Yuta's form disappeared, replaced by a log with a pop sound. Yuta appeared where Suzuki had stood, kunai in hand. You would be dead on the battlefield if you were careless. You have much to learn, Suzuki said, forming hand seals. He launched a great fireball jutsu at Yuta. Yuta vanished. The ninjutsu hit nothing. Fighting you is unpleasant, Suzuki said. He threw shuriken to his right. Clang. Yuta appeared, kunai meeting shuriken. They separated. Suzuki watched Yuta, impressed by his talent. It's good the third Hokage agreed to teach Yuta and the others ninjutsu, he thought. He recalled the Hokage's summons, expecting trouble. Instead, the Hokage asked about Yuta and allowed their team to train normally. He was relieved. He no longer worried about Yuta defecting. Yuta, be careful. I will use my full strength, Suzuki said, planning to assess Yuta's abilities. As you wish, Yuta said. He wanted to test his strength. Fire style, fire dragon jutsu. Suzuki used a large-scale ninjutsu to limit Yuta's movement. Yuta faced the attack. As Suzuki and the others watched, Yuta extended his right hand. A large chakra ball spun and collided with a fire dragon. Rasengan. The training ground shook. A mushroom cloud rose. What's happening? Anbu, investigate the fourth training ground. Control any suspicious persons. Eliminate them if they resist. Sarutobi Hiruzen ordered. Anbu ninjas moved through the village, heading to the training ground. After they left, Hiruzen returned to his seat. A middle-aged man with short hair spoke. The war just ended. We should eliminate all enemies to deter other villages. Sarutobi, you are too lenient, planning to capture them alive. The senior leaders, like Sarutobi Hiruzen, had recently gained power. Their base was not strong enough to oppose the established Hidden Leaf village clans. They relied on each other, maintaining a peaceful relationship. When someone questioned his order, Sarutobi explained, Danzō, the war just ended. People dislike conflict. We must avoid unnecessary disputes. The village cannot endure another war. Humphrey. Danzō snorted, disagreeing. He lacked the power to defy Sarutobi Hiruzen, the Hokage. The other two consultants tried to ease the tension. Whoosh. An Anbu appeared in the Hokage's office, kneeling on one knee. Hokage-sama, the situation that caused the huge commotion at the fourth training ground has been investigated. It was an accident caused by the training of Suzuki Team, Class 2. The involved individuals are outside. Please give instructions, Hokage-sama. Oh? Bring them in. I want to know what training caused such a large disturbance. The Anbu, though skeptical, reported the findings, considering the significant damage at the scene. Facing the curious stares of the four people in the office, Suzuki immediately apologized. Hokage-sama, my student was negligent and accidentally caused significant damage, while experimenting with new ninjutsu. Please punish me, Hokage-sama. That's absurd. I recall Suzuki Jonin is not authorized to learn forbidden techniques. How could this cause such a large commotion? It appears Suzuki Jonin is protecting the enemy who damaged the village? Danzō asked, cutting in before Sarutobi Hiruzen could speak. Suzuki was Sarutobi Hiruzen's confidant. Sarutobi Hiruzen knew he could not shield enemies. Sarutobi Hiruzen advised Danzō, Suzuki Jonin is an excellent Hidden Leaf village ninja. Please do not doubt his loyalty to Hidden Leaf village. So this is Danzō. He looked somewhat handsome when he was young, Yuta thought, observing the middle-aged man who questioned Suzuki. Humphrey. Hearing Sarutobi defend Suzuki, Danzō knew Suzuki was Sarutobi's ally, and snorted again. Suzuki, I have always trusted you. Please explain the situation. Seeing Suzuki's hesitation, Sarutobi Hiruzen realized the situation was sensitive. He addressed the other senior executives, I will carefully consider the points you raised. We will discuss the specific steps tomorrow. Seeing Hiruzen Sarutobi dismissing them, Mitakato Inman and Koharu, understanding, acknowledged and left. Danzō was already dissatisfied with Sarutobi's secrecy, and his objective remained unfulfilled. Chapter 6, Escort Mission. Knowing Danzō was determined to establish his own force, Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression darkened. You may leave. We will discuss this further tomorrow, if needed, Sarutobi said. Seeing Sarutobi's impatience, Danzō, to avoid jeopardizing his plans, glared at Suzuki and turned to leave. Inexplicable. Yuta thought, observing Danzō's display, noting his lack of composure. With only Sarutobi, Suzuki, and Yuta remaining, Sarutobi lit his pipe, the smoke obscuring his face. Hokage-sama, regarding the earlier incident. Suzuki began, summarizing his exchange with Yuta. Sarutobi was surprised to learn the disturbance was caused by a ninjutsu collision between Suzuki and Yuta. Explain in detail, Sarutobi requested. Sarutobi was curious about Yuta's ninjutsu, assuming Suzuki had recently developed and taught it. I am unsure. This was Yuta's first time using that ninjutsu. Yuta, Please explain to Hokage-sama, Suzuki said. Oh? It seems you are not well acquainted with your student. Suzuki, you are a negligent teacher. Sarutobi reprimanded Suzuki, then turned his attention to Yuta, smiling. Haha, Yuta, is this our first meeting? Sarutobi asked. Yuta replied respectfully, Hokage-sama, this is our second meeting. The previous time was when you selected your apprentice at the academy. Today is the second. The response was awkward. While everyone knew the context, it could not be openly discussed. Sarutobi smiled awkwardly. He had not yet mastered perfect composure, so he changed the subject. I heard you exchanged ninjutsu with Tsunoda a few days ago. Why has Suzuki-sensei not taught you ninjutsu? Suzuki anxiously gestured to Yuta, hoping he would cooperate with Sarutobi. However, Yuta replied, was it not you, Hokage-sama, who ordered that I not be taught ninjutsu? Why would Hokage-sama issue such an order? I have other plans for you. I wanted you to build a strong foundation. That phase is nearly complete. I will teach you ninjutsu soon. Apologize to Hokage-sama, Suzuki said, seeing Sarutobi's discomfort. Oh. I seem to have misunderstood Hokage-sama. My apologies, Yuta said, bowing deeply. Ahem. Sarutobi coughed, then said gently, it is not important. Our generation is pleased to see such outstanding juniors. A minor misunderstanding is inconsequential. Yuta said apologetically, thank you, Hokage-sama. Otherwise, my misunderstanding would have affected your mood, and I would have been troubled. Suzuki, observing the exchange, inwardly groaned, I have never seen such shameless individuals, let alone two of them. After the verbal exchange, Yuta offered the Rasengan to the village, in exchange for any ninjutsu of his choice. Why did you choose that ninjutsu? I thought you would select a forbidden jutsu from the seal scroll, Suzuki asked. I considered it. If I chose a jutsu from the seal scroll, the third Hokage would find reasons to avoid fulfilling the request, and I would gain nothing, Yuta said. Surely not? Did Lord Hokage not grant you permission to learn ninjutsu? Suzuki asked. Alas. There is insufficient trust between people, Yuta replied. Listening to Yuta's reasoning, Suzuki nodded in agreement. Yuta trusted no one, except Kiko. 3 months had passed since the competition with Suzuki, and it was time to graduate from the Ninja Academy. The training ground was full of prospective graduates, practicing diligently. Gather round. I just received a new mission to escort a batch of supplies to the border of the Land of Grass. Prepare yourselves now and meet at the village gate at 10 o'clock, Suzuki-sensei announced, approaching Yuta and Okano at the 4th training ground. Damn it, I haven't mastered the new ninjutsu yet. Why do we have a mission so soon? Okano complained. Since Suzuki-sensei had begun teaching them ninjutsu, Yuta, Okano, and Kiko had trained there whenever possible. Okano struggled with the basics, still unable to perform the C-rank ninjutsu, while Kiko and Yuta could already utilize the techniques Suzuki-sensei had taught them effectively. Are those the seniors who graduated last year? They're so cool. The younger students and girls at the training ground watched Yuta and his team leave with envy and excitement. When Yuta arrived at Hidden Lee Village's gate, Suzuki-sensei and the others had not yet arrived. He registered with the guard and waited. About 10 minutes later, Suzuki-sensei and the others arrived, accompanied by a convoy of carriages. The drivers were ordinary villagers, which was standard for daily supply transport. Ninjas were a valuable resource and not used for routine transportation, they were needed for escort duties. Since the war just ended, supply teams are rarely attacked by ninjas. Combat is almost impossible. The only threat is bandits on the road. Kiko said quietly. Theoretically, that's true, Suzuki-sensei said, adjusting his forehead protector. If we are lucky, we'll reach the border without incident. If not, we might encounter small groups of rogue ninjas. The mission's difficulty can change at any time, potentially becoming a B-rank mission. Considering Suzuki-sensei's and Yuta's strength, this was essentially a training exercise. As an elite Jonin, Suzuki-sensei is one of the 3rd Hokage's top assets. He won't waste time monitoring me. He'll likely be reassigned soon, Yuta thought, observing Suzuki-sensei's seemingly nonchalant demeanor. Soon, the 4 of them set off, followed by the supply convoy. The escort team won't include strong individuals. We're just a small supply team. A young man in the convoy thought casually, but his expression changed when he saw Suzuki-sensei. Suzuki-sama? Is your rookie team escorting us? That's correct. Are you ready to depart? Suzuki-sensei replied. Along the way, everyone remained quiet, nervously glancing at Suzuki-sensei, feeling somewhat reassured. However, Suzuki-sensei, the most experienced, remained silent. Yuta took the initiative to interact with the supply team, discovering he was familiar with the team captain. He realized this man was likely Minato Namikage's father, who would die under mysterious circumstances in the future. Chapter 7, Attack Soon. Everyone left the Leaf Village, passed through several small towns, and approached the Fire Country's border. As they neared the border, everyone became more cautious. The landscape was desolate, and corpses littered the area. This was war, especially a ninja war. Powerful ninjas could easily destroy small towns. Ahead is the border station. It's close to the land of grass. The hidden grass village straddles the border. However, our movements have been discreet, so we shouldn't attract their attention, Suzuki-sensei said. Yuta, what's wrong? Okano asked, noticing Yuta's sudden change in expression. Ah, nothing, Yuta replied, smiling. He had sensed someone watching them. After his spirit was enhanced by the mysterious beads, his senses were sharp. The spying sensation had vanished quickly, but he had noticed it. Suzuki-sensei slowed down, approaching the supply convoy. Seeing this, Yuta subtly gestured to Okano, his eyes shifting left and right. Okano understood, his expression changing slightly, but he saw nothing unusual. By the way, Namikaze-senpai, why did you become the supplies captain? Yuta asked Minato's father casually. He scratched his cheek with his left hand and placed his right hand on his left palm. Then, he quickly drew a circle on his palm and turned it over. Minato's father understood Yuta's code, which they had discussed earlier. I'm 20. I'll be marrying and having children soon. With the war over, the road is safer, and I can earn more money, he replied, winking at the others in the convoy. Suzuki-sensei's voice suddenly rang out from the front. Alert! Enemy attack! Yuta drew his newly purchased short sword, his eyes narrowing with murderous intent. Chakra surged, and he rushed southwest. Suzuki-sensei moved quickly, heading north. Okano and Kiko positioned themselves at both ends of the convoy, protecting it. As they moved, the enemy revealed themselves. Yuta dodged and swung his sword. Blood appeared on the rock, which transformed into a motionless ninja. 3 screams echoed from the north. Yuta knew Suzuki-sensei had engaged the enemy. Lightning style, earth walk. The hidden grass village ninjas counterattacked, using ninjutsu. Lightning bolts traveled along the ground toward Yuta. He dodged, leaving a trail of silver light and corpses. A loud noise came from the convoy. Yuta, concerned for Kiko's safety, abandoned his opponents and rushed toward the trucks. 2 hidden grass village ninjas with ninja swords appeared, flanking him. As they attacked, Yuta formed a seal, creating a shadow clone. This was a ninjutsu Suzuki-sensei had recently taught him. The shadow clone crossed its arms, lifting its body horizontally. Yuta used the clone as a platform, kicking off it to dodge the ninja's attacks. He flashed, and another silver light appeared. A hidden grass village ninja fell, clutching his throat. Hidden leaf village swordsmanship, dance of the 3 suns and moon. 3 identical Yutas appeared, attacking another ninja. This was a ninjutsu exchanged for the Rasengan with the 3rd Hokage. The ninja used earth style to defend. He recognized hidden leaf village style swordsmanship. Knowing the real body was hidden among the clones, he attacked all 3 simultaneously. Yuta suddenly appeared behind him, his short sword piercing his heart. I'm sorry, I don't have time to play now, Yuta said to the disbelieving ninja. The 3 figures bang 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 turned into white smoke and vanished, revealing they were shadow clones. Yuta withdrew his sword and ran toward the supply trucks. The last hidden grass village ninja was shocked and angry. That kid is dangerous. He looks like he just graduated, but he's terrifying. If he grows stronger, he'll be like the 2nd Hokage. The ninja, furious and helpless, fled toward the hidden grass village, intending to report this information. Yuta reached the convoy, seeing Kiko and Okano fighting a hidden grass village ninja. Several enemy corpses lay nearby. Kiko's usual gentle demeanor was gone. She fought with sharp eyes and powerful strikes, using the strange strength technique Yuta had taught her. Kiko thought, Yuta-kun has helped me so much. I will not disappoint him. Okano stood by, offering occasional warnings to Kiko. Yuta, seeing Kiko and Okano gaining the upper hand, held back from intervening. He smiled, watching Kiko fight with a sense of relief. Hey! You're creeping me out with that expression, Suzuki-sensei said, appearing behind Yuta, his face covered in blood. Yuta glanced at Suzuki-sensei, noting his lack of serious injuries, then returned his attention to Kiko's fight. Seeing Yuta's silence, Suzuki-sensei's smile faded. He said gravely, we can't waste time. The border guard station has been overrun by hidden grass village ninjas. Everyone inside is dead. We need to send word back to the village quickly, so they can prepare. After hearing Suzuki-sensei's report, Yuta's focus shifted. Hidden grass village has many talented ninjas. Excellent. I can finally fight without restraint, he thought, his smile betraying his excitement. Suzuki-sensei, seeing Yuta's eager expression, felt a twinge of concern for Hidden Grass Village. Try to capture that Hidden Grass Village ninja alive. We need information about their village, he instructed. Understood. Yuta vanished before Suzuki-sensei could finish speaking. Bang. The enemy collapsed in front of Kiko, and she looked at Yuta, surprised. She proudly declared, Yuta-kun, I can fight too. Yes. Well done. Yuta praised Kiko sincerely, sheathing his short sword. Okay, the threat is over, and the mission is a failure. We'll return to the village immediately, bringing this information, Suzuki-sensei said. Captain Namikaze, prepare a vehicle for this prisoner. We need to deliver him to the interrogation department. Now, Suzuki Team 2, stay alert, and return the same way. Chapter 8, The Birth of a Family New. Is that so? Sarutobi looked solemn after listening to Suzuki's report. Hiruzen, we can't hesitate. The Hidden Grass Village has provoked us. If we don't retaliate, Hidden Leaf Village will lose its deterrent against the Land of Lightning and the Land of Earth. They might restart the war. Danzō, more strategic, argued that inaction could lead to a larger conflict. This Sarutobi was not the future senile leader, but an ambitious man seeking to solidify his power. Hidden Grass Village's provocation presented an opportunity. Hearing Danzō's plea, Sarutobi donned his bamboo hat, extinguished his pipe, and sat with authority. Order. Wow. Everyone in the room stood at attention, including Danzō. He was not yet in a position to sit while orders were given. Except for essential personnel, all Anbu will serve as the main force to counterattack Hidden Grass Village. Danzō, lead this operation and teach them a lesson. Having decided, Sarutobi issued his orders firmly. Danzō smiled at the assignment. Against Hidden Grass Village, Hidden Leaf Village needed minimal preparation. The Anbu could easily overwhelm them. Danzō acted swiftly, departing with the Anbu. The villagers remained unaware of the conflict. So we're left out this time? I wanted to show off my skills, Akeno said, disappointed, after hearing Suzuki's report. Boom. Stop talking nonsense, kid. In war, people die. You're far from ready, Suzuki-sensei said, punching Akeno's head. It hurts. Akeno cried, clutching the bump on his head. Akeno-kun, are you alright? Kiko asked, concerned, and used her medical ninjutsu to treat the swelling. After the swelling subsided, Kiko looked at Suzuki-sensei reproachfully. Suzuki-sensei, are you too harsh? Suzuki-sensei lay on the grass, hands behind his head, legs crossed, a straw in his mouth, staring at the sky. I taught him a lesson. Underestimating war is a death sentence, he replied. Suzuki-sensei is very responsible. Yuta said, narrowing his eyes. TCH, you're not a cute kid, Suzuki-sensei muttered, ignoring Yuta's praise, and continued gazing at the sky. What about our mission? It failed, but not by our fault. The recipient was killed. We still escorted the supplies, Akeno said. Yuta and Kiko looked at Suzuki-sensei. Well, the C-rank mission failed, but bringing back important information earned us an A-rank mission credit, Suzuki-sensei said. Great. We have A-rank mission experience now. We'll be Chunin soon, Akeno said excitedly. Yes, and our team will disband, Suzuki-sensei said. 2 months later, Hidden Grass Village was beyond wrecked. When Danzō, who had lost an eye, returned to the village, he was not met with heroic cheers, but with angry rebukes from the third Hokage. Originally, the third Hokage only intended to teach Hidden Grass Village a lesson, but the radical Danzō went as far as attempting to completely annihilate it. Seeing Hidden Leaf Village's intent to eradicate them, Hidden Grass Village sought aid from Hidden Stone Village. The Land of Earth, unwilling to see Hidden Leaf Village occupy the Land of Grass, sent ninjas to fight Danzō's forces. Ultimately, the conflict resulted in heavy losses for both Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Stone, while Hidden Grass was basically destroyed. Hidden Leaf Village's Anbu suffered significant casualties, forcing the third Hokage to agree to Danzō's proposal. The Hidden Leaf Village's route was established. Mido sensed Danzō's fear of the Senju clan and his ambition, so he made a deal with Yuta, exchanging his sealing techniques for the Rasengan. Shortly after, many Senju clan members mastered the Rasengan, leading to a heated argument between Danzō and the third Hokage in the Hokage's office. This marked the beginning of Danzō's pursuit of power. 20 years into Hidden Leaf Village's existence, Hidden Grass Village was considered destroyed. At this time, Yuta and Akeno were 12, and Kiko was 11. Due to Danzō's aggressive actions, the village's strength diminished, and Suzuki-sensei was no longer Yucha's instructor. Yuta was promoted to Chunin in an emergency, and Kiko transferred to Hidden Leaf Village Hospital. Akeno and the new graduates formed a new Geinin team. 6 years passed quickly. Since becoming the head of the Anbu training division, Danzō had become largely invisible in the village. Ninja clan members would occasionally disappear without a trace. Though the war with Hidden Grass Village caused significant losses, the third Hokage used it to solidify his authority. The clans no longer dared to oppose him, and the older generation receded, leaving the F4 to lead Hidden Leaf Village. 6 years later, 18-year-old Yuta had changed considerably. He was 1.8 meters tall, slender, with a gentle demeanor and a subtle, almost sinister smile. With his silver hair and perpetually closed eyes, he was unrecognizable from his 12-year-old self. Yuta, good morning. Delivering soup to Hueco again? She's amazing, giving you triplets. I'm so envious. Yes. I heard the Namikaze family had a son recently, but Hueco is even more impressive, 3 at once. Yuta patiently greeted his enthusiastic neighbors, his joy evident. He and Hueco had married when she turned 16. She took a leave from the hospital after the new year. Hueco's pregnancy was difficult, and Tsunade confirmed she was carrying triplets, prompting Hueco's immediate leave. 2 days prior, Hueco gave birth to 3 healthy boys. Hidden Leaf Village was astounded, and visitors were constant. Triplets were unheard of in Hidden Leaf Village's history. Everyone wanted to visit the Yuta family, who were known for their amiable nature. High-ranking officials, familiar ninjas, and even shop owners sought to strengthen their connections with Yuta. To allow Hueco to rest, she and the children were taken to the Senju compound, while Yuta stayed to entertain the guests. Chapter 9. Yuta is different now. After finally escaping the enthusiastic neighbors, Yuta carried the lunchbox toward the Senju compound. On the way, Yuta reflected, I never expected a lone soul like me would find roots in this world. He felt a sense of pride. These 6 years had been productive. His strength had increased significantly, giving him confidence in any situation. Physically, Yuta's capabilities were extraordinary. He had not used his full power since almost accidentally killing Might Dai 3 years prior. He believed ninjas should prioritize humanity over combat. Overt displays of power could alienate others. Consequently, most perceived Yuta's strength as comparable to Tsukumo Hokage's, slightly below Kage level, and much stronger than elite Jonin. In ninjutsu, he had achieved mastery through consistent practice and occasional breakthroughs. Utilizing 2 such opportunities, Yuta had fully mastered the sealing techniques exchanged with Mundo. Besides forbidden techniques like the dead demon-consuming seal and bloodline ninjutsu like the adamantine sealing chains, his sealing skills rivaled Mundo's. However, mastering sealing techniques had been challenging, requiring 2 periods of intense focus. During the 3rd and 4th breakthroughs, having determined his chakra affinities were wind and earth, Yuta focused on understanding the nature transformations of those elements. For the 5th breakthrough, he combined the 2 nature transformations, creating the bloodline limit, magnet style. Drawing inspiration from the Minazuki clan, he integrated magnet style into his bloodline. The 6th opportunity was approaching. This time, Yuta's visit to the Senju clan included seeing Hueco and his sons, but he also hoped to examine the first Hokage's wood style. He planned to study wood style to develop techniques for fighting large-scale enemies. Yuta-senpai, you're here. As Yuta entered the Senju compound, a 3-year-old boy froze. The gray, spiky hair and pink marks identified him as Senju Nawaki. Mundo had brought him from the capital the previous year to receive ninja training and support the Senju clan. The Senju clan was different from its original depiction. While most had integrated into the village as planned by the second Hokage, those who remained in the clan area had improved their strength through Mundo and Yuta's exchange of the Rasengan. Some had even achieved attribute fusion, greatly increasing their power. The root was wary of provoking them. Danzō often clashed with the third Hokage, prompting Mundo to intervene and warn them, which temporarily restrained Danzō. However, Senju clan members still occasionally died during missions. Despite these losses, over 30 tribesmen remained, needing Nawaki's future protection. During the past year, Yuta had guided the young Senju heir while visiting Hueco for Tsunade's medical checkups. After giving a servant the lunchbox, Yuta approached Nawaki. Nawaki shuddered at the sight of Yuta's eyes, recalling Yuta's harsh training. He ran toward his grandmother, bumping into Tsunade, who emerged after hearing the commotion. 16-year-old Tsunade already showed signs of her future self. Jiraiya, upon seeing her recently, was immediately infatuated. Despite Tsunade's rebuffs, he persisted, even attempting to peek at her bathing, which nearly resulted in his death. "You're early today," Tsunade said, annoyed, looking at Yuta. She warned her younger brother, "Stay away from this narrow-eyed man. Don't let him mislead you." "Yeah." Nawaki remembered Yuta's strict training and nodded in agreement. "What nonsense are you saying? Don't corrupt Nawaki. Yuta teaches him well," Mundo said, checking on the situation after Tsunade's prolonged absence, and scolded her. Although Yuta's methods were sometimes questionable, His positive impact on Milwaukee was undeniable, so Mido tolerated his eccentricities. Grandma. Mido-sama. Mido looked at the gentle young man and nodded slightly. Are you here to pick up Hueco and the children? Yes. Yuta nodded, rubbing his head in embarrassment. Hueco has been a lot of trouble for Mido-sama these past 2 days. The guests are gone now, so I've come to take her home. Then go quickly. Hueco must be finished eating by now. But I'm really reluctant to let them go. Those 3 children are so adorable. Hearing Mido praise his children, Yuta's eyes narrowed further, practically disappearing. Sensing Yuta's genuine joy, Mido told Tsunade, go help him. Milwaukee, come with me, let's go back inside. Hueco's 3 sons were named Ganta, Jiro, and Yodo. Since Yuta was a commoner with no surname, they took his surname, becoming Yuta Ganta, Yuta Jiro, and Yuta Yodo. After hearing the names Yuta chose, Hueco changed her own name to Yuta Hueco. Holding 2 of his children, and looking at Hueco with a 3rd, Yuta felt a contentment he'd never known since arriving in this strange world. Suddenly, Yuta's mind cleared. The mysterious bead spun a few times, then stilled, its light brighter than before. Yuta's spirit underwent the profound transformation. Closing his eyes, he perceived everything within a 5-kilometer radius with stark clarity. Though the image was black and white, it was remarkably detailed. Hueco noticed Yuta's change. She stared at him, confused, but after seeing nothing obviously different, she said nothing. Oops. I seem to have forgotten something I needed to discuss with Mido-sama. Seeing her husband claim he'd forgotten something, Hueco rolled her eyes and walked home with her children. Watching Hueco's slight annoyance, Yuta shook his head with a wry smile. Never mind, we can talk later. I'll take my wife and children home first. Married women were not easily appeased, and mothers even less so. Chapter 10, the devolution. Late at night, Yuta lay in bed. Hueco slept beside him, and their 3 children occasionally stirred in their cradles. The moonlit room was quiet, but Yuta perceived a light within that was brighter than the moonlight outside. This was a result of Yuta's soul fully integrating with this world. The mysterious beads no longer needed to suppress his soul's strangeness. Their extra capacity could be used externally, benefiting those around Yuta, though not to the same degree. Yuta could control the external range, up to 30 meters, and could activate or deactivate it at will. The emitted light was invisible, ensuring secrecy. Yuta was currently using this ability to benefit his children and Hueco. He believed Hueco's strength would improve, and his children would thrive. Early the next morning, Hueco fed the children. With triplets, extra formula was needed. Yuta prepared breakfast while Hueco fed them, and made the formula. He also prepared chicken soup for Hueco, who had just given birth. After feeding the children, Hueco joined Yuta at the table. It's strange. I feel much better today. My spirit is improved, she said. Yuta studied her. Maybe you're comfortable at home and slept well? He suggested. Hueco considered this, but remained puzzled. Maybe, she said, a hint of disappointment in her eyes. Yuta, with his heightened senses, noticed her disappointment. I can't hide it anymore, he thought. After breakfast, Yuta smiled at Hueco. Hueco, I want to tell you a secret. Hueco looked up, relief and happiness in her eyes, but she also looked worried. If it's inconvenient, don't. I've felt uneasy. I've sensed a distance between us, and everyone else. But that feeling vanished yesterday at home. I wanted the truth, but I didn't expect you to conceal it. You have keen intuition. Yuta said, surprised. I do have a secret, but since you insist, I'll tell you. Hueco observed his smile. Knowing him, she understood that if he hadn't spoken during breakfast, the secret was significant. If it was important to them and their children, she didn't need to know. Hueco continued washing dishes. If it's dangerous, don't tell me. Really? You're sure you don't want to know? You only have one chance. Hueco, annoyed, picked up the wet chopsticks and threw them at him. If you bother me, clean these dishes yourself. Seeing Hueco return to her usual self, Yuta left the kitchen, his smile widening. In truth, Yuta wasn't reluctant to tell Hueco, but with Danzō's forces established, he worried about them discovering the abnormality in his family and searching their memories. He couldn't simply place a seal in Hueco's mind. In a cheerful mood, Yuta went to the Senju compound again and borrowed the first Hokage's wood-style training manual from Mido. In the following days, Yuta studied wood style whenever he had time, attempting to develop a ninjutsu suitable for fighting large enemies. After several days of research, he discovered that wood style's ability to absorb chakra stemmed from its ability to absorb vitality. Chakra was composed of vitality and mental energy. By absorbing vitality, wood style prevented the opponent from refining chakra. Since this approach was unavailable, he focused on sealing techniques. He considered using magnetic escape seals or seals similar to the planetary devastation technique. For fighting large enemies, he could adapt the wood style, wood golem jutsu. Although it lacked chakra absorption, earth style was tangible and could maintain its shape, offering strong attack power. Yuta began a new training regimen, leading Mundo to bring Kiko and the children to the Senju compound again. However, Kiko insisted on returning home at night, eager to benefit from Yuta's presence. The next enlightenment opportunity arrived. Before Kiko went to the Senju compound, Yuta told her, "Think carefully about which aspects of your strength need improvement. I'll surprise you tonight." Yuta spent the day training. Kiko's recent childbirth had freed him from missions, granting him ample time. Kiko seemed distracted all day. Mundo and Tsunade assumed Yuta had upset her. Despite Kiko's explanations, they didn't believe her. When Tsunade escorted Kiko home, she lectured Yuta, who remained silent. Kiko was embarrassed. That night, after putting the children to sleep, Yuta asked Kiko, "Have you decided?" Kiko, after a day of deliberation, chose to improve her chakra control and strange strength, ensuring her family's safety. Seeing Kiko nod, Yuta said mysteriously, "Close your eyes and relax." A strange sensation washed over Kiko, and the challenges she faced in chakra control were instantly resolved. She also learned new, advanced skills. The wonderful feeling gradually subsided. Chapter 12, Instructor. When Kiko opened her eyes, it was morning. Looking at Yuta's questioning gaze, Kiko said excitedly, "Chakra control can't improve anymore, it seems to have reached its limit. But strange strength seems a little stronger." "That's good," Yuta thought, estimating the improvement was about half his own. "It's not bad." After breakfast, Kiko, her excitement subdued, accompanied Yuta to the Senju compound. Time to burn youth. 15 laps before 8. Fail, and it's 20 more. Morning, die. Don't forget my house at 9, for cleaning. Might die, in green tights and a bowl cut, stopped running and gave a thumbs up to Yuta and Kiko. "Don't worry. That's the promise of youth." He vanished in a puff of smoke. Watching Dai leave, Kiko asked, "I can do those jobs. Why send tasks to the village, for Dai only?" "Who knows?" Yuta said, his narrowed eyes unreadable, and walked on. Kiko followed, holding her child. Might Dai was a perpetual Genin, enduring ridicule. Yuta didn't mock him. Dai only knew taijutsu. He was considered useless. He did occasional C-rank support missions, but mostly stayed in the village. During peacetime, outside tasks were scarce, leaving Dai with menial jobs. No one wanted to team up with him, hindering his progress. Yuta and Sakamo Hatake were elite jonin, Okano was a chunin, and even younger Tsunade was a jonin. Dai was the only genin, competing with new graduates. Their parents ridiculed him. In the original timeline, Dai saved Guy, Genma, and Ebusa from the 7 swordsmen of the mist. His situation in Hidden Leaf Village was dire. His training demanded high quality, large quantities of food. When he faced hardship, Yuta intervened. 6 years prior, Yuta used his savings to give Dai tasks like chopping wood and cleaning. His finances suffered. 3 years prior, his jonin promotion eased the burden. Even after marrying Kiko, Yuta continued this. Kiko finally asked him why. As Yuta left Kiko at the Senju compound, an Anbu ninja appeared, Sakamo Hatake. "Hey. Sakamo, have you eaten?" Yuta asked. Sakamo Hatake, Hidden Leaf Village's twin stars with Yuta, looked helpless. "On missions, don't use my name," he whispered. "Okay, Sakamo, what's up?" Yuta asked, smiling. "Yeah." Sakamo Hatake, wary of revealing his Anbu identity, was brief. "Yuta, the 3rd Hokage summons you to his office." He vanished. Yuta looked at the Hokage tower and walked there. Yuta knocked on the Hokage's office door. "Come in," Saratobi's gentle voice said. Yuta entered and bowed slightly. "3rd Hokage-sama." Saratobi smiled as Yuta entered. "You have more leisure than me, the Hokage. Are you enjoying your rest?" "Hokage-sama, please get to the point," Yuta said, bypassing the pleasantries. Saratobi, unfazed, continued gently, "I'm curious if you'd consider becoming an instructor." Yuta was puzzled. He had always been a mission ninja. The conflict between Saratobi and Danzō wasn't as deep as it would be. Saratobi still trusted his old friend. Therefore, joining Anbu required training in the route, which was under Danzō's control. Yuta wasn't willing to risk that. So, despite Saratobi's previous offers to join Anbu, Yuta had declined. Since his marriage, the topic hadn't resurfaced. Saratobi's sudden offer to lead a team surprised Yuta. "This idea stems from your current situation. As a team leader, you'd have fewer missions outside the village, allowing you to spend time with your family. Would you like to try?" Saratobi asked, seeing Yuta's hesitation. Yuta considered, then said, "Thank you, Hokage-sama, For your consideration. Sarutobi was relieved. He didn't want Yuta to be an instructor, as it would waste his talent. Since Tsukumo Hokage joined Anbu, Yuta had been Hidden Leaf Village's star. Clients often requested him for difficult missions. However, a graduating student presented a problem. That student was Makoto Uchiha, son of Kagami Uchiha, one of Tobirama's students. Because of Kagami's sacrifice, Sarutobi wanted to give Makoto a good teacher. He had planned to train him personally. However, Danzō objected, arguing that Makoto, being an Uchiha, couldn't be trusted. Sarutobi abandoned the idea due to political reasons. He settled on Yuta, who had recently become a father. Making Makoto Uchiha Yuta's student would eliminate his potential to become Hokage. Hidden Leaf Village's leaders still didn't fully trust Yuta. Makoto's political future would be compromised. However, Yuta's strength was undeniable. Hidden Leaf Village's leaders considered him, Tsukumo Hokage, and Tsunade the village's future pillars. With Yuta as his teacher, Makoto Uchiha would be protected. Chapter 13, Students. The Uchiha clan was as renowned as the Senju, and its influence was equally significant. At that moment, in a small forest within the Uchiha district, a young man was engaged in rigorous training. This young man had short, black hair. While not conventionally handsome, he exuded a sense of calm and reliability. Sweat trickled down his forehead, yet he maintained unwavering focus, repeatedly executing precise sword techniques. Huff. The young man paused, wiping sweat from his brow, a warm smile gracing his features. I finally graduated. Tomorrow, I become a true ninja. As he savored the anticipation of his ninja career, a cutting voice echoed from behind. A guy without his Sharingan is a loser even as a ninja. Just like his ridiculously stupid father, a traitor to the Uchiha. Ignoring the taunts, the young man silently sheathed his dagger and departed, though a fleeting crimson glint in his eyes went unnoticed. Damn it, Makoto is too arrogant, isn't he? The Uchiha who had delivered the insult, incensed by Makoto's indifference, prepared to intercept him. Alright, why argue with a kid? He's a waste, he'll die soon enough. TCH. You're letting that trash get away with it. Hearing his companion, the Uchiha relented, directing his anger at Makoto's retreating figure. Makoto, hearing their words, clenched his fists, his thoughts consumed by a single question: why? Why is this happening? My father sought to bridge the gap between the clan and the village. Why do they call him a traitor? The following morning, Makoto arrived at the classroom early, his anxiety palpable. He found his teacher, Fujita-sensei, standing at the podium, a welcoming smile on his face. Good morning, Fujita-sensei. He greeted his teacher respectfully, then took his seat, awaiting the team assignments. By 7:30, all students had arrived. Fujita-sensei tapped the desk, silencing the room. Quiet. He began announcing the team rosters. Morino Taro, Kamenika Uaya, Yamashiro Oba. Moonlight Ono, Shiranui Fujima, Wilderness Singchu. Makoto Uchiha, Toko, your team is incomplete. Another Geinin will be assigned later. Your leading Jonin will arrive shortly. Train diligently and serve the village. Fujita-sensei concluded the announcements. The teams were formed based on individual personalities, skills, and overall performance. Talented students would be led by Jonin, nurturing them into valuable assets for Hidden Leaf Village. Those without potential or connections were randomly assigned, their survival left to chance. The sole exception was the team of Makoto Uchiha and Toko, two outstanding students, who would be joined by a Geinin from outside the class. Seriously, I hope we don't get some weirdo on our team. Hopefully, the Jonin is reliable. Toko glanced at Makoto Uchiha, her apprehension evident. Given the choice, she would have preferred any of her classmates. Familiarity was paramount. Makoto Uchiha smiled. Hopefully. But don't worry, I trust the village's judgment. Jonin arrived, one by one, escorting their respective teams. Those left behind looked disappointed. Makoto Uchiha, Toko, come with me. I, Yuta, will be your leading Jonin. A man with silver, tousled hair and a constant smile stood at the classroom door. Toko and Makoto Uchiha exchanged glances, then followed Yuta. The trio moved swiftly, heading towards the village's training grounds, their journey marked by silent, rapid movement. Yuta observed them, noting their basic competence. They soon arrived at the training ground. Yuta, you're here? A man with a bowl cut, green jumpsuit, and thick eyebrows ran towards them, his eyes brimming with excitement. It was Mike Dewey, the third member of their team. This was a condition Yuta had set for accepting the instructor position. The previous day, while Dewey cleaned Yuta's house, Yuta had informed him of his inclusion in the team. Dewey had wept with joy. Seeing Dewey's reaction, Yuta felt vindicated. Those who persevered deserved recognition. Dewey had arrived early, eager to make a good impression on his new teammates. However, unlike Dewey's enthusiasm, Toko was visibly displeased. Seriously? He's our teammate. Are you kidding me? Her tone was laced with disgust. Makoto Uchiha remained silent, his furrowed brow expressing his dissatisfaction. Yuta observed their reactions, noting Toko's bluntness, which had clearly embarrassed Dewey. Seeing the awkward atmosphere, Yuta maintained his smile, observing how they would resolve the situation. Makoto Uchiha stepped in to diffuse the tension. Ahem. Hello, Dewey-senpai. I didn't expect you to be our final teammate. Toko meant no offense, she was just surprised and spoke without thinking. Toko, realizing her mistake, quickly nodded in agreement. Yes, Dewey-senpai, I was just too excited. I hope you'll forgive me. Dewey, previously embarrassed, now felt a little awkward at their apologies. It's all right. I'll work hard to prove myself. He scratched the back of his head, attempting a casual demeanor. However, before Makoto Uchiha and Toko could fully relax, Dai raised his thumb, revealing his gleaming teeth and exaggeratedly raised eyebrows. Because those are the summons of youth. PFFT. Despite hearing rumors about Dewey, Toko couldn't suppress her laughter. Even Makoto Uchiha, known for his composure, twitched at the corners of his mouth. Is this teammate really reliable? Both of them couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. Chapter 14, First Training Session and Might. Dewey's strength. At the Hidden Leaf Village training ground, Yuta observed his 3 students. Well, Dewey counted, even though he was Yuta's age. Seeing them getting along somewhat, Yuta spoke with a gentle smile. Since everyone's here, let's introduce ourselves. I'll start. Yuta, male, 18 years old, Jonin, married. Specialties, swordsmanship, wind style and earth style ninjutsu, and some sealing skills. Who's next? Yuta omitted his bloodline limit, considering it a trump card. Though he was confident in his strength, barring Mito, he was wary of Sarutobi and Danzō's influence. Caution was necessary. Might. Dewey, male, 18 years old, Gaimon, unmarried. Specialties, taijutsu. Hobbies, training and embracing youth. Fuji Toko, female, 10 years old, not yet. No need for introductions. Dewey's an adult, it's fine. You two kids don't need to. Toko, sensing Yuta's deceptively gentle nature, glared at him. Ignoring him, she continued, specialties, chakra control, wind style. Makoto Uchiha introduced himself. Makoto Uchiha, male, 10 years old, Gainin. Specialties, swordsmanship, fire style, and lightning style. After the introductions, Yuta clapped his hands. Okay, now that we're acquainted, let's begin the strength test. It'll help you understand your teammates. Discuss your strategy. Don't worry, I'll be gentle. Dewey, seeing Yuta's sly smile, shuddered and pulled his teammates aside. This is bad. Be careful. Toko asked, what? Yuta-sensei is strong? Makoto Uchiha replied, very. He's arguably the strongest in the village, except for Hokage-sama. He and Sakamo Hatake-senpai handle most S-rank missions, with a 100% success rate. Toko was shocked. She couldn't believe someone so young was so powerful. Dewey added, I don't know about Hokage-sama, but Yuta's stronger than Sakamo. They're called the Twin Stars of Hidden Leaf Village, but Yuta always wins. And he holds back, otherwise, Sakamo wouldn't land a blow. Wow. Dewey-senpai, you've seen them fight? Toko asked, her fear momentarily forgotten. Makoto Uchiha was also curious. Dewey blushed. In taijutsu, I'm a bit stronger than Sakamo, but no match for Yuta. At my best, I'm slightly weaker than Sakamo. But Yuta can beat both of us together. Makoto Uchiha and Toko stared at Dewey in disbelief. Bragging? Why are you still a Gainin then? We're competing with graduates for tasks. However, after considering the current situation, they both remained skeptical. Could this seemingly ordinary man really be that powerful? Dewey, oblivious to their expressions, continued, so, you must be careful. Even though Yuta-sensei won't use his full strength, we still won't stand a chance. Therefore, to last as long as possible, let's strategize. At that moment, Makoto Uchiha and Toko set aside their doubts about Dewey's strength. They huddled together and formulated a plan before facing Yuta. Looking at their instructor, Makoto Uchiha, and Toko swallowed nervously. Dewey stared at Yuta with a serious expression. What? Have you already planned how to lose? Yuta teased. Enough talk. Let's go. Toko shouted, charging towards Yuta. Fifth gate, gate of closing, open. Dewey activated the fifth gate, lunging at Yuta with a powerful kick. He understood that against Yuta, he had to give his all, or he wouldn't even have a chance to retaliate. Dewey, Under the fifth gate's influence, emanated an intense aura of power. He wasn't lying. Gyui is really strong. Toko exclaimed, stunned by Gyui's attack. Makoto Uchiha, witnessing Gyui's power, thought, how could this guy be dismissed as a joke? People's perceptions are often wrong. My father must not be the traitor they think. Don't just stand there. I can't hold him off for long. Stick to the plan. Gyui 3 yelled. This is unexpected. I've been wrong. In the Hokage's office, Sarutobi, observing through a crystal ball, was equally shocked by Gyui's strength. This Genin, who's been ridiculed for years, has been hiding such terrifying power. Hearing Sarutobi's remark, Tsukumo Hatake, present in the office, replied, Might Gyui enrolled with Yuta and me, but graduated 2 years after us. He's always been strong, but his lack of ninjutsu has made him overlooked. Honestly, in taijutsu, I'm no match for him. Oh? Sarutobi, intrigued by Tsukumo Hatake's praise, shifted his focus from Makoto Uchiha's test. Did you know Gyui's strength? Where did this sudden burst of power come from? Sensing an opportunity to advocate for Gyui, Tsukumo Hatake detailed Gyui's training and the 8 gates technique. After listening to Tsukumo Hatake's explanation, Sarutobi lit his pipe and took a deep puff, his face obscured by smoke. After a long pause, he sighed, It's my fault. Tsukumo Hatake assumed Sarutobi felt guilty for overlooking Gyui's talent. He didn't notice the flicker of fear in Sarutobi's eyes, hidden behind the smoke. Chapter 15, First Training Session and Might Gyui's strength to the training ground echoed with the sound of clashing bodies as Yuta intercepted Gyui's spinning kick midair, his fingers closing firmly around the man's ankle. Dust swirled around them as both fighters maintained perfect balance despite the violent motion. Hidden Leaf Village Whirlwind. Gyui transitioned smoothly, planting his palms on the packed earth to deliver a follow-up kick with his free leg. His movements were fluid, the result of countless hours spent perfecting his taijutsu. Bam! Their collision sent visible shockwaves through the air, the force strong enough to make Makoto Uchiha and Toko wince where they stood observing from the sidelines. The younger ninjas had to raise their arms to shield themselves from the debris kicked up by the impact. Fire style, Phoenix Flower Jutsu. Makoto seized what seemed like an opening, forming hand signs with practiced precision before launching a volley of fireballs from his elevated position. The flames licked hungrily at the air as they arced toward their target. Look out! Gyui's warning came a split second too late as Yuta vanished from his position, leaving the fireballs to explode harmlessly against the packed earth of the training ground. Makoto reacted quickly, hurling kunai in all directions in a desperate attempt to cover his blind spots. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The steel blades cut through the air, only to be deflected or dodged with casual ease. Before Makoto could react, Yuta materialized behind Toko, his hand descending in a precise chop to the back of her neck. The young Kunoichi's eyes rolled back as she crumpled to the ground unconscious. One down. Yuta's smile was calm as he regarded his remaining 2 opponents. Distractions get you killed in real combat. His tone carried no malice, only the weight of hard-earned experience. Gyui and Makoto exchanged glances, their bodies tensing in unison. The taijutsu specialist abandoned all caution, his muscles coiling like springs before unleashing another devastating attack. Hidden Leaf Village Great Whirlwind. His roundhouse kick came with enough force to make the air whistle, forcing Yuta to give ground. They're absolute monsters. Makoto muttered under his breath, his fingers already moving to form another set of hand signs. When that failed, he resorted to throwing 4 kunai in a precise square formation, hoping to limit Yuta's movement options. Yuta moved with economical precision, parrying Gyui's relentless strikes while simultaneously plucking 1 kunai from the air with his free hand. The remaining 3 blades embedded themselves in the dirt at his feet with satisfying ting-ting-ting sounds. Makoto's face fell as he realized the vast gulf between his skills and those of Hidden Leaf Village's elite. The Uchiha's Sharingan eyes couldn't even properly track the movements of these 2 taijutsu masters. Gyui, now fully caught up in the exhilaration of battle, pressed his assault with renewed vigor. Their fists and feet became blurs of motion, each exchange stirring up miniature dust storms that obscured the combatants from view. The sheer speed of their movements created afterimages that lingered in the air. I can't even track their movements properly. Makoto gasped, his Sharingan spinning wildly as he struggled to follow the action. Toko, now regaining consciousness, watched the spectacle with wide eyes. She rubbed her sore neck, her expression a mixture of awe and frustration at having been eliminated so quickly from the exercise. The 2 younger ninjas could only watch helplessly as Yuta matched Gyui blow for blow using nothing but pure taijutsu. The fight reached its climax when Yuta blocked a particularly powerful punch and used the momentum to skid backward, putting 10 meters of distance between them. Take this. Reverse Lotus. Gyui's follow-up kick was so fast it ignited from air friction alone, trailing flames as it arced toward Yuta's chest. Strained strength fist. Yuta countered with his own chakra-enhanced technique, his fist glowing blue as it met the flaming foot in midair. Boom! The resulting shockwave forced Makoto and Toko to turn away, raising their arms to protect their faces. A massive dust cloud swallowed the combatants completely, reducing visibility to zero in the training ground. What just happened? Toko yelled over the ringing in her ears. Too much chakra interference, wait. Something's coming our way. Makoto's warning came just in time as a body came hurtling toward them through the dust. They barely managed to dive aside as Dewey's unconscious form cratered the ground where they'd been standing, his eyes swirling comically. Match over. Yuta's calm voice cut through the settling dust as he walked toward the group, barely winded despite the intense battle. After reviving Dewey with a quick medical jutsu, the team sat cross-legged on the grass while Yuta analyzed their performance. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the training ground as birds began their evening songs. I needed to properly assess your capabilities, Yuta began, his tone professional yet not unkind. Makoto, you hesitated a full second before using your fireball technique. In real combat, that's enough time to die 3 times over. Toko, your peripheral awareness needs work. You didn't sense me approaching from behind at all. He turned to Dewey, who was still rubbing his sore head. And we need to work on controlling your battle frenzy. Losing awareness of your teammates is unacceptable. Dewey nodded sheepishly, his usual boisterous energy temporarily subdued by both the thorough beating and the accurate criticism. Now, Yuta clapped his hands together, his stern expression melting into a more relaxed smile. I believe lunch is in order. My treat. Consider it our team's official founding celebration. Yes. The cheer came from all 3 students simultaneously, even the usually reserved Makoto joining in with surprising enthusiasm at the promise of free barbecue. Toko was already on her feet, brushing dirt from her clothes as she debated what cuts of meat to order first. So you're looking for those old notes of yours? Hueco raised an eyebrow as her husband tore through their storage boxes the moment he walked through the door. Shaking her head, she returned her attention to feeding their infant son, who gurgled happily in her arms. Yuta didn't look up from his search. This isn't my first time teaching. I need to review what skills are essential at their level. Proper fundamentals make all the difference. Aha! Yuta emerged victorious from a cloud of dust, clutching a thick, yellowed scroll. Thank goodness I never threw this out. Hueco sighed dramatically. A miracle indeed, considering how you treat your belongings. The next morning at Team Yuta's training ground, Makoto Uchiha accepted the proffered scroll with reverent hands. His dark eyes widened as he read the title aloud, 21 days, ninjutsu from novice to master. Indeed. Yuta nodded sagely. My personally compiled training manual. For the coming weeks, you'll divide your time between this, chakra control drills, and taijutsu practice. Makoto and Toko bowed deeply. We won't disappoint you, sensei. As Makoto departed with his new treasure, Toko trailing behind, Dewey bounced on his heels. What about me, Yuta? What's my training? Continue your usual regimen, Yuta said, but report to the hospital every 3rd day. Hueco will monitor for accumulated damage. He fixed Dewey with a stern look. No hiding injuries, they'll limit your future growth. Tears welled in Dewey's eyes. Yuta, you truly understand the springtime of youth. He struck a dramatic pose, imaginary flames erupting around him. I'll train twice as hard to honor your faith in me. Meanwhile, in the Hokage's office, Saratobi Hiruzen contemplated recent revelations. Memories of last night's visit to the Might household played through his mind, Dewey's awestruck expression when answering the door, his rapt attention during their conversation, the shining admiration when Saratobi shared words of wisdom. Simple souls are so easily inspired, the Sandame mused. No wonder his motivational speeches fell flat with jaded Chunin, he'd been targeting the wrong audience all along. Taking up his brush, Saratobi penned 4 bold characters, Will of Fire. He admired the flowing strokes with satisfaction. Those fresh-faced academy students would soak up his guidance like parched earth welcoming rain. Yes, Hidden Leaf Village's tender young leaves required careful nurturing. And he was just the gardener for the job. Chapter 16, 3 years and side hustle. Hidden Leaf Village. Year 29, 3 years had passed in the blink of an eye. In the bustling black market of the fire capital, Toko flicked her short black hair impatiently. Ugh. Sensei's always vanishing on these secret missions. Makoto, why don't we follow him this time? The Uchiha shook his spiky-haired head while examining a merchant's wares. Bad idea. Yuta-sensei's tracking skills are sharper than a hawk's. Want to be left doing D-rank missions back home? His wandering eyes suddenly locked onto a Stalzor collection. How much for these minerals? Makoto asked the vendor, a glint of interest flashing across his Sharingan. Meanwhile, in a grimy corner shop, A cloaked figure in sunglasses bargained fiercely with a bulbous-nosed merchant. 80% or nothing, the cloaked man stated flatly. Final offer. Cash payment delivered here. He slid a scrap of paper across the counter. The merchant mopped his sweaty brow. But the weapons markets crashed since the peace. 70% would barely, 80. Take it or watch your profits walk. Deal. The merchant squeaked, remembering all too well what happened last time they'd tried cheating this client. 2 years prior, when this mysterious seller first appeared with mountains of high-grade iron sand, the daimyo's greed had overridden his caution. The ambush party, comprised of the capital's finest ninja, had lasted precisely 3 seconds before being buried under a tsunami of iron. Only the merchant survived to deliver the cloaked man's message, try that again, and I'll paint your palace red. The daimyo still kept Hidden Leaf Village ninja on permanent guard duty. Good doing business. The cloaked man vanished as suddenly as he'd appeared. After weaving through back alleys to confirm no tails, the figure shed his disguise in a shadowed doorway. Silver hair glinted in the dim light as familiar fox-like eyes scanned the surroundings, none other than Yuta. Why am I here? He sighed. Because 3 kids, a pregnant wife, and Hidden Leaf Village's post-war housing crisis don't pay for themselves. The village's victory in the First Shinobi War had triggered a population boom. What was once affordable land now cost a small fortune. Even with his jonin salary and mission fees, Yuta needed alternative income streams. Thus began his iron sand operation, using his magnet style to extract ore from remote riverbeds, refining it through the earth-style techniques, and funneling it through black market channels. A far cry from teaching bright-eyed Gainin, but needs must when the wolf's at the door. Yuta allowed himself a wry smile. Reincarnated into a ninja world, still slaving for real estate. But one glance at the family portrait in his pocket, Hueco radiant with their coming twins, banished all complaints. He melted into the crowd, already planning how to surprise Makoto's team with their unexpected reunion. The Hidden Leaf Village marketplace offered no opportunities for Yuta's venture, every profitable sector was already controlled by established clans. Revealing his magnet style to compete would raise too many questions about his heritage. The capital, however, presented perfect conditions. As Fire Country's ruler, the daimyo maintained massive weapons stockpiles, requiring constant iron sand supplies. After careful reconnaissance, Yuta identified the daimyo's black market intermediary, a portly merchant with wine-stained cheeks who handled sensitive transactions. Their 2-year arrangement had proven mutually beneficial. The profits not only funded Yuta's family home construction but also secretly bankrolled Orochimaru's research. Yuta had discovered Orochimaru's private lab a year prior. The revelation brought mixed feelings. Of course it would be him, but this younger Orochimaru hadn't yet endured the tragedies that would twist his path. During an accidental meeting, Yuta issued quiet warnings against unethical extremes while offering financial support. His motivations were twofold: genuine admiration for Orochimaru's brilliant, unorthodox mind, and pragmatic prevention of Danzō's potential influence. When Yuta's bloodline abilities eventually became public knowledge, having the Snake Sanin as an ally could prove invaluable against Root's scheming. Yuta arrived at the rendezvous point to find Makoto Uchiha and Toko waiting precisely on time. The third member of their original team, Might Dewey, had ascended beyond Gainin missions after a fateful encounter with the Hokage. Saratobi's visit to Dewey's home had sparked unexpected results. Within weeks, despite his tactical shortcomings, Dewey earned Chunin promotion through sheer combat prowess. His new teammates initially mocked what they perceived as petty advancement, until a disastrous mission against trained ninja forces. Cornered and outmatched, Dewey unleashed the 6 gates. The aftermath left 8 enemy ninja dead, including 2 jonin, scattered across a cratered battlefield like broken dolls. Dewey spent 3 months hospitalized, but emerged a legend. The third Hokage personally awarded him special jonin status, cementing his reputation. Chapter 17, Fighting Kakazu. The trio had just settled into their ramen bowls when Yuta noticed Makoto Uchiha's guarded posture over his bundle. "Makoto, why not store those in a scroll?" he asked, chopsticks hovering midair. Toko huffed before Makoto could respond. "It's just worthless rocks. He won't even let me look at them properly." Yuta's eyes crinkled in amusement. If Makoto's being secretive, there's good reason. He gestured toward the door. "Shall we?" They departed the capital swiftly, 3 shadows flitting across the countryside until reaching a roadside town by noon. Over steaming bowls of noodles, Yuta dropped his bombshell. "You should apply for Chunin promotions when we return," he said casually. "I've taught you all I can these 3 years." Toko's chopsticks clattered against her bowl. "Why now?" Yuta rubbed his temples. "The triplets. With Hueco pregnant again, someone needs to rein in our little menaces." Toko burst into laughter while Makoto's lips twitched. Yuta's three sons had become hidden Leaf village legends, a whirlwind of chaos since learning to walk. Their latest escapade involved leading a neighborhood gang they dubbed the Rebel Rangers, much to the villagers' exasperation. As they resumed their journey, Yuta suddenly halted near a dense thicket. Without turning, he called out, "I'd hoped you'd given up. Persistent little spider, aren't you?" A massive figure emerged, black mask, glowing green eyes, and a slashed hidden waterfall village forehead protector. Hidden Leaf Village's Silver Fox, the bounty hunter rumbled. "Though 50 million seems cheap for prey with your senses. Kakazu?" Yuta didn't flinch. 50 million? I'm flattered. His foot slammed down, crushing a massed earth grub that had been tunneling toward them. "But hunting me requires riskier investments. You insolent brat." Kakazu's threads quivered with rage. "I battled Hashirama when you were still, then let's see those legendary skills." Yuta's hands flashed through seals. Earth style, Stone Colossus Jutsu. The ground erupted like stormy seas. First emerged gargantuan stone fingers, then an entire arm, followed by a mountainous head and torso until a 15-meter behemoth loomed over the forest. Its hollow eyes locked onto Kakazu as rubble cascaded from its awakening form. Makoto and Toko backpedaled instinctively. This was no ordinary earth clone, its chakra density warped the air, and the very soil seemed alive under its influence. Kakazu's threads lashed out, embedding in nearby trees. Earth grudge fear. 4 masked monsters tore free from his back as he activated his stolen hearts. The colossus swung. What followed wasn't battle but demolition. Each of the stone giants' movements carved new valleys into the landscape. Kakazu's lightning techniques barely scorched its surface, while water attacks simply pooled in its crevices. When the dust settled, 3 of his masks lay shattered. Panting, Kakazu assessed the smoldering crater that had been a forest. His remaining heart pulsed erratically. This wasn't fighting. This was a natural disaster given form. Yuta stood calmly atop the colossus' shoulder. "Still think 50 million covers it?" When the dust settled, a massive, 10-meter-tall stone giant stood before Kakazu. It was Yuta's modified stone man jutsu, based on the first Hokage's wood golem jutsu. It could have been larger, but against Kakazu, this size was sufficient. Yuta, wanting to test his ninjutsu, refrained from ending the battle instantly. He had no intention of killing Kakazu, the man was a valuable resource. In the future, Yuta could borrow money from him, avoiding the tedious process of panning for iron sand. To counter large psychic beasts and tailed beasts, Yuta had used an epiphany 3 years prior to develop a series of earth-style ninjutsu, inspired by wood-style. This was the perfect opportunity to test their effectiveness. Kakazu, though surprised, remained determined. "Your toy is far inferior to Hashirama's, kid." Yuta smiled. "Let's see about that." As a ninjutsu designed for large-scale enemies, it was more than just size. Kakazu leapt away from the stone giant, shedding his clothes. His mask-covered back expanded, revealing 3 black tendrils. Strange, masked monsters emerged from his body, similar to the one on the ground, but with intact masks. Looking at the monster, Kakazu's face darkened. He formed a seal. Fire style, intelligent hardness. Simultaneously, the 3 masked monsters opened their masked mouths, performing ninjutsu. Wind style, pressure damage. Lightning style, false darkness. Water style, water curtain. Kakazu, a seasoned warrior, unleashed ninjutsu far exceeding ordinary Jonin. The stone giant swayed under the combined assault. When the dust cleared, the stone giant's body was pockmarked, resembling a broken clay doll. "It's still not enough?" Yuta said, dissatisfied with the ninjutsu's defense. Kakazu cursed inwardly. "That was my strongest 5-element ninjutsu, and it barely scratched him." "You're not satisfied? Give me a break." Yuta's words fueled Kakazu's anger. "Stop underestimating me, brat." "Enough." 2 masked monsters formed seals. Composite ninjutsu, flame, wind and waves. A massive wave of fire surged towards Yuta and the stone giant. This time, the stone giant retaliated. It leapt into the air, aiming a kick at Kakazu and his monsters. The giant foot loomed over them. Seeing the attack, the 4 masked monsters retreated into Kakazu's body, transforming him into a 4-legged tentacle monster. Earth grudge fear mode. Kakazu declared, determined to take Yuta down with him. But as the stone giant's foot landed, Yuta sensed Kakazu jumping hundreds of meters away. Seeing Kakazu's quick retreat, Yuta couldn't help but twitch his mouth. He's fought the first Hokage, after all. Chapter 18, The Taste of Shinobi Running Away? That was quite decisive. Yuta deactivated his ninjutsu, glancing at the 2 monsters with broken masks on the ground, and muttered. "Uchiha-sensei, did that weirdo really fight the first Hokage?" Toko asked, curious about the encounter. Makoto Uchiha remained indifferent. Judging from the fight, the man was no match for Yuta, let alone the first Hokage. That's the situation. Yuta reported the mission to the third Hokage, including the encounter with Kakazo. Kakazo? I didn't expect him to still be alive and a rogue ninja. The third Hokage was surprised. Kakazo was a renowned ninja, and he didn't expect him to be in such a state. He looked up at Yuta. Alright, I understand. Thank you for your work. Seeing the third Hokage dismissing him, Yuta said, Third Hokage-sama, I have a personal request. The third Hokage paused, surprised. Yuta rarely asked for favors. He looked at Yuta curiously. Kiko is pregnant with twins. With the other three, our house is too small. Can you help me find land to build a bigger house? Buying land in Hidden Leaf Village required the third Hokage's approval. With Kiko 6 months pregnant, Yuta wanted to build a house quickly. Hearing this, the third Hokage felt envious. He had been married for nearly 10 years without children. Yuta, on the other hand, had 5. You don't know? He asked. Yuta, confused, asked, know what? The third Hokage lit his pipe. For land, go to Tsunade. The Senju clan owns the most land in Hidden Leaf Village. Discuss it with her, then register with Koharu. Yuta realized he had forgotten about the Senju clan, Hidden Leaf Village's largest landowners. As one of Hidden Leaf Village's founding clans, the Senju clan had received large tracts of land from Tobirama. Having settled the land issue, the third Hokage, seeing Yuta still lingering, asked, anything else? Yuta, wary of the third Hokage's impatience, said, I want to resign as their instructor. Dai left the team, and the other 2 are strong enough to be Chunin. It's pointless for me to continue. They can be Chunin. Time flies. The third Hokage, thinking of Kagami, sighed. Composing himself, he said, if they can be Chunin, have them apply. What are your future plans? He wanted to keep Yuta in Hidden Leaf Village. I'll look for a job at the academy, maybe. Get out. Don't even think about it. Yuta was unceremoniously ejected from the office. You're so irritable. Yuta strolled down the street, greeting acquaintances with a smile, muttering to himself. He stopped at a restaurant entrance. Looking at the Taste of Shinobi sign, Yuta felt a surge of pride. Things had indeed changed. Makoto Uchiha and Toko, who had been waiting, saw Yuta. Toko complained, Uchiha-sensei, you're so slow. You promised us a treat when we got back. Makoto Uchiha nudged her, reminding her to be polite. After greeting them, Yuta led them inside. Yuta-kun's here. How did the mission go? Namikaze Rukan, Minato's father, greeting guests, asked enthusiastically. Don't worry. With us, everything went smoothly, Toko replied. Hey. Yuta, you're here too? Another voice asked. Yuta nodded, seeing Sakamo Hatake and Yue drinking at a table. Yes, the food here is good. I come here often, Yuta said. Sakamo Hatake pointed at Yuta, smiling. You. He knew Yuta co-owned the restaurant, but Yuta was praising it anyway. Yuta ignored the teasing, asking Dewey, right, Dewey? Dewey, mid-meal, swallowed and said, Yuta-kun's right. The food's delicious. Sakamo Hatake smiled, taking a sip of wine. Want to join us? There are no seats left. Yes, Yuta-sensei. You being late means there are no seats, Toko complained, looking at the crowded restaurant. Yuta-kun, why don't you take Makoto-kun and Toko-kun to the lounge? Rukan, bringing dishes, suggested. That's kind of you, Yuta said, leading them to the back. Watching them leave, Dewey whispered to Sakamo Hatake, Sakamo, have you noticed? Yuta-kun's become kinder since Kiko had the children. Sakamo Hatake looked at Dewey, surprised. Was this the same simple-minded Dewey? Sakamo Hatake had noticed Yuta's changes. But as an Anbu, he couldn't discuss Yuta's dealings with the higher-ups. Chapter 19, The Namikaze's and Unruly Kid's Taste of Shinobi opened 3 years prior. Yuta, aware of Minato's eventual orphanhood, proposed a business partnership to Rukan, Minato's father, who was struggling financially. They agreed that Rukan would manage the restaurant, while Yuta would provide the capital. The question of what kind of establishment to open posed a dilemma. Rukan's wife, a skilled cook, suggested a restaurant. Yuta, confirming her talent, provided recipes from his past life. 2 months later, Taste of Shinobi opened. On opening day, Yuta invited Jiraiya, Orochimaru, Tsunade, and Sakamo Hatake, who all gave rave reviews. The restaurant quickly became popular, boasting booming business. With the restaurant's income, Rukan no longer needed to leave the village for work, ensuring Minato, now 3, grew up with both parents. During their meal, Makoto Uchiha praised the boiled fish. It's always so good. Yeah. Toko added, even though others try to copy the signature dishes, they're not as good here. Yuta smiled. If you like it, come often. Toko complained, it's delicious, but expensive. Rukun-san is too greedy. She ate fiercely, as if devouring Rukun himself. Makoto Uchiha whispered, Yuta-sensei owns this place. Huh? What? You're all tricking me. I paid last time. Toko grabbed Makoto Uchiha's collar. Sensei. Makoto Uchiha choked, begging for mercy. Seeing Makoto Uchiha's distress, Toko released him, glaring at Yuta. Yuta-sensei, that's half a month's living expenses. It seems you're not happy about celebrating my birthday, Yuta said, feigning disappointment. No, it's just. You kept it from me, Toko stammered. Ahem. I almost died. Toko-san, are you trying to kill me? Makoto Uchiha said, recovering. Haha, sorry, Makoto-kun. Toko said, making him shudder. After their meal, they encountered Minato at the door, heading home. Minato greeted them politely. Hello, Yuta-san. Makoto. Toko-ne. Seeing Minato's polite demeanor, Yuta thought of his own mischievous triplets, feeling a surge of parental exasperation. Boom. The front door rattled as Yuta entered to find Kiko brandishing a duster at their three mud-streaked sons. Her pregnant belly strained against her apron as she demanded, explain why you threw Granny Nadeshiko's cat in the river. The boys stood in a guilty line. Ganta, the round-faced eldest with Yuta's silver hair, jutted his chin defiantly. Jiro, his miniature clone, observed through half-lidded eyes. Yodo, their blonde youngest, sniffled with downcast eyes. Yuta swiftly confiscated the duster and guided Kiko to a chair. Easy now, he murmured before turning to the boys. We had a deal before I left, you protect Mom, not stress her. His voice softened. Breaking promises isn't what good boys do. Ganta's cheeks puffed. We weren't. It's just. Jiro finished smoothly, testing if cats can swim. Hardly worth the fuss. Yodo peeked at his brothers before latching onto Yuta's leg. And my idea. His tears soaked Yuta's pants. We didn't mean, hick, to scare it. Yuta scooped up the sobbing child, tucking Yodo's face against his neck. There now, little man. Tears won't fix this. As Yodo quieted, Yuta studied his older sons, Ganta's stubborn pout, Jiro's infuriating calm. Ganta, explain. The eldest stiffened but held ground. We saw it watching fish. Jiro asked why cats don't just grab them, and the story tumbled out. That morning by the riverbank, Jiro's innocent question sparked debate among their playgroup. Could cats swim? Yodo's solution, let's find out, led to grabbing the tabby and hurling it into the current. Panicked, the cat clawed a bystander. By noon, angry parents arrived with the scratched child. Kiko had barely smoothed things over when Granny Nadeshiko appeared, cradling her shivering pet. The elderly woman lived alone, that cat was her sole companion. Kiko's apology tour ended as Yuta arrived home to this scene. Now, watching Yodo sneak glances at his brothers from the safety of his arms, Yuta suppressed a groan. These kids. Chapter 20, Enlightenment and Hyruen is shameless, determined to give his children proper moral grounding, and prevent future devoted sons like Hitachi. Yuta made a radical decision. His boys would win at the starting line through Confucian education. For days, he painstakingly adapted the three-character classic and standards for being a good pupil into ninja world-appropriate verses. People at birth are naturally good. 6 paths taught ninjutsu. Diligence is rewarding. He'd removed all feudal hierarchies, focusing instead on diligence, community, and Hidden Leaf Village's history. Their guest room now served as a classroom, its walls papered with schedules. 6:00 a.m., wake up 6:30, taijutsu drills 8:00, recitation. Kneeling at the makeshift podium, Yuta watched his 3 sons mumble through the text. A warm satisfaction filled him. This was the teacher's joy he'd missed in his past life. Through the doorway, Kiko caressed her pregnant belly, smiling at the scene. The transformation proved miraculous. With Yuta's sons occupied, Hidden Leaf Village's streets grew quieter, no more Rebel Ranger patrols. One morning post-training, as the family prepared breakfast, an unexpected visitor appeared, Sakamo Hokage, his silver hair as wild as ever. Join us? Yuta offered, waving a rice paddle. Sakamo didn't bother with pleasantries. The Hokage summons you. Immediately. Then he vanished in a swirl of leaves. Yuta scowled at his interrupted meal. What now? Though still restricted from advanced ninjutsu, Yuta enjoyed surprising privileges, light workload, generous home time. Was it kindness? Or a gilded cage? The Sandame's care always carried multiple meanings. Class cancelled, Yuta announced. As his sons cheered, he set off for the Hokage Tower, mind racing through possible reasons for this summons. The Hokage's office smelled of tobacco and old parchment. Saratobi studied Yuta over steepled fingers. Your educational reforms interest me. He slid forward a scroll, Uchiha's adapted 3-character classic. The council wishes to implement this village-wide. Uchiha's eyes narrowed. My humble attempt at parenting hardly warrants, precisely. Sarutobi's pipe jabbed emphatically. Parenting. These verses instill loyalty young. After recent incidents, we need stronger foundations. The unspoken reference to Uchiha tensions hung heavy. Yuta understood, this wasn't about education but ideological control. Yet refusing risked suspicion. Of course, he said smoothly. Though proper teachers would need training. Sarutobi smiled. Naturally. You'll lead the program. A masterstroke, binding Yuta further to Hidden Leaf Village while exploiting his creation. As Yuta bowed, he noted the third's calculating gaze. Their game continued, just on a new board. Knock knock knock. Despite his irritation, Yuta maintained protocol as he knocked on the Hokage's office door. Enter. The third's voice carried its usual warmth. Inside, Yuta found Sarutobi buried under paperwork, a sight that still commanded respect. The aging leader straightened documents before smiling up at him. Yuta. Good of you to come. Yuta's grunt made his displeasure clear. Sarutobi lit his pipe, smoke curling to mask his discomfort. From a drawer, he produced a freshly printed book. Review this first. Yuta's brow furrowed. In all his years under surveillance, the Hokage had never shared documents privately. He accepted the volume, then froze. 3-character classic by Sarutobi Hyruen and Yuta. His usually narrowed eyes flew wide. Since when did we co-author anything? And why am I second? Sarutobi took an elaborate puff, avoiding Yuta's stunned gaze. Ahem. Review it thoroughly. Yuta flipped through the pages with growing disbelief. The core was his work, yes, but now featuring additions like, the third Hokage rules with tireless care, bearing burdens none would dare. Half an hour later, he snapped the book shut. You've improved it. Ah. Sarutobi seized the olive branch. When I saw your home curriculum, its educational value was obvious. With minor edits, it could benefit all Hidden Leaf Village's youth. Minor edits? Uchiha's eye twitched at the shameless self-praise woven throughout. Do as you please, he muttered. The Hokage's pipe clattered onto the desk. Guilt and desperation warred in his expression before he rasped, one viewing of the scroll of seals. 30 minutes, memorize what you can. This was unprecedented. The Forbidden Scroll contained Hidden Leaf Village's most powerful techniques, strictly off-limits to Yuta. Yet its value paled beside what Sarutobi stole today, not just words, but the power to shape young minds. Yuta inclined his head. The deal was struck. Chapter 21, Danzō's anger. The moment Yuta left the Hokage Tower, storm clouds gathered in its office. Danzō, having somehow learned of the scroll's viewing, burst in with Koharu and Hamura in tow. Hyruen. Koharu's cane struck the floor. The ban on Yuta was a council decision. You dare override us? Hamura adjusted his glasses. As advisors, we demand you restrict him from using those techniques. The man's too dangerous. Danzō's laugh dripped venom. Or have you forgotten his transformation? He's worse than any Uchiha. Sarutobi exhaled smoke, masking his disdain. Political infants. Had he not noticed the textbook's value? The propaganda coup? My decision stands. Koharu's face purpled. What hold does that man have over you? I accept full responsibility. Danzō's eye narrowed. That empty phrase, Hyruzen's tell when committed to something big. Whatever Yuta offered, it outweighed Hidden Leaf Village's security concerns. Let Rude handle surveillance, Danzō tested. If he, no. The Hokage's pipe clinked against its stand, finality in the sound. Rude headquarters ceramic shattered as Danzō hurled his ink pot. You'll regret this, Hyruzen. A masked agent materialized. Lord Danzō. Take Squad 5 to Yuta's compound. Danzō's knuckles whitened around his desk. Bring him here. Casualties. Permitted. As the agent vanished, Danzō stared at his reflection in a kunai. He'd tolerated the silver-haired enigma for years, the mission completions justified the risk. But this? Trading forbidden knowledge like market goods? No. Before Yuta became another Orochimaru, he'd prune this weed himself. Yuta's residence cross-legged in his courtyard, Yuta sensed the approaching chakra signatures. Behind him, the house stood silent, Kiko and the children safely inside after Might Dai's warning run to the Hokage. 23. No, 26. En route, moving with kill team precision. Yuta's lips thinned. He could reduce them to iron-laced corpses in minutes. But that would sacrifice the life he'd built, the home where his son's laughter still echoed from this morning's reading lesson. So he waited. Let Hyruzen clean his own mess. The first shuriken whizzed from the trees. Yuta didn't blink as it embedded itself in the dirt before him, a formal challenge. Game on. Here I come. Yuta rose, a kunai slipping into his palm. His customary smile vanished, replaced by the cold focus of a predator. Danzō's days were numbered. He would be removed. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. 5 root operatives materialized in the courtyard. Their leader's voice cut through the dusk. By Lord Hokage's authority, you will come with us. The kunai in his grip left no room for refusal. Yuta's senses prickled, 3 more signatures slinking toward the house. Toward Hueco. Did Danzō send you? How dare, die. The world blurred. 5 throats opened before the first drop hit the soil. Yuta was already moving, sandals slapping against wooden flooring as he charged. Boom. The wall exploded outward. A black-clad body sailed through the air. Yuta batted it aside like a bothersome fly. Inside, Hueco stood amidst splintered furniture, medical chakra glowing around her fists as 2 root agents twitched at her feet. The children huddled behind a chakra barrier in the corner, wide-eyed but unharmed. A gust of wind, Dewey crashed through the doorway with Sarutobi and Anbu in tow. The Hokage took in the scene, the corpses, the shattered home, Yuta's bloodied blade. Yuta, Sarutobi began, voice grave, this overreach won't go unanswered. Overreach? Yuta nearly laughed. The old monkey's eyes told another story. Here was the excuse he needed to prune Danzō's power. He was also dissatisfied with his old friend for what happened today. He finally found a way to improve his political prestige, but he wanted to ruin it for him. Has Danzō become too arrogant? Yuta did not take Hiruzen seriously, but wasn't he planning to build a new house recently? Although he had already obtained the land from Senju, building a house would cost money. Today, he will use this opportunity to get the money for building a house. Compensation, Yuta stated flatly. Land and construction costs. Sarutobi's mustache twitched. A pause, then a nod. The unspoken pact was sealed. Danzō's coffers would fund Yuta's new home. As the Hokage departed, Yuta watched the Anbu collect bodies. Somewhere in Hidden Leaf Village, a certain warhawk was unknowingly bankrolling his own demise. Chapter 22, Hiruzen. The Fog Hiruzen has always been vigorous and decisive when it comes to matters that can enhance his political prestige. And so it was. A week after his deal with Yuta, the students of the Ninja Academy all had an additional basic course. The 3-character classic, written by the 3rd Hokage and filled in by Yuta, was the textbook for this course. This was probably the first time that a textbook had more words filled in than the original written text. Since learning this course, the students had been full of respect for the Hokage. Especially the sentence, "The 3rd Hokage has always been diligent and kind to the people," moved those innocent students deeply. For example, in the Senju clan's current territory, Nawaki, who had just returned home from school, was showing off his newly learned 3-character classic to his grandmother and sister. Nawaki was very proud, as this was the best subject he had learned. As for the rest, it was better not to say anything. Mito sat on the side, listening with a smile. When Nawaki recited the 1st and 2nd Hokage, Mito couldn't help but feel melancholy. As a person who had experienced that era, she had witnessed that magnificent history with her own eyes. Heroes before and after the village was built, such as Senju Hashirama, Senju Tobirama, Madara Uchiha, Hyuga Tenin, etc., appeared one after another, and, of course, the 1st and 2nd generation Kages of other villages. They brought a colorful end to the chaotic warring states period. Thinking about it, almost 30 years had passed, and she had become an antique leftover from the previous era. It seemed she had to choose the next Jinchuriki as soon as possible. She didn't know how long she could hold on. Kobai, who was also reminiscing about the past in Mito's stomach, suddenly felt a chill on his back and couldn't help shivering. When he was unhappy, he would make a fuss. Nine-tailed fox had always been so straightforward. What's wrong again? Kobai. Mito, whose memories were interrupted by the unusual movement in the seal, appeared in a sealed space and asked the big fox gently. Who wrote the book your grandson is reciting? It's so hypocritical. It's written so well, but what human wrote such a thing? Be strict with yourself and lenient with others. What a bullshit. You haven't forgotten how that guy Hashirama treated me in the past? Kobai, you are too strong and need to be sealed. He did it to me before I could react. He also said that I was too strong, but he is much stronger than me, so why doesn't he be strict with himself as well? It's all bullshit. Listening to the Nine-Tails' constant complaints, Mito knew that the fox was pissed off. Apart from the time when it was summoned by Madara Uchiha, it was probably the most aggrieved when it was sealed by Hashirama. Think about it. If anyone was sleeping in his own bed, and suddenly a powerful man comes and tells them that he wants to seal them because they are too strong. Looking at the smiling old hag in front of him, the chill he felt just now crept up Nine-Tailed Fox's back again. Hey! You dying hag, I'm warning you not to mess around. Listening to the Nine-Tailed Fox's threatening words, Mito's lips curled up a little. He asked Kurama with a playful look. What bad intentions could I have? How could I not understand you? Kurama raised his head proudly and glanced at Mito disdainfully. All right. Your rant is over, I'm leaving now. Mito's playful demeanor vanished, replaced by a stern expression as she exited the sealed space, leaving Kibai to fume. The moment Mito departed, Nawaki, who had been reciting, was embroiled in a heated argument with Tsunade. Tsunade, arms crossed, scoffed, he's just a lecherous old man. All that diligent and caring nonsense is for simpletons. That's a lie. It's in the book. The teacher said the Hokage is a selfless hero, a beacon for Hidden Leaf Village. I'm going to be Hokage someday. Nawaki retorted, shaking his tiny fist. Mito, observing Nawaki's unwavering conviction, felt a pang of nostalgia. The boy's resolve echoed a familiar voice, a figure who once declared, I will end this war. The same fire, the same spirit. A resolve hardened in Mito's heart, she would pave the way for Nawaki's ambition. And Yuta, with his quiet strength, could potentially be his shield. Looks like I'll be disappointing those monkeys, she murmured. Meanwhile, parents across Hidden Leaf Village were reeling from their children's three-character classic homework. The third Hokage, it seemed, was not only a powerful leader but a great philosopher. The concise, catchy verses covered history, astronomy, morality, and even local legends. The village was awestruck. The third Hokage's prestige soared, and the Hokage dream ignited in every young ninja's heart. As for Yuta, the co-author, he was a footnote. Bang. Another penholder met its demise. Damn him. I knew Sarutobi was plotting something with that Yuta brat. He's stealing my glory. Danzō seethed, his bandaged form trembling. That fraud. He's a charlatan. Why does he get the acclaim? I should be sitting on that Hokage seat. Madness flickered in Danzō's eyes, a hunger to consume Sarutobi and Yuta. He recalled the Hokage's punishment, not just a hefty fine, but the transfer of his elite battalion to Anbu. A brutal amputation. His route was decimated, down to 10 loyalists. How would he operate now? How would he secure those lucrative clan investments? A phantom pain shot through his bandaged waist. Chapter 23, Shameless Politicians. No one anticipated the explosive influence of the three-character classic and its rapid spread. The Fire Nation capital, Daimyo's palace. Gentlemen, examine this text. Share your thoughts. I intend to make it the official Enlightenment textbook for the entire Fire Nation. The daimyo presented a copy of the three-character classic. An elderly, dignified minister took the book first, scanning it quickly. As a general advising the daimyo, he possessed keen political instincts. He immediately grasped the book's potential to bolster public loyalty and solidify the daimyo's rule. However, the text heavily praised the Hokage, neglecting the daimyo's achievements. The Hokage's sections needed removal, replaced with the daimyo's legacy. Yet, as the leading official, he couldn't voice his concerns directly. He passed the book to the Minister of Culture, feigning contemplation. The Minister of Culture, a learned scholar, initially scoffed. Why convene all officials for a mere textbook? But as he skimmed the pages, he became engrossed. The court watched as the Minister of Culture excitedly muttered to himself. Upon finishing, he held the book aloft. A masterpiece. The third Hokage is a genius. He bowed to the daimyo. Your Highness, entrust me with this book's dissemination. Such a work should reach the masses. The daimyo smiled. As Fire Country's ruler, he was no political novice. Though Hidden Leaf Village held his safety hostage due to his own greed, he understood the value of the three-character classic. Like the general, he noted the overemphasis on the Hokage. While it fostered national identity, it risked shifting loyalty to the Hokage. But he couldn't voice this directly. He waited for another to speak. Faced with the Minister of Culture's fervor, the daimyo promised him the book's distribution, calming the old man. Then, a minister interrupted. This is wrong. Your Highness, this book cannot be promoted as it is. The Minister of Culture bristled. Inappropriate? Explain yourself, or I'll immortalize your ignorance. The daimyo intervened, then subtly encouraged the dissenting minister. Emboldened, the minister addressed the court. I don't deny its merit. But the daimyo's contributions are absent. Is it wise to proceed? The other ministers, suddenly enlightened, glanced at the ninja guards, their thoughts concealed. Finally, they debated how to edit the text. The general proposed a solution, retained the original content but had the daimyo's achievements before each Hokage's entry. Thus, the three-character classic, initially a personal teaching tool, spread across the ninja world, edited and revised. Sarutobi Hiruzen's reputation as a literary master was cemented. Reports circulated of frequent penholder replacements at root headquarters. Daimyo from various lands sent royalties to Sarutobi Hiruzen, and even the Kage of other villages sent supplies, showing their respect. Yuta stared at the dozens of slightly altered three-character classic copies before him. Beyond the historical edits, his authorship credit varied wildly. The Hidden Leaf Village version correctly listed him as co-author, but others demoted him to third author, or outright erased him. Politics, as expected. Yuta sighed. He gathered the diverse volumes and headed for the Hokage building. Sarutobi, you'll regret this. Yuta overheard Danzō's trademark threat as he approached the door, which then swung open. Danzō, seething, glared at Yuta. Humphrey. Yuta wasn't surprised. Danzō's animosity had intensified since their last encounter. Yuta's here, please, sit. Sarutobi greeted him warmly. The third Hokage was riding high. His literary master title resonated across the ninja world, solidifying his position and rivaling even the second Hokage's legacy. The narrative had shifted. The first was the military Hokage, conquering with force, while the third was the civil Hokage, leading Hidden Leaf Village to prosperity through benevolence and political skill. The influx of royalties eased Hidden Leaf Village's financial strain. Sarutobi knew Yuta was the source of this windfall. His wife's recent pregnancy further cemented his gratitude. He was exceptionally cordial. Yuta skipped pleasantries. He dumped the altered three-character classic copies before Sarutobi, offering only a silent, pointed stare. So, he's here, Sarutobi mused, recognizing Yuta's purpose. He took a long drag of his cigarette. 5,000ths? He ventured. Yuta remained silent, settling onto the sofa, his gaze unwavering. After a period of amicable negotiation, Yuta secured 10,000 square meters of land near his new home. Combined with his Senju clan purchase, his estate now spanned 13,000 square meters. The village would fund construction, while Danzō's compensation would cover decor. Coupled with 3 S-rank missions and the sealbook access, these were Yuta's gains from the literary master incident. Though he felt slightly shortchanged, he had secured a future ninjutsu source justification. Chapter 24, New Home. The three-character classic phenomenon plunged the ninja world into an unusual state. Previously, it was a cycle of conflict and quiet preparation. Now, a learning craze swept the land. Ninjas, officials, even rural civilians devoured the text, each nation's daimyo promoting their own edited versions. They weren't fools. They understood, ingrain the book's ideals, and their rule would solidify. Hidden Leaf Village, Hokage's office. The third Hokage gazed at the literary master plaque, its golden characters gleaming. He savored the sight. Funded by various daimyo, their seals adorned its base. He relished the admiration he received. Bang! A white-haired figure crashed through the window. Jiraiya, I've told you, use the door. The third Hokage, facing Jiraiya's nonchalance, struggled to suppress his irritation. As the saying goes, if a teacher is not strict, the student will be lazy. I've been too lenient. You don't act like a student of the literary master at all. Jiraiya, anticipating a lecture, quickly interrupted. Alright, Sarutobi-sensei, I was wrong. He even offered the third Hokage a seat. Since his teacher's literary master ascension, he'd grown fond of displaying his knowledge. A window entrance now warranted a lengthy moral lecture, complete with 3-character classic quotes. Tsunade avoided the office entirely. Only dire circumstances forced Jiraiya's presence. Seeing Jiraiya's compliance, the third Hokage nodded. So, what brings you here? You've been neglecting your teacher. Yes, I'll tell Tsunade and Orochimaru to visit more. I was rushed this time. Jiraiya dared not argue. He'd pawn off the visits. The third Hokage, pleased, didn't notice the loophole. Good. He relished his teaching role. Jiraiya, sensing his teacher's good mood, broached his request. Sensei, can I borrow some money? Yuta's moving into a new house, and I need a gift. Anticipating the third Hokage's anger, he added, Tsunade borrowed all mine. The third Hokage sighed. His star students were a constant source of frustration. He reluctantly gave Jiraiya money, sending him away. Watching Jiraiya leave, the third Hokage's gaze darkened. Does he truly not care? Or is he feigning indifference? He knew the literary master title's origins. He needed its influence and to curtail Yuta's rising prominence. He was aware of the disdainful looks from Danzō and Tsunade. But prestige and Yuta's containment outweighed their opinions. This is for Hidden Leaf Village, he declared, though the statement felt hollow. Yuta's new home buzzed with activity, children's laughter mingling with adult chatter. Kiko, radiant with pregnancy, prepared for the housewarming celebration. A scene of idyllic joy, smiles gracing every face. Ganta, Jiro, Yuto, Nawaki, and the village's younger children played together. Yuta had invited Sarutobi, but he declined, citing official duties, promising a lavish gift instead. Yuta knew Sarutobi felt awkward. The literary master incident had greatly benefited the Hokage, not the true architect. Yuta was unconcerned. The gift mattered, not the presence. An absent Sarutobi avoided any potential tension. Might Dewey, Sakamo Hatake, and Rukan gathered in the yard, admiring Yuta's new home. Yuta, disliking traditional Japanese architecture, had replicated a Jiangnan Gardens layout. The guests marveled at the scenery. Kiko, having finished her preparations, entertained the female guests. Their conversations centered on Kiko's health and prolific fertility. 5 children in a few years, with 2 more on the way. Jiraiya arrived with Tsunade and Orochimaru, meeting Yuta at the entrance. Jiraiya had planned a solo visit, but Tsunade and Orochimaru intervened. Tsunade, having squandered their funds, fretted over a gift. Orochimaru, equally broke, had sought repayment. The outcome was predictable. Seeing Jiraiya's carefully chosen gift, they joined him, sharing the cost. Jiraiya, outvoted, reluctantly agreed. Orochimaru offered an awkward greeting. Yuta, noting their empty hands and Jiraiya's flushed face, understood the situation. But Yuta didn't mind. Their presence was a courtesy. He wouldn't have expected gifts, unlike from Sarutobi. Chapter 25, Twins Clang. 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 The rhythmic clang of metal echoed from Yuta's new home's forge. Inside, Yuta hammered a rough workpiece with focused intensity. In 2 months, his triplets would turn 3, marking the start of their formal training. After careful consideration, Ganta, the eldest, opted for the turret route, favoring the safety of ranged ninjutsu. He possessed a steady demeanor. Jiro, mirroring Yuta, chose the path of the swordsman. Yuto, intelligent yet less resolute, decided to follow Kiko's footsteps as a medical ninja. Despite the medical field's perilous reputation, Kiko was overjoyed. She immediately began preparing Yuto for the rigorous training. Yuto was currently crafting a ninja sword for Jiro. His mining endeavors had yielded rare ores, ample for crafting chakra-enhanced weapons. However, he deemed such powerful weapons premature, opting for a simple ninja sword for Jiro's initial training. As Yuta worked, Ganta rushed in, his small face flushed with exertion. Huff, huff, he gasped, addressing Yuta anxiously, "Dad, come quickly. Mom's in pain. She told me to get you." Whoosh. Ganta blinked, confused by his father's sudden disappearance. As he prepared to relay the message, whoosh. Yuta reappeared. Without a word, Yuta scooped up Ganta and leapt onto the rooftop, returning to Kiko's room in a few swift bounds. Inside, he gently placed Ganta down and rushed to Kiko's bedside. "How are you?" he asked, his voice laced with concern. Kiko, pale and sweating, lay on the bed. "My water broke. We need help now." Yuta turned to the triplets. "Stay here and take care of your mother. I'll be right back." He vanished again, a black blur against the night sky. Yuta traversed the rooftops at breakneck speed. Kiko's early labor, a month premature, had caught them unprepared. He arrived at the Senju compound, finding Tsunade locked in a familiar argument with Nawaki. Ever since Nawaki's exposure to the 3-character classic, this had become a daily ritual. "Tsunade, we need to go, now." "Kiko's in labor," he urged. Tsunade, abandoning her debate, followed Yuta without hesitation. "What? The 3rd Hokage is a good man. Why does my sister hate him?" Nawaki grumbled, oblivious to the urgency. Mido, drawn by the commotion, overheard Nawaki's remark. She glanced in Yuta's direction, a flicker of contemplation in her eyes. She turned to Nawaki, instructing him to finish his homework. Then, returning to her room, she hesitated, then resolutely retrieved a scroll and began inscribing it. At Yuta's home, Yuta paced outside the delivery room, his anxiety growing with each muffled sound. "Yuta, relax a little. Didn't Tsunade say that the fetus is in the right position?" Seeing Yuta walking around and sweating, Sakamo Hatake consoled him. Yuta smiled bitterly when he heard that. He couldn't relax. Maybe he has something on his mind. In the past few years, he feels that the closer he is to the world, the less he can hide his feelings. Maybe this is what Hiruzen want to see? Just as he was about to say something, he heard a baby crying. He was happy and was about to run over. Sakamo held him back and said, "Why are you running over? Can't Tsunade let you go to the delivery room now?" Upon hearing this, Yuta stopped walking and smiled awkwardly. He was also confused, forgetting that this world is not the technologically advanced era of the future. Under current conditions, women will try to reduce pollution sources during childbirth, so it is impossible for a husband to accompany a woman during childbirth. Last time, he was beaten out by Mido, the midwife. After a while, another baby cried. Everyone was stunned. It was indeed a double bonus. Although everyone had known about it for a long time, they still couldn't help but envy. Especially Sakamo Hatake and Might Dewey, 2 singles. Seeing that Yuta, who was the same age as them, already had 5 children. They didn't even know where the mother of their own future children was. They also began to worry. After a while, the door of the delivery room opened, and Tsunade came out with a smile, congratulating Yuta. Mother and child are safe, and they are twins, a boy and a girl. The older one is a girl. Hearing this, Yuta suddenly grinned and almost went crazy. Hiruzen, who rushed over after hearing the news, was also beaming with joy. Twins are great. This will further deepen the bond between Yuta and Hidden Leaf Village. At this time, Dai suddenly said, Yuta, you have so many children. It must be difficult to name them, right? What's the matter? Yuta is. Tsunade, who was outspoken, almost revealed the truth that Yuta is a literary master, but was covered her mouth by the quick-eyed and quick-handed Tsukumo Hokage. This cannot be said carelessly. The third Hokage is now gaining popularity, and Hidden Leaf Village is also thriving. If people knew at this time that the third Hokage was a deceitful person, it would cause a big mess. Even Danzō would not dare to make a fuss about this. Tsunade also knew that she almost caused a big mess just now. After pulling away from Tsukumo Hokage's hand, she just glared at him fiercely and didn't hit him. The third Hokage remained calm and kindly teased Ganta and the others, who were looking worried. They already knew that their mother was going to give birth to a brother or sister for them. When they heard the noise in the house, they also knew that the brother or sister had been born. But their father and the others ignored the 3 of them, and they were worried that their parents would not want them anymore. At this time, an old man finally arrived to come to comfort them. They thought the old man was a good person. After seeing Hiruzen's behavior, Yuta finally realized that he had ignored Ganta and the others and hurried over to hug them and comfort them. Seeing Yuta coaxing the kids, Hiruzen felt relieved a lot. At least Yuta still cared about his family, otherwise, there would be no way to stop Yuta from making trouble. It took Yuta a lot of effort to calm the 3 older children. Tsunade and Ruken's wife went back in, each holding a child. Fortunately, the people in the Naruto world have better physical constitutions, and there is also the experience of Ganta and the others last time. Otherwise, Yuta would really think that Tsunade had some bad intentions towards his kids. Looking at the 2 wrinkled babies, Yuta asked with concern, "How is Kiko?" Tsunade rolled her eyes at Yuta. "Go and see her yourself if you want to know." After that, he and Ruken's wife took the child back to the house. Yuta also wanted to go in and take a look, but it was not easy to leave all the guests here. He had to send them away one by one before he hurried to see Kiko's condition. No one noticed that the third Hokage's steps returned much faster. Chapter 26, The Uneasy Ninja World. As Yuta celebrated his twins' arrival, a storm brewed elsewhere. The land of water. Damn this monster. A mist ninja knelt, clutching his injured arm, watching his comrades fall to a rampaging slug monster. Despair etched his features. The monster's 6 tails lashed out, pulverizing mist ninjas. Their ninjutsu proved futile. Those who can fight, now. Great Waterfall Jutsu. 30 surviving mist ninjas aligned, hands flashing through seals. Water style, Great Waterfall Jutsu. The combined force unleashed a colossal wave. The monster, unfazed, charged a massive purple chakra ball in its maw, warping the air. It lunged, the chakra ball colliding with the wave. Boom. The impact sent the mist ninjas sprawling. They scrambled up, eyes fixed on the monster. The smoke cleared, revealing the monster unscathed. Another chakra ball formed in its mouth. The leading mist ninja's hope dwindled. "Where's Mizukage-sama?" "We're finished." The monster unleashed the chakra ball. Just as despair settled, a freezing gust erupted. Ice-style secret jutsu, a massive ice wall materialized. Boom. Chakra ball met ice, a miniature mushroom cloud blooming. When the light subsided, the third Mizukage stood before them, shadow hat and cloak billowing. As a Mizunotsuki clan member with ice style, he possessed the means to handle tailed beasts. He ascended, hands weaving seals. Ice style, ice without prison. A colossal ice orb encased the monster. "Seal team. Seal it, quickly. This won't hold long. We're saved. Mizukage-sama is incredible. We were helpless, but he ended it in one move." "Of course. The third Sama is the strongest Mizukage ever. A mere tailed beast is nothing." "Exactly. As the 3-character classic says, in the 3 dynasties, the glaciers were driven away. The enemy fled while the battle was at the front." How apartment. The third Mizukage, despite his stoic demeanor, felt a surge of pride. "Mizukage-sama, the seal is complete. But it'll only last 6 months. Its chakra is increasingly volatile." 6 months? The Mizukage frowned. "Yes. It's growing stronger, more resistant." "Understood." He waved a dismissive hand. "Rescue the wounded, return to the village. I have other matters." He retreated to his office, ignoring the awestruck gazes. He penned several secret letters. Turtle. Swoosh. A hidden mist village Anbu materialized. Deliver these. Discreetly. Yes. After the Anbu's departure, the third Mizukage rubbed his temples. The battle, though swift, had taxed him heavily. The chakra drain left him lightheaded. A few days later, the third Raikage, examining the Mizukage's secret letter, weighed his own tailed beast and Mido's presence. He relayed to the messenger, "Inform your Mizukage of my agreement." Simultaneously, the third Tsuchikage Anoki of Hidden Stones Village, the third Kazekage of Hidden Sand Village, and even Hanzo of Hidden Rain Village received the Mizukage's missive, all ultimately consenting to his proposition. Thus, amidst the three-character classic learning frenzy, a wave of inconspicuous travelers infiltrated the land of whirlpools, vanishing into the shadows. While the ninja world simmered with intrigue, Yuta battled a different kind of chaos. Oh. Don't cry, please. He cradled his wailing daughter, attempting to soothe her. Wah. The fifth child joined the chorus. Kiko entered, observing Yuta's frantic state. She swiftly scooped up the fifth child, her touch revealing the problem. He's soiled. She rolled her eyes at Yuta's cluelessness, expertly changing the diaper. She then retrieved the fourth child, discovering a similar issue. Watching Kiko effortlessly calm the twins, Yuta sighed in relief. Perhaps we should hire nannies? This is driving me insane. Kiko, seeing her exhausted husband, nodded in agreement. Two should suffice. Caring for so many is overwhelming. The older ones have been uncharacteristically quiet, fearing we've abandoned them. And the twins require constant attention. She felt a pang of guilt for the older children's anxiety. The twins' newborn needs had overshadowed Ganta and his siblings, leading them to believe their parents no longer cared. Following their discussion, Yuta sought Mido's assistance in finding reliable nannies. Despite the Senju clan's improved circumstances, many widowed women with children struggled financially. This offered them a chance at independence. Mido presented several candidates, and Yuta selected two honest-looking middle-aged women, thanking Mido for her aid. With the nanny's arrival, Yuta felt a weight lift. He focused on the older children's education and training. Seeing their father's renewed attention, they relaxed, their fears assuaged. On their third birthday, Yuta gathered Ganta and his siblings, initiating their chakra refinement training. He observed their attentive postures, a flicker of satisfaction in his eyes. Chakra is the energy produced by the harmonious fusion of physical and spiritual energies. He explained chakra's nature, properties, and classifications, including bloodline limits. Finally, he addressed them solemnly. Our Yuta family possesses a unique bloodline limit, magnet style. If you awaken it, you must not reveal it to anyone except your mother without my explicit permission. Nor are you to display your bloodline ninjutsu indiscriminately. Understood? Yes. We understand. We promise to keep it secret. The children, sensing their father's gravity, readily agreed. Chapter 27, My son's talent. After instructing his three sons on the basics, Yuta began guiding them in chakra refinement. First, the usually less energetic Yuta focused his will, and his chakra stirred. A delighted expression lit his small face, and the yellow strands of his hair seemed to gain a brighter hue. Yuta, observing Yuta's success, approached, gently ruffled his hair, and gestured for quiet. Yuta nodded proudly, standing beside Yuta, watching his brothers diligently work on their own chakra. Soon after, Ganta and Giro also successfully refined their initial chakra. However, Jiro didn't share the same elation. He looked at Yuta, a puzzled frown creasing his brow. Dad, when I drew out my chakra, I felt something strange. It was like it could move things, but I'm not sure what. Oh? Yuta was taken aback. Could Giro have awakened magnet style already? Yuta picked up a metal screw. Try this, he instructed Giro. Ganta and Yuta leaned in curiously, their eyes fixed on the screw in Yuta's hand. They knew their own bloodline limits would eventually manifest, but they hadn't expected Giro to be the first. Concentrating on the screw, Giro strained to recall the peculiar sensation he'd felt during refinement. He focused his chakra, attempting to influence the object in Yuta's grasp. The screw in Yuta's fingers twitched, moving almost imperceptibly. Ganta and Yuta gasped softly, their gazes shifting to Jiro with a hint of envy. Huh. No more chakra. Though the screw had only shifted a few centimeters, it was undeniable. Jiro had indeed awakened magnet style. But Yuta's expression wasn't one of joy. He looked at Jiro with a serious demeanor. In the ninja world, early bloodline awakening often signified great potential. However, it could also be a dangerous omen. A body unprepared for the bloodline's power could succumb, leading to a premature death. Itachi and Kimimaro were stark reminders of this risk. Therefore, confirming Jiro's magnet style brought worry, not celebration. Yuta feared the early awakening would harm his son's young body. He gave Ganta and Yuto further instructions, emphasizing the secrecy of what had just transpired. Then, he took Jiro to find Kiko. Kiko looked up, a question in her eyes as she saw her husband and Jiro approaching, their faces somber. Yuta should still be teaching the children chakra refinement. Why had it ended so abruptly? Seeing Yuta's serious expression, Kiko's worry deepened. What's wrong? Did something happen to Jiro? Jiro, sensing the shift in atmosphere, lowered his head, fearing he had done something wrong. Yuta gently pulled Kiko aside, quietly explaining the situation and his concerns. Kiko's eyes widened in disbelief. Are you sure? Yuta's confirmation mirrored her growing anxiety. What should we do? She asked urgently. We can't be certain yet. I brought Jiro so you could examine him. Her voice held a hint of reproach as she addressed Yuta. I told you not to rush their chakra training. If anything happens to Jiro, I'll never forgive you. Her anger subsided, replaced by a gentle expression as she turned to her son, who stood looking lost. Come here, Jiro, to mommy. Daddy said you awakened your bloodline limit. Let mommy take a look. Despite her attempts at reassurance, a tremor in her voice betrayed her deep unease. This was her child. The thought of him suffering from a bloodline-related illness sent a chill down her spine. What would she do if her fears were realized? Fortunately, Kiko's thorough examination revealed no health issues for Jiro. However, she sternly cautioned him to only use his magnet style in dire circumstances. Jiro's early awakening prompted Yuta to moderate his children's training pace. Ganta and his siblings were still young, there was no need to rush. Physical training, however, remained a constant. Under Yuta's care and the subtle influence of the mysterious bead, any minor injuries the children sustained would heal rapidly. Soon, the 11th annual Enlightenment arrived. 10 years had passed since Yuta had acquired the bead. He had transformed from an ignorant youth into a father of 5. Surrounded by his wife and 3 sons, Yuta reiterated, focus solely on controlling your chakra. Nothing else. And remember, what happens today remains our secret. Kiko echoed his instructions, knowing Yuta's unique ability was crucial for their family's future. Such caution was necessary. Let's begin. As Yuta spoke, Kiko, Ganta, Jiro, and Yuto felt a sudden clarity, their minds sharper than ever. Training obstacles dissolved effortlessly. The following morning, Yuta and Kiko awoke simultaneously. They exchanged knowing smiles as they observed their 3 sons sleeping peacefully on the floor. Too young to grasp the nuances of shinobi potential, the Enlightenment had seamlessly resolved their chakra control issues. Emerging from their heightened state the previous night, they had seen their parents still meditating and had simply fallen asleep nearby. After carrying the sleeping children back to their beds, they found the nanny had already arrived. Living close by and having their own families, both nannies returned to their homes each night, a system that offered Yuta and Kiko a degree of privacy. Now, try to channel your chakra into this paper. This will help us determine your chakra nature. Yuta guided Ganta, Jiro, and Yuto in their chakra attribute detection. As anticipated, Ganta and Jiro both manifested dual affinities for wind and earth. Yuto, however, inherited Yuta's wind and earth, along with Kiko's water affinity. Yuto's face lit up with joy at having 3 chakra natures, one more than his brothers. Despite being the first to refine chakra, his younger twin had been the first to awaken his bloodline. Though Yuto had remained silent, a flicker of disappointment had been present. Yuto was aware of his lack of Ganta's boldness and Jiro's sharp intellect, sometimes feeling like a burden. This unique attribute offered him a sense of purpose, a way to contribute more significantly to his family's future. Yuta perceived Yuto's inner thoughts. Aware of his son's sensitive nature, he refrained from voicing them directly, lest he further erode Yuto's fragile self-esteem. Seeing Yuto's genuine happiness at his additional chakra nature, Yuta offered sincere praise, which filled Yuto with excitement and renewed confidence for the rest of the day. Alright, hurry home now. Today is your younger brother and sister's full moon celebration. We need to get ready. Oh. Yuta watched his 3 sons cheer and rush off, a deep sense of satisfaction with his current life settling within him. Chapter 28, Mido's Gift and Nawaki's Training. Yuta opted for a small full moon celebration, inviting a few close friends for a gathering at Taste of Shinobi. After Kiko departed with the twins, Shingo and Kyoko, Yuta and the others began the informal banquet. Later, having seen off the guests with their parting gifts, Yuta and Kiko started unwrapping their own. That Dewey is something else. Why did he send 2 more sets? Yuta stared at the 2 identical sets of vibrant green tights, utterly bewildered. I remember when Ganta and the others turned 1 month old, Dewey gave them 3 of the same things, didn't he? Kiko remarked, a hint of amusement in her voice. They decided to keep the outfits, though the thought of their children wearing them felt peculiar. Huh? Who sent this? It feels odd. Kiko opened a box and retrieved a pair of aged dice. No need to guess, that's Tsunade. Probably another priceless heirloom from the first Hokage. Yuta said with certainty, glancing at the dice. Tsunade, likely strapped for cash, had resorted to her inheritance for a gift. This is for you. Kiko handed Yuta a small bundle. Put it on the children tomorrow, or they'll outgrow it quickly. Finally, Shingo and Kyoko won't have to wear Ganta and the others' hand-me-downs all the time. Hearing Kiko's slightly disdainful tone, Yuta retorted, all children are the same. Besides, Ganta and the others only wore those clothes for a few months. It'd be wasteful to throw them away. TSK, just admit you don't want to buy new ones. But Ruken's wife is such a talented seamstress. Why don't we ask her to make some clothes? Whatever you want. Yuta picked up Sakamo Hotake's gift, revealing a small sword crafted from chakra metal. Sakamo, this is too generous. Such an expensive gift. But it works out perfectly. My practice sword will go to Jiro, and I can help the little ones practice with this one first. The sword Yuta had attempted to forge for Jiro had been a failure, leading him to abandon the idea of crafting his own ninja tools. Jiro was about to begin swordsmanship training, so Sakamo's gift would serve him well. As if. Kiko rolled her eyes, then suddenly exclaimed, "What's this?" Yuta looked up to see Kiko holding a scroll. He hadn't noticed who had given it to her earlier. Let me see. Yuta took the scroll and unrolled it. I know who this is from. It's likely from Lady Mundo, Yuta said, closing the scroll and placing it carefully beside him. He rubbed his forehead, feeling reluctant to open any more gifts. Seeing Yuta's sudden solemnity, Kiko set down the remaining box. Look at you. What is it? You look so troubled. Alas. It seems I'm destined for more hard work. Yuta slapped his thigh, understanding Mido's intention. Sensing her time was limited, she sought to secure a new protector for the Senju clan before Nawaki matured. Tsunade was unreliable and lacked sufficient strength. Thus, Yuta was her chosen successor. Ask Sarutobi Hiruzen? That was like putting wolves in charge of sheep. Mito wouldn't have sent all of the second Hokage's water-style ninjutsu otherwise. She clearly intended for Yuta to take Nawaki as his disciple. Dealing with these old foxes is exhausting. Yuta gave up on further contemplation, collapsing onto the bed, pulling the covers over his head, and drifting to sleep. Seeing her husband's worry, Kiko tidied the scattered gifts, turned off the lights, and joined him in slumber. The Senju clan territory. Mito sat alone in her room, the muffled sounds of a heavily intoxicated Tsunade's complaints about her teacher and Nawaki's indignant retorts drifting in. She sighed, a whisper escaping her lips, this is all I can do. I hope Hashirama won't blame me when I join him. Her thoughts drifted to the third Hokage's proposal to use her husband's remains for experimentation. While she trusted Sarutobi's moral compass, Danzō's involvement cast a long shadow. Given Danzō's nature and his obsession with wood style, she shuddered to imagine what he might do to the Senju clan once she was gone. I hope Yuta understands my feelings. Yuta proved Mito's faith well placed. 2 weeks after the twins' full moon celebration, he sought out Mito in the Senju compound and discussed taking Nawaki as his apprentice. Seeing the relief in Mito's expression, Yuta's respect for the old woman deepened. And so, Nawaki's apprenticeship began. Having accepted Mito's gesture, Yuta intended to be a dedicated teacher. Now, alongside his academy studies, Nawaki underwent specialized training under Yuta's guidance. Po. Po. Nawaki leaned heavily on his knees, gasping for breath as he watched Yuta and his 3 younger sons disappear into the distance. That squinty-eyed guy is still so infuriating. He muttered. And those 3 little brats. They're younger than me, how can they run so fast? After a brief respite, Nawaki resumed his run. By the time he reached their training spot, Yuta had already begun instructing Ganta and his brothers in basic exercises. Yuta offered Nawaki a cursory glance. Seeing he was unharmed, he paid him no further attention. Nawaki's current temperament was too impulsive and arrogant, and unlike Naruto Uzumaki, he lacked any obvious protagonist-like resilience. Yuta deliberately ignored him, tasking him with training alongside his 3 sons. This was intended to show Nawaki that he wasn't invincible, that others, even younger ones, surpassed him. This humbling experience would hopefully encourage introspection and harder training. Nawaki watched Ganta, Jiro, and Yuta training diligently under Yuta's patient instruction. A sudden feeling of being superfluous washed over him. Months passed. After a grueling day of training, Nawaki remained alone on the practice grounds, relentlessly throwing kunai. His movements were precise, his gaze fixed. Several months under Yuta's tutelage had stripped away Nawaki's illusions of effortless genius. He couldn't even match Ganta and his brothers, who were years his junior. But as the Senju clan's heir, he had to be the best. His great-grandfather and second-great-grandfather were Hokage. The Senju clan was as renowned as the Uchiha. He, too, must become Hokage. Lacking natural talent, he would compensate with relentless effort, forging strength through sweat. Swoosh, kai. Nawaki poured more force into his throw. The kunai's trajectory was noticeably more powerful, whistling through the air before embedding itself deeply into the scarecrow target. The impact resonated clearly. Yuta watched Nawaki's training from a nearby tree, Tsunade standing beside him. "How is he? Calmer now?" Yuta asked, a hint of pride in his voice. "How dare you say that, you bastard?" Tsunade retorted, arms crossed, her gaze worriedly fixed on her brother below. "Nawaki's been withdrawn and listless. If Grandma hadn't stopped me, I would have beaten you senseless long ago. That was your grandmother's choice, and it's the path he's chosen. You can't expect a simpleton to become Hokage, can you?" Tsunade struggled to find a rebuttal. He was just naive before. "Don't call him stupid." She offered a weak defense of her brother. "Haha. As long as you're happy. But I won't change Nawaki's training. I don't know if he'll become Hokage, but I can ensure he'll be strong enough to live well." With that, he laughed, ignoring Tsunade's reaction. Did I really use the wrong method before?" Tsunade wondered aloud. Chapter 29, Exercise. Haha, this little guy is quite interesting. In the Senju clan's territory, Mido chuckled as she perused a newly delivered stack of reports. "I hope Nawaki can appreciate our painstaking efforts." The documents detailed Nawaki's training progress. Mido was deeply satisfied with Nawaki's transformation over the past few months. She had long worried about his impulsive nature, fearing it would lead to his demise at the hands of unscrupulous individuals. But she and Tsunade, both women, had been too soft to effectively address Nawaki's flaws. She noted Nawaki's newfound calmness, though his talkativeness had diminished. Tsunade, misinterpreting this, suspected Yuta of mistreating her brother and had repeatedly tried to confront him, only to be stopped by Mido. Bang! Tsunade entered, her dejected expression prompting a smile from Mido. "So, are you convinced now? Oh, what a pity. It would have been wonderful if you had married Yuta." Tsunade, lost in thought about her past handling of Nawaki, flushed slightly at her grandmother's teasing. Despite her usual carefree attitude, she felt a pang of embarrassment. Composing herself, Tsunade sat opposite Mido. "Grandma, do you think I've failed as a sister? Nawaki seems so different now." "Haha, not just you, but this old woman too. We were both negligent. Nawaki has been with us for so long, deeply influenced by us." Mido chuckled softly. "Especially you, Tsunade, as his constant companion." Without realizing it, Nawaki's personality gradually mirrored yours. "After all, we are women, we don't inherently know how to mold a capable clan leader." Mido saw Tsunade's downcast expression and offered a comforting smile. She also felt a pang of sympathy for her granddaughter. Since Tsunade's adulthood, Mido herself had aged, her energy consumed by suppressing the Ninetales, causing her to fade from public life. Before Tsunade's prime, she had been the Senju clan's pillar. She had not disappointed her kin. By 20, she was already one of Hidden Leaf Village's most skilled medical ninja and possessed formidable combat prowess. "Grandma. Sister. I'm back." Nawaki's voice echoed from outside. Seeing Nawaki, sweaty and tired, Tsunade rushed to check on him. Nawaki, noticing his sister's concern, felt a warmth spread through him. He had longed for Yuta's attention recently, but Yuta had consistently ignored him. Assured of his well-being, Tsunade let him bathe. After dinner, Nawaki fell into a deep sleep. The following day after school, Nawaki trained with Yuta and his 3 young sons as usual. He could now barely keep pace with Ganta and the others. His progress was due to his own hard work but also to Yuta's subtle inclusion of him within the bead's influence during training. Without it, Nawaki wouldn't have achieved such gains in mere months. "Alright, no basic training today. And Nawaki, come here too." Yuta's call stopped Nawaki, who was about to move to the side for individual practice. Nawaki was stunned. He had thought Yuta had given up on him. The talent gap between him and Ganta's group was immense. Only the pride of the Senju clan had kept him from quitting. Seeing Nawaki's hesitation, Yuta smiled. "What? Not coming over?" Nawaki nodded eagerly. "Sensei finally acknowledges me. My efforts weren't wasted." Yuta, observing Nawaki's excitement, turned to his 3 sons. "Today, we'll conduct a simulation exercise," Yuta announced to the 4 boys. "I'll create several shadow clones as your opponents. This is your chance to demonstrate your strength. Your performance will determine your future training. Now, prepare yourselves." Nawaki, Ganta, Jiro and Yuta lay in ambush in the woods, their gazes fixed on the path ahead. The sun hadn't yet dipped below the horizon, but a cool chill permeated the training grounds. Nawaki and his companions remained still amidst the foliage. Despite the discomfort, none dared to make a premature move. They were ninjas now. They wouldn't be easily defeated in their first engagement. Only those who could endure this physical and mental strain, this test of will, would become truly strong. Suddenly, Yuta, whose hearing was the keenest among the four, detected a faint sound from the path below. He subtly turned his head, his eyes signaling Ganta and Jiro to prepare. Nawaki also caught the sound. Ganta, Jiro, and Yuta focused on the path. 4 dark figures appeared, walking uphill, gradually growing larger as they ascended. For this practical combat drill, Yuta had created 4 shadow clones, a standard team composition of 1 larger figure and 3 smaller ones. The young ninjas watched the approaching enemy intently. The clones moved swiftly, closing the distance. When they were a mere 10 meters from Nawaki and his team, the ambush commenced. With a quick hand signal, Nawaki sprang forward, launching the initial attack on the lead clone. Yuta, deliberately suppressing his shadow clone's sensory abilities, was caught off guard by Nawaki's sudden assault and barely managed to block the initial flurry of attacks. However, Nawaki, having meticulously planned the ambush, wouldn't relinquish the initiative. A successful ambush meant seizing the advantage, and he pressed his attack with renewed vigor. Yet, Yuta's shadow clone possessed the base strength of a genin and easily evaded Nawaki's strikes, a swift backhanded kick forcing Nawaki to retreat. Seeing the ambush compromised, Nawaki drew a kunai and hurled it at Yuta's shadow clone. Simultaneously, another kunai appeared in his hand, and he charged forward. Though the shadow clone only held genin-level strength, it possessed Yuta's combat experience. It dodged the thrown kunai with a lean, using its own kunai to parry Nawaki's rush before delivering a kick that sent Nawaki tumbling backward. Meanwhile, Ganta and his companions faced the remaining 3 shadow clones, each also possessing genin-level abilities. Unlike Nawaki, Ganta didn't engage in cautious maneuvering. He charged head-on. While the initial ambush had briefly disoriented the clones, the second direct confrontation resulted in Ganta being knocked back by the shadow clone's counterattack. Jiro had preemptively summoned 2 shadow clones of his own. These clones rained kunai and shuriken through the trees, creating a diversion that Jiro exploited to eliminate one opponent with his katana. Following his successful strike, Jiro decisively disengaged, glancing back at Nawaki and Ganta's struggle. "Don't fight with brute force, move freely. Focus on cooperating," he called out before rushing towards the last remaining shadow clone. As for Yuta, he remained concealed in the undergrowth, patiently awaiting an opportunity for a decisive strike. This was why Jiro had taken the initiative to engage the final shadow clone, drawing its attention. After engaging the last enemy, Jiro cast another quick glance at Ganta and Nawaki. "Those 2 idiots. Oh, really?" Jiro cursed inwardly. "I just hope their recklessness can buy us a little more time. We'll save them once we've dealt with our targets here." This time, the opponent was alert. Jiro was forced into a fighting retreat, gradually luring the battle towards the edge of the forest, closer and closer to Yuto's hidden position. Chapter 30, The Second Stage of Training. As Jiro led his opponent to within 2 meters of the woods, the shadow clone suddenly sensed a discrepancy. The number of opponents and their fighting style felt off. A closer look confirmed the suspicion. A faint presence lurked within the trees. Yuta moved. A burst of chakra erupted, instantly shattering the shadow clone. With their opponents neutralized, Jiro and Yuta immediately rushed towards Nawaki and Ganta, recognizing their dire situation. Nawaki had been struck early in the engagement, severely hindering his mobility. He was now struggling to defend himself. Ganta was in even worse shape, the larger shadow clone having delivered a brutal beating that left him barely able to stand. The size difference had proven too significant. Huh. Jiro inhaled sharply, tightening his grip on his katana as he positioned himself protectively in front of Ganta. "Idiot. Didn't Dad tell us to prioritize survival and not charge in recklessly? Were you in a hurry to get yourself killed?" Jiro stood guard, scolding Ganta, who lay on the ground, without even turning his head. Hearing his brother's reprimand, Ganta blinked, confusion clouding his features. "Huh? Did Dad say that? I don't remember." Witnessing his elder brother's obliviousness, Jiro's composure cracked. "Do you ever listen carefully in class? Hey, isn't that what we have you for? Besides, Dad teaches us so much, who can remember everything? It's good enough that we remember the fighting techniques, how can we have room for other stuff?" Jiro was speechless. With all opponents finally defeated, Nawaki and his team were disheveled and exhausted. Thump, thump. Footsteps approached from behind. Nawaki and the others, still reeling from the battle, instantly sprang to their feet, weapons raised, their eyes darting towards the sound. Good alertness. Seeing Yuta's amused expression, Nawaki's face flushed with embarrassment. "This is humiliating. Jiro and Yuta handled their opponents easily. Ganta and I are the oldest, yet we needed their help. My efforts clearly aren't enough. Ganta, oblivious, grinned smugly at Yuta. See? Dad, we took care of our guy. Jiro felt a wave of mortification wash over him. If you don't know what to say, don't say anything. Didn't you see Dad's face? Yuta carefully observed Yuta's expression. Seeing his father's brow furrow, he quickly tugged on his still smirking elder brother. If this wasn't an exercise and if Jiro and Yuta hadn't intervened, you would have been dead. Yuta said to the complacent Ganta, his voice low and stern. Seeing Yuta's displeasure, Ganta's temper flared, his neck stiffening. But we're a team, and we won in the end. Looking at Ganta's stubborn defiance and then at Nawaki, who seemed to grasp the gravity of the situation, Yuta felt a surge of frustration. I finally managed to temper Nawaki's impulsiveness, and now I have a blockhead for a son. Yuta realized it was time for them to confront the harsh realities of the ninja world. Suppressing his anger, Yuta forced a smile. Alright, since you're so confident in your current abilities, we'll discontinue basic training. Tomorrow, we begin the next phase at our home training grounds. Be there on time tomorrow afternoon. Tardiness will be penalized. For some reason, Ganta felt a deeper sense of unease from his father's forced smile than he had from his outright anger. The next afternoon, at the Yuta family training ground. Stand still. From today onward, this is your training area. I will arrange everything, and I don't want to hear any unnecessary sounds. Yuta surveyed the four small figures lined up before him, a smile playing on his lips. Hey. Jiro, do you feel a chill down your back? No sooner had Yuta spoken than Ganta nudged Jiro. He was already regretting his behavior from the previous day. Very good. I'm also pleased that none of you were late today. Yuta nodded in satisfaction. Today marks the beginning of this stage, and the initial task is simple. Run 50 laps around the training ground. Rest will follow completion. Exceed 40 minutes, and you'll run an additional 5 laps. Any questions? But we're just kids. Yuta blurted out. Usually the quietest of the group, he was accustomed to morning runs, but another session felt excessive. Stepping onto this ground means you are already ninjas. Don't equate the Academy's ninja games with this place. This place will show you the true meaning of hardship. Yuta's smile remained, but Nawaki and the others could practically visualize a two-horned demon materializing behind him. Yuta has raised a question. Does anyone object to adding 5 more laps? You were the one who asked if we had any questions? Ganta muttered under his breath. Yuta's ears twitched almost imperceptibly. Excellent, Ganta has voiced an objection. Yuta adds 5 laps, Ganta adds 5 laps. Any further objections? The 4 youngsters exchanged wary glances at Yuta's smile and remained silent. Since there are no objections, what are you waiting for? Run. Yuta's expression turned serious as he issued the command. The children began their laps around the training ground. Sorry, Yuta. I didn't think Dad's hearing was so sharp. I got you extra laps. Ganta trailed behind Yuta, apologizing as they ran. It's okay, it's not that bad. We can all handle this. Just running laps shouldn't be too difficult. Yuta offered a small, somewhat forced smile. Boys, it's far too early for such pride. Yuta chuckled, subtly flicking his fingers. Instantly, a viscous swamp appeared on the path ahead, directly in the children's way. Earth-style, Yellow Springs Swamp. Boys, the first lesson of this stage is successfully traversing the Yellow Springs Swamp. Gather chakra at the soles of your feet to walk on the surface. As for when and how much chakra to use, that's for you to figure out. Hurry now, exceed 40 minutes, and it's a 5-lap penalty. The 4 children halted before the expanse of the murky yellow swamp. Moments earlier, Nawaki had attempted to cross, only to sink waist deep, requiring a collective effort to pull him out. None of them knew the true depth of this treacherous swamp, laid by their unscrupulous father, teacher. Yuta stepped forward. Brothers, I'll try first. Pull me out if anything goes wrong. Yuta possessed the most refined chakra control among them, a fact no one disputed. Yuta leapt onto the swampy surface. His body sank slightly before stabilizing. The others offered a small cheer. If one of them succeeded, they could all learn from the experience. Yuta took 2 steps, turned back to speak, and then slowly began to sink again. Panic flared. They rushed to pull him out. Yuta sank a little further, then regained his footing. He cautiously walked back. Walking on this swamp is very strange. You have to constantly adjust your chakra because the surface is fluid and always shifting. It's like there are also whirlpools and undercurrents below. I knew it wouldn't be that easy. Nawaki grumbled. Chapter 31, Whirlpool Country. Finally, with Jiro's guidance and Yuto's superior chakra control, they managed to pull Nawaki across the treacherous swamp. Ganta, who had experienced a moment of clarity, or perhaps just desperation, barely managed to stumble across on his own. Having cleared the swamp, they were about to exhale in relief when Yuta's voice echoed, "Hurry up. This is just the beginning." Ah! Yuta's words elicited groans of despair from the exhausted youngsters, but they forced themselves to run again. The occasional flying kunai or sudden, inconveniently placed hills along the path were minor annoyances. The real source of dread for the four children were the traps rigged with detonating tags. While the tags weren't lethal, the itching powder liberally applied to them sent the unfortunate victims into fits of uncontrollable scratching. This was a special concoction of Yuta and Kiko's, ensuring maximum discomfort. Nawaki and Genta, particularly, in their haste to save time, disregarded caution and charged forward across any seemingly clear terrain. Both were struck by flying kunai at least 10 times and stumbled into detonating tag traps on numerous occasions. In the end, had Giro and Yuto not brought water to help them wash off the itching powder, their survival would have been questionable. "Oh, I'm so sorry." The fastest time, Giro, was 1 hour, 26 minutes, and 43 seconds. Therefore, everyone will be punished with 5 extra laps for the morning run tomorrow. Of course, that includes Ganta and Yuto as well, so remember to rest well. Yuta's smile was gentle, but for some reason, Nawaki and the others shuddered in unison. The Land of Whirlpools was a small island village bordering the Land of Fire. A compact village surrounded by the sea, it possessed a small population. And at this moment, the country was gripped by unease. In recent months, a significant influx of strangers had entered the country, naturally attracting the attention of Whirlpool country's higher-ups. Investigation revealed these individuals to be spies dispatched by various ninja villages. Remarkably, these spies originated from nearly every ninja village except Hidden Leaf Village. The atmosphere within the Uzumaki clan's ancestral hall was heavy with apprehension. The number of spies within our borders grows daily. It's clear the ninja village's patience has run out. We face a stark choice: surrender and relinquish the Uzumaki clan's sealing techniques or resist, risking the complete annihilation of our clan. The red-haired elder seated at the forefront spoke first. He was Mido's younger brother and the current head of the Uzumaki clan. "Then we fight them. Yes, I'll tear off a piece of their flesh even if it costs me my life." Observing the chaotic scene below, the clan leader's expression darkened. Their only instinct was to fight, to kill. The grim reality was that they couldn't possibly win. How could a small nation like Whirlpool Country hope to withstand the combined might of these major ninja villages? "Don't we still have Hidden Leaf Village as our ally? Let's request their assistance," an elder suggested calmly. With a prolonged sigh, the clan leader drew attention back to himself, a bitter smile twisting his lips. "The third Hokage has already responded. The Land of Fire is currently unable to spare any resources to support us. The Land of Earth and the Land of Lightning to the north eye us greedily. The Land of Wind to the west is also eager to attack. Even the demigod of the Land of Rain is restless." As these words hung in the air, the expressions of the surrounding elders shifted dramatically. Could it be that the third Hokage intended to abandon the Uzumaki clan? But the third Hokage said we could send some fire seeds to Hidden Leaf Village to preserve our clan's bloodline. The clan leader's voice was barely audible. These fire seeds were not solely for the Uzumaki clan's continuation, but also because the first Hokage's wife, Lady Mido, was aging and urgently needed a successor. This crucial detail, however, remained unspoken to the clan members. How can this be? Is our Uzumaki clan truly facing annihilation? Some voices cried out in disbelief and despair. Seeing the despair on every face, the clan leader knew he had to project strength, lest they crumble before the enemy even made their move. In truth, there's no need for excessive worry. Judging by the current situation, it will take another year or two before they act. Those who refuse to passively await their fate can use this time to strengthen themselves or leave quietly. Leave? Who dares to leave? This is the Uzumaki clan's hour of survival. To abandon us now? Are you even human? Exactly. At worst, we die. I won't flee. When the time comes, we'll face it together. We won't let others mock the Uzumaki clan. Following the patriarch's words, the more fervent members of the clan voiced their defiance. However, a few others echoed their sentiments, though their shifting gazes hinted at different intentions. Observing the growing unrest, the clan leader slammed his hand on the table several times. Silence. Our immediate priority is to preserve the Uzumaki clan. This incident proves Hidden Leaf Village's unreliability. We must send as many clan members away as possible, rather than allowing them all to perish here. Therefore, I propose we begin by sending out those without combat abilities, as many as we can. Everyone, go and prepare. After irritably dismissing the assembly, the clan leader knelt before the ancestral tablets. He scanned each one, a wave of grief and indignation washing over him. Ancestors, the Uzumaki clan is facing extinction. His earlier resolve had vanished, replaced by the raw emotion of a child weeping and lamenting to his parents. Listening to the clan leader's anguished voice from the ancestral hall, the elders departed with heavy hearts, stepping into an uncertain future. The Senju clan compound. Yuta unexpectedly received a message from Mido, requesting his presence in the Senju territory. He understood the reason for her summons. Despite his reluctance to become entangled in the unfolding crisis, he made his way to the Senju estate. Lord Yuta. The maid at the entrance bowed respectfully upon seeing him. Yuta offered a curt nod and opened the door to find both Tsunade and Mido awaiting him. You're here, Yuta. Mido's expression remained kind, though a hint of weariness lined her face. Yuta stepped forward, bowing deeply to Mido with genuine respect before moving to the side and taking a seat. Once Yuta was seated, a flicker of anxiety crossed Mido's features. Yuta, have you heard about the situation in Whirlpool Country? Yes. Yuta was aware that Whirlpool Country had sent a plea for aid to Hidden Leaf Village, only to be rebuffed by the third Hokage and others. Calculating the timeline, he realized the destruction of Whirlpool Country in the original timeline was imminent. Unfortunately, the Second Shinobi World War was already underway, and Hidden Leaf Village was preoccupied with its own affairs. Supporting Whirlpool Country was simply not feasible. Moreover, it wasn't just one or two factions eyeing Whirlpool Country. Essentially, the entire ninja world, with the notable exception of Hidden Leaf Village, was involved. Hidden Leaf Village would be forced to retreat against such a united front. However, Yuta couldn't voice these harsh realities. He simply offered a brief acknowledgement. Challenging the entire ninja world single-handedly was unthinkable. Seeing Yuta's reserved expression, Mido could only offer a wry smile. Oh. It seems I truly cannot escape this time. A wave of sadness washed over her. Chapter 32, The Grim Situation in the Blink of an Eye, Hidden Leaf Village Year 29 transitioned into Hidden Leaf Village Year 30. The ninja world was in a state of constant upheaval. Hanzo of the Rain Village persistently provoked skirmishes along the Fire Country border, leaving the third Hokage with no choice but to dispatch Danzō to handle the escalating tensions. The Land of Wind, too, amassed troops at its border, poised to strike the Fire Nation. In response, the third Hokage deployed his 3 prized students to the front lines, aiming to deter any surprise attacks from the Sand Shinobi. Simultaneously, as Hidden Leaf Village's main forces grappled with the rain and wind threats, other nations intensified their clandestine operations within Whirlpool Country. Their objective was clear: eliminate Hidden Leaf Village's ally before Hidden Leaf Village could mount a defense. Unbeknownst to them, Hidden Leaf Village had already made the difficult decision to abandon Whirlpool Country. Nevertheless, the other powers, wary of potential Hidden Leaf Village intervention, accelerated their plans for the island nation. Pa! 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 The sound of fists colliding with flesh echoed across the Tian family's training ground. Ganta and Nawaki were locked in a fierce hand-to-hand duel, foregoing ninjutsu in favor of pure physical prowess. However, even in this restricted combat, Nawaki found himself at a disadvantage. Ganta's physical attributes had steadily improved under the prolonged influence of Yuta's mysterious speed, and the previous year's epiphany had significantly enhanced his chakra control, surpassing Nawaki's. With superior physicality and refined chakra control, Ganta's reaction speed was also noticeably quicker. He effortlessly anticipated and evaded Nawaki's every attack. Bang! Ganta delivered a solid punch to Nawaki's abdomen. Seeing Nawaki unable to dodge, he swiftly transitioned his fist into an open palm, striking Nawaki's chest. Dang dang dang! The force of Ganta's blow sent Nawaki stumbling backward 7 or 8 steps before landing heavily on his backside. Sweat glistened on his brow, and his breath came in ragged gasps as he sat on the grass, unwilling to rise. The sparring match had clearly been lengthy and intense. Alright, Ganta wins this round. Both participants make the reconciliation seal. Yuta, acting as the referee, observed Nawaki's fall and promptly declared the outcome. Oh! Big brother is so awesome! Yuto, standing beside Yuta, cheered enthusiastically upon witnessing Ganta's victory over Nawaki. Jiro, observing Nawaki with a serious expression, mused internally, Nawaki's progress is remarkable. He truly is a worthy descendant of the Senju clan. Can bloodline alone truly determine one's destiny? Well, the 4 of you have sparred amongst yourselves, and I trust you now have a clearer understanding of each other's strengths. From this moment until the end of today's training, you may discuss and identify areas where you still need improvement. Nawaki had never found Yuta's voice so melodious. Oh. Finally, I don't have to run around that cursed training ground today. Nawaki sprang to his feet, throwing an arm around Ganta's shoulders and jumping for joy. It had been a grueling routine. With each lap, Yuta devised increasingly bizarre obstacles. Nawaki and Gata were consistently the ones caught in the various traps. While they had learned to be more cautious recently, the sensation of the itching powder when they occasionally failed was far from pleasant. Jiro and Yuta were less exuberant. Relieved at not having to run laps, they settled onto a nearby stone bench. Once Yuta was out of earshot, they leaned back, their gazes distant. Upon returning to the house, Yuta found Kiko home from work, playfully interacting with Shingo. "How are you? Has work been hectic lately?" Yuta sat on the sofa, gently picking up his infant son, and addressed Kiko while playfully tickling Shingo. The two nannies were currently preparing dinner, leaving Yuta and Kiko to converse more freely. Hearing Yuta's question, Kiko rolled her eyes. "Do you think everyone lives like you? Coming home like a lord, doing nothing all day but looking after the kids? Isn't it because Sarutobi is overly suspicious? What can I do? I'd love to go out, but he won't assign me any missions." Yuta feigned dejection. Ever since Mido's last visit, the third Hokage seemed paranoid that Yuta would find an excuse to leave the village, consistently denying him any missions that required him to venture outside Hidden Leaf Village. Even when it was argued that only Yuta possessed the necessary skills for a particular task, Sarutobi would invariably assign it to Tsukumo Hotake instead, all to prevent Yuta from having a reason to depart. In truth, Yuta wanted to reassure Sarutobi that such measures were unnecessary, as he was well aware of his own limitations and the political landscape. Seeing her husband's exaggerated sadness, Kiko couldn't help but chuckle. However, her smile faded as she recalled the recent situation at the hospital. There's been a growing influx of wounded at the hospital lately, mostly from the Rain Country border. The conflict there seems to be escalating. Hearing Kiko's observation, Yuta responded nonchalantly, "This is just the beginning. The Wind Country situation isn't stable either. The reason they haven't sent back as many wounded is because Tsunade is there. It seems everyone is nearing their breaking point." Watching Yuta happily tease Shingo, Kiko felt a sense of calm seeing his apparent composure. "Yes, with my husband here, what else do I need to worry about? I might have to go out soon, so be careful at home," Yuta suddenly said, turning to Kiko. "What's wrong? Didn't Sarutobi say he was worried about you leaving?" Kiko looked up, concerned. When Nawaki visited this afternoon, he mentioned that Lady Mido went to Sarutobi's office. Without Yuta needing to elaborate, Kiko immediately understood the reason for his impending departure. Now that Mido had approached Sarutobi, the Hokage wouldn't stand idly by while Whirlpool Country fell. The village's only viable option for manpower was Yuta, and Sarutobi would undoubtedly task him with leading the mission. As for additional personnel, the Senju clan still had a considerable number of ninjas. As expected, the following morning, just as Yuta was about to head to the training grounds to check on his sons, he was intercepted by an Anbu operative. "Jonin Yuta, please proceed to the Hokage's office immediately. Hokage-sama has an urgent matter to discuss with you." With that, the Anbu vanished in a swirl of leaves. Upon entering the Hokage's office, Yuta saw the third Hokage and Mido seated in the main area, with 3 rows of ninjas standing below them, 15 individuals in total. Judging by their hair color and build, Yuta could discern that at least 10 of them were members of the Senju clan. Their sturdy frames and long, straight black hair were not common traits. Seeing this assembly, Yuta knew that Sarutobi had been persuaded by Mido. As Yuta entered, Sarutobi spoke in a grave tone, "Yuta, the situation in Whirlpool Country is critical. It could fall at any moment. They sent a plea for help previously, but the village couldn't spare the resources. However, as allies, we cannot stand by. This time, we are sending you to assess their situation and offer assistance if possible. Alright, everyone, go and prepare yourselves. Depart immediately upon readiness." No sooner had the third Hokage finished speaking than all the ninjas, except for Mido, vanished from the office in a synchronized display of speed. Chapter 33, Arrival at the Land of Whirlpools. Watching Yuta pack his gear, ready for departure, Kiko couldn't shake a feeling of unease. This mission felt different. Yuta and his team were potentially facing the combined might of much of the ninja world, with Hidden Leaf Village only sending a relatively small support contingent. Even with Yuta's resourcefulness, the odds seemed overwhelming. Yuta, having finished packing, noticed Kiko's worried expression and stepped towards her to offer comfort. "Don't fret. This mission isn't a direct confrontation with those forces. Our trip to Whirlpool Country might actually be an escort operation." Hearing Yuta's words, Kiko frowned in confusion. "Escort? I thought you were going to support Whirlpool Country?" Yuta placed his hands on Kiko's shoulders, his expression relaxed. "Do you think the third Hokage is foolish enough to send such a small group to Whirlpool Country to die? Our primary objective this time is to extract a few key members of the Uzumaki clan." Yuta lowered his gaze for a moment, a hint of sadness in his voice. "After all, Mido-sama is no longer young. Kiko, intelligent and perceptive, immediately understood Yuta's implication. Their main task was likely to ensure the safety of the next Jinchuriki. Relief washed over Kiko at the realization that Yuta and his team wouldn't be directly engaging the forces targeting the Uzumaki clan. Seeing Kiko's worry subside, Yuta turned serious. I might be gone for an extended period this time, so be extra cautious at home. Also, remind Gata and the others not to casually mention their bloodline limit to outsiders. I'm concerned the third Hokage might target them. Yes. I understand. Kiko replied solemnly. She was aware of the Hidden Leaf Village High Council's interest in bloodline limits. Though she didn't know the specifics, she had occasionally overheard Tsunoda's frustrated remarks about the third Hokage's inaction regarding the first Hokage's remains. If they knew her husband had become a wielder of a powerful bloodline limit and could pass it on to their children, they would undoubtedly plot against their family. Alright, I'm leaving now. No one knows when those forces will make their move. Seeing that Kiko grasped the gravity of the situation, Yuta released her shoulders, turned, and headed out. 3 days later, determined to reach the Land of Whirlpools as swiftly as possible, Yuta and his team pressed onward with minimal stops for rest, food, or even restroom breaks. Their relentless pace far exceeded the normal travel speed of even seasoned Jonin. After traversing the final stretch of forest, the vast expanse of the ocean lay before them. In the early morning, a vibrant red sun crested the horizon, casting a brilliant crimson glow across the entire island. Several ninjas from Whirlpool country, including the Uzumaki clan head, had arrived at the shore before dawn. Suddenly, one of them pointed towards the sea and exclaimed, "It's a ship! A ship from the Land of Fire, flying the Hidden Leaf Village flag. People from Hidden Leaf Village are coming." On the tranquil sea, a medium-sized ship sailed steadily, its sails gently billowed by the light breeze. The wind wasn't strong, but fortunately, the ship was also equipped with a propeller for propulsion even in calm conditions. The pristine white waves parted, leaving a churning trail in the ship's wake. Besides the sailors, ninjas wearing Hidden Leaf Village forehead protectors were visible on deck. For this mission to support Whirlpool country, Mundo had dispatched a significant portion of the Senju clan's experienced ninjas. "Captain, we've sighted the island of Whirlpool." As the mission's captain, Yuta naturally had a private cabin. At that moment, a Senju clan ninja stood outside his cabin door and reported in a low voice. The cabin was small and functional. Yuta had been reviewing the intelligence recently gathered from the Land of Whirlpools. He rose upon hearing the knock and the report. "Give the order, everyone prepare to land." The ninja outside the door acknowledged the command and departed. Soon, in less than 30 seconds, all the well-drilled ninjas had assembled on the deck, causing the ship's sailors to hastily clear the area. Yuta stood at the bow, surveying the escort team under his command, a silent sigh escaping him. The situation appeared more dire than he had anticipated. The moment Whirlpool country received word of Hidden Leaf Village's approaching envoy, they had wasted no time in urging their arrival. Had it not been for Mudo's persistent pleas and Hidden Leaf Village's unwavering commitment to securing the next Jinchuriki, the village might have indeed been forced to witness the destruction of Whirlpool country without intervention. Yuta's own presence in this era had inadvertently contributed to the current crisis. Had it not been for the three-character classic he had introduced, which had bolstered the prestige of the various daimyo, the ninja villages might not have felt such an urgent need to enhance their own power to counter potential daimyo influence, and they might not have turned their attention to the Uzumaki clan so quickly. "I won't belabor the details of this mission," Yuta began his pre-landing briefing, a confident glint in his narrowed eyes. "I want to emphasize one crucial point. Remember, this is primarily an escort mission. Our priority is to extract as many people as possible. Naturally, we will return after securing the designated individuals. It's quite possible we won't encounter any hostiles, but do not let your guard down. We cannot predict when the enemy will strike Whirlpool country. We must maintain extreme vigilance and avoid losing our lives in a place like this." "Yes, Captain." The assembled ninjas responded in unison. The island grew larger in their view, and the figures standing on the beach became clearly discernible. Their distinctive red hair confirmed their identity as members of the Uzumaki clan. But they are all women and children. It seems they have resigned themselves to perishing alongside their loved ones. Seeing the composition of the group awaiting them on the shore, Yuta understood the Uzumaki clan's desperate plan. "I am Yuta, a ninja from Hidden Leaf Village. I have come to visit the Uzumaki clan on the orders of the third Hokage and at the request of Lady Mundo." In the makeshift reception area near the shore, as the two groups met, Yuta offered a gentle smile and introduced himself first. "I am the patriarch of the Uzumaki clan. It is an honor to meet the Silver Fox of Hidden Leaf Village." The patriarch offered a polite laugh and extended his hand, gesturing for Yuta to take a seat. However, his outward composure did not entirely mask his underlying tension. The Silver Fox of Hidden Leaf Village was one of the most renowned ninjas of the era. Aside from the Kage of the major villages and the demigod of Hidden Rain Village, the twin stars of Hidden Leaf Village were among the most famous and formidable ninja. Their kind demeanor should not be mistaken for weakness. Those with narrowed eyes were often the most terrifying when angered. His sister Mundo was a prime example. The clan leader's emotions were a mixture of sorrow and hope. He was deeply saddened by the Uzumaki clan's desperate plight, but the arrival of the Hidden Leaf Village Silver Fox, he believed, demonstrated the third Hokage's sincerity. Furthermore, hearing Yuta mention his sister just now suggested a strong bond between their families. With Mudo's protection, perhaps their Uzumaki clan members would not face undue hardship upon reaching Hidden Leaf Village. Patriarch, the honor is all mine. Yuta offered a slight bow, showing his respect for the clan leader. Chapter 34, The Mizukage attacks a small shop in the land of whirlpools. Are you certain it was Hidden Leaf Village who sent someone? Yes, the leader of the team is one of the twin stars of Hidden Leaf Village, the Silver Fox of Hidden Leaf Village. Damn it. Haven't the Wind Country and the Rain Country put a lot of pressure on Hidden Leaf Village? How can they still send people to support the Whirlpool Country? I don't know about that. How about we report it to Lord Raikage? We alone might not be a match for the Silver Fox of Hidden Leaf Village. Alright, I'll report to Lord Raikage right away. You continue to keep an eye on the situation in the Hidden Whirlpool Village, and report to me immediately if there are any unusual movements by the people of Hidden Leaf Village. Yes. As soon as Yuta and his team arrived in the land of whirlpools, spies from various forces immediately received the news. Damn it. Is Hidden Leaf Village really planning to start the Second Ninja World War? Do they really think I'm afraid of them? Dodai, prepare the troops for me immediately. I want to meet this Silver Fox of Hidden Leaf Village in person. After receiving the information from his subordinates, the Raikage angrily slammed the report on the table. If Hidden Leaf Village still had the first or second Hokage, he would still be somewhat wary. But now, the third Hokage of Hidden Leaf Village, Saratobe Hiruzen, was nothing but a politician showing off his literary talent, and he actually dared to oppose them. If he hadn't come up with a book called Three-Character Classic, would they have been so anxious to attack the Uzumaki clan? The Uzumaki hadn't caused any trouble for Hidden Leaf Village yet, but Hidden Leaf Village had already caused trouble for them. At first, the Three-Character Classic could indeed enhance the reputation of the Kage of each village, but as time went on, the daimyo of each country, with their vast populations, quickly overshadowed the Kage of each ninja village. To prevent the daimyo from dissolving the one country one village agreement, the villages had been forced to focus on their own tailed beasts. However, currently, aside from Mundo, there was no perfect Jinchuriki in the ninja world. Therefore, the villages were targeting Whirlpool Country this time for their own protection, otherwise they would be swept up by the daimyo's overwhelming public opinion and become nothing more than the daimyo's thugs. Lord Raikage, there might be something suspicious about this matter. Please don't get angry just yet, let's observe Hidden Leaf Village's next move. At this moment, Dodai, who was standing nearby, saw that the Raikage was planning to personally go to the land of whirlpools and immediately stepped forward to dissuade him. If the Raikage did that, the Second Ninja World War would likely erupt very soon. The Land of Earth had always coveted the Land of Lightning. If the major powers weren't wary of each other, the Rock Ninja would have gone to war with them long ago. If the Raikage left with a large number of troops now, the Rock Ninja would definitely seize the opportunity. Then what is there to see? Didn't the Hidden Leaf Village Silver Fox already bring people over to support? The Raikage was somewhat receptive to Dodai's words. He sat back down, waiting to hear his advisor's reasoning. The current situation in the ninja world is that Hanzo of the Rain Country is dissatisfied with his country's status and has been provoking Hidden Leaf Village. The Wind Country can no longer suppress internal conflicts and needs to divert attention abroad, so they have recently stationed troops at the Fire Country border. Hidden Leaf Village is now under attack from both sides and will definitely not send a large number of people to support the Whirlpool Country. What did the Hidden Leaf Village Silver Fox say? The Raikage still hadn't dismissed the threat entirely. Don't forget how old the first Hokage's wife is. Hidden Leaf Village also needs to make plans for the next Jinchuriki. Dodai said mysteriously. Humphrey. Hidden Leaf Village is truly full of villains. They didn't even save their allies and wanted to take advantage of their misfortune. Should we cause them some trouble? Seeing that he wouldn't have a major fight this time, the Raikage started to complain about Hidden Leaf Village's character again. In the end, he still wanted to stir up some trouble for them. Dodai shook his head and said calmly, someone will be more anxious than us. Mizukage. The Raikage suddenly realized what Dodai meant and burst into laughter. Then let's see how this Mizukage will handle this matter. Hidden Stones Village in the Land of Earth. Onoki was quite disappointed to see that the Raikage did not send troops to the Land of Whirlpools this time. He decided to wait and observe how the Mizukage would deal with the situation. However, the Land of Wind was too far from the Land of Whirlpools. After receiving the news that Hidden Leaf Village had begun sending people to support Whirlpool Country, it almost immediately withdrew its own personnel from the island. In any case, they had merely intended to test the waters. In the end, Chio had dissuaded them, arguing that such an action would easily damage the Sand Village's credibility. Hanzo, unable to remain idle after receiving the news, disregarded the troops stationed at the border and headed directly towards Whirlpool Country. This action marked the beginning of his Rain Country's ascent towards great power status. If they could join forces with other major ninja villages to obliterate Whirlpool Country, who would dare to call their Rain Country a small nation in the future? En route, he encountered the Mizukage, who was also urgently traveling to Whirlpool Country. The two leaders boarded the Water Country's flagship, proceeding together. The Water Country's intentions were clear. This time, they aimed not only to destroy Whirlpool Country to acquire the secrets of tailed beast utilization but also to completely occupy the island nation, using it as a strategic foothold for future incursions onto the mainland. Thus, upon receiving his subordinate's report, the Mizukage had swiftly led his forces towards Whirlpool Country. Seeing Hanzo also heading to the same destination, the Mizukage had offered him passage, hoping to minimize his own potential losses in the upcoming conflict. Yuta and his team had initially planned for an immediate departure after collecting the designated individuals. However, the Uzumaki clan leader requested to take the group of clan members destined for Hidden Leaf Village with him for one more day to organize their inherited ninjutsu scrolls, causing a delay. After Yuta and his group bid farewell to the Uzumaki clan chief, Yuta noticed a small girl, around 3 years old, in the crowd. This girl was the patriarch's granddaughter and the future second Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, Uzumaki Kushina. But now she was being sent to Hidden Leaf Village prematurely, and Yuta couldn't help but wonder if the future would be altered. Over 40 Uzumaki clan members accompanied Yuta and his team to Hidden Leaf Village this time, but only one adult male was among them, his arm visibly broken, a testament to the Uzumaki clan's bravery. As long as they were capable of fighting, they had chosen to stay behind. It was only after repeated pleas from his fellow clansmen that the injured man had agreed to go to Hidden Leaf Village, so he could look after the others in the future. Once Yuta and his companions were aboard the ship, they slowly sailed away from the port. Just as Yuta was about to offer words of comfort to the Uzumaki clan members, several warships entered his sensory range. Turn back immediately. Quick! Return to the Land of Whirlpools. Enemies are approaching. Yuta shouted to the sailors. Captain, where are the enemies coming from? Asked a ninja. He wasn't from the Senju clan but one of the 5 individuals sent by the 3rd Hokage. 4 warships at sea. They are the warships of the Water Country. At that moment, someone on the ship also spotted the dark shapes appearing on the horizon. He raised his telescope for a closer look and immediately yelled the warning. The crew and ninjas on board swiftly maneuvered the ship to return to the Land of Whirlpools. Engaging in a naval battle with the Mist Ninjas out at sea was a reckless proposition they were not yet prepared for. The people on the shore also noticed the unfolding situation. The Uzumaki clan leader immediately began organizing everyone to prepare to meet the approaching threat. Chapter 35, The Situation Escalates and Chaotic Ninja World. What? The Mizukage and Hanzo went to the Land of Whirlpools. In the Hokage's office, Saratobe Hiruzen asked in surprise after hearing the report from his subordinate. Yes. According to our intelligence, our deployment to the Land of Whirlpools led the Mizukage to believe we intended to offer significant support. Consequently, he planned to take preemptive action before we could send substantial reinforcements. As for Hanzo's return, I apologize for my incompetence in ascertaining the reason thus far. Are the Mizukage and Hanzo insane? How foolish must they be to believe Hidden Leaf Village still possesses the strength to heavily support the Land of Whirlpools? We are merely there for an extraction, why must they react so drastically? Their actions risk plunging the entire ninja world into chaos. The Sandaime Hokage was nearly exasperated by the Mizukage and Hanzo's perceived stupidity. With their move, Hidden Sand Village no longer needed to fear an attack on their coastline by Hidden Mist Village. Would the Sand Ninja, now with their forces freed up, let the Land of Rain, devoid of Hanzo, go unpunished? Hurry and summon the advisory elders for an immediate meeting, and issue an emergency signal at once. War is coming. The Sandaime Hokage issued the urgent order. Sir, all the troops have been transferred. A Chunin appeared, knelt on one knee, and reported to Ebizo, who had spoken. Ebizo stood with his hands clasped behind his back and said slowly, instruct them to exercise caution and avoid alerting the spies of the Land of Rain. Once the troops are fully assembled, they are to immediately launch an attack on the Land of Rain. Yes. The Chunin responded and promptly left to relay the order. Ebizo sighed inwardly. To deceive Hanzo this time, he had mobilized a significant number of troops near the border of the Land of Fire. However, these troops would soon be replaced by civilians tasked with logistics, while the actual combat forces would change their equipment and quietly proceed to the Land of Rain border to regroup. When Ebizo had received news the previous day that Hanzo had suddenly departed the Land of Rain, he sensed an opportunity and immediately accelerated the troop assembly. Now, they were nearly ready. At that moment, another ninja flashed to the ground and stated, reporting, Lord Ebizo, the latest intelligence from the Land of Whirlpools. Ebizo raised his eyebrows slightly. After quickly reviewing the information handed over by the ninja, he exclaimed in surprise, Hanzo is actually allied with the Mizukage. Go and intercept the troops withdrawing from the coast. Once you locate them, inform them they are not to return to the village but are to proceed directly to the Land of Rain encampment to join the support forces. Yes. The ninja responded and swiftly disappeared. While the Sand Ninja were urgently mobilizing their forces, the Cloud Ninja were also far from idle. Hokage-sama, there are unusual movements in Hidden Cloud's village in the Land of Lightning. A large number of ninja troops are advancing towards the Land of Hot Water and will reach the border of our Land of Fire soon. In the Hokage's office, the Sandaime was seated at his desk, processing documents. A masked Anbu suddenly appeared in the room, kneeling on one knee and reporting to Sarutobi Hiruzen. The Anbu's report left the Sandaime Hokage in silence. He needed a moment to process the information and formulate a response. However, the Sandaime immediately grasped the intention of the Hidden Clouds village ninja. They had clearly surmised that the Mizukage and Hanzo's actions implied the Wind Country would engage the Rain Country in conflict. Fearing Hidden Leaf Village would divert troops from their border to support the Land of Whirlpools, they were sending forces to exert pressure on Hidden Leaf Village. None of the ninja from these major villages are easily dealt with. The Sandaime held his pipe to his mouth and pondered for a moment. He promptly convened a high-level meeting to discuss Hidden Clouds village no Sado's incursion into the Land of Hot Water. Onogi, too, was perplexed by the sudden escalation in the ninja world. He immediately assembled troops to deploy to the borders of the Land of Lightning and the Land of Rain for defensive purposes. Simultaneously, he dispatched forces to occupy the site of the former Hidden Grass village to prevent others from seizing the strategic location. Hanzo and the Sandaime Mizukage were oblivious to the far-reaching consequences their actions would unleash upon the ninja world. Here I come. The Uzumaki clan head lowered the telescope in his hand, his left hand clenching into a fist. With a grave expression, he announced, the Mizukage is here. He sighed inwardly. The war had finally begun, and their ally, Hidden Leaf Village, had only sent a dozen individuals. Though they were all elite ninja, their impact on the unfolding battle remained uncertain. Are they here? Yuta, hearing the Uzumaki clan leader's words, turned quickly and asked, are you ready? The Uzumaki clan leader nodded. Those unable to fight have been evacuated to the shelters. Only those capable remain here. I will deal with Hanzo later. Which of you can restrain the Mizukage? Yuta pondered for a moment before stating, only by holding back both the Mizukage and Hanzo do we stand a chance. The Great Elder and I will attempt to coordinate our efforts. We should be able to hold him for a time, but we are both aged and cannot sustain it indefinitely. The Uzumaki clan leader spoke with a hint of embarrassment. That will suffice. After I handle Hanzo, I will come to your aid. The ninja I brought to guard the shelters, along with 10 more individuals, will also join the battle. A terrifying glint shone in Yuta's narrowed eyes. He had not intended to reveal his full strength so early, but the current situation had spiraled beyond his initial calculations. Without exerting his utmost, they might all face dire consequences. Mizukage. Hanzo observed the Uzumaki clan ninja waiting on the shore. Should we commence the attack now? We should resolve this swiftly. I feel a persistent unease. Then proceed. I, too, am curious to witness the magnanimity of the Hidden Leaf Village Silver Fox. Upon hearing the Mizukage's words, Hanzo leaped onto the bow of the warship and rapidly formed hand seals. Water style, Great Waterfall Flow Jutsu. The calm sea surface suddenly turned violently, and a swirling vortex of water rapidly coalesced into a colossal wave, stretching for kilometers as it surged towards the coast of the Land of Whirlpools. Your power is truly astounding, Lord Hanzo. It is no wonder you are called a demigod. The sheer force of this water-style technique is unparalleled in my experience. The Sandaime Mizukage, witnessing the might of Hanzo's ninjutsu, offered lavish praise. Lord Mizukage, your compliments are too generous. I shall now engage the Silver Fox of Hidden Leaf Village. Please await my return, Lord Mizukage. Observing Hanzo's confidence, the Mizukage was unwilling to be outdone. He leaped off the warship and propelled himself across the water towards the Land of Whirlpools. What? What kind of monster is this? The people of the Uzumaki clan watched the overwhelming wave approach with expressions of utter despair. This battle was entirely unlike anything they had ever imagined. Their usual conflicts involved exchanging a few kunai throws. If those missed, they would engage in brief kunai clashes, culminating in a single ninjutsu to end the fight. No one present had ever witnessed a wave of such immense scale and power at the very onset of a battle. Except for one. Yuta clasped his hands together and declared, "Earth style, Udo Dojo." The land before them rapidly rose and solidified, transforming into a towering city wall 2 meters thick and extending for over 10 kilometers along the coastline. Boom. The violent collision of the colossal wave against the newly formed stone wall erupted in a massive spray of water mist, which, under the sun's rays, momentarily transformed into a breathtaking rainbow. Chapter 36, Fighting Hanzo. I'm saved. That's great. Even if I die, at least I'll take an enemy with me first. At least my death won't be in vain. As expected of the Hidden Leaf Village Silver Fox, one of the twin stars of Hidden Leaf Village. He is surely a monster, a true monster. Someone uttered the most unpleasant words with the utmost respect. Hearing this, Yuta couldn't help but twitch his lips. If you have nothing nice to say nothing at all. Yuta instantly leaped onto the wall, his gaze fixed on Hanzo, who was rapidly approaching. How are you holding up? Are you certain? The Uzumaki clan head and the Great Elder also appeared beside Yuta, their eyes focused on the Mizukage, who trailed slightly behind Hanzo. We'll do our best. Who would have thought we'd have to face an enemy like the Mizukage before we die? The Great Elder's aged voice held a resolute tone. Hearing the Great Elder words, Yuta turned and said, "That might disappoint you. You are not allowed to die. Just delay him for half an hour. Do not overexert yourselves." With that, he vanished over the wall. So fast. Sensing Yuta's speed, Hanzo's pupils contracted slightly. In less than 10 seconds, the other party came into view. He looked up and saw a figure standing on the sea before him, squinting and observing him. The figure held a tanto, and Hanzo could vaguely discern that the other person was not very old, yet his chakra was nearly as potent as his own. The Hidden Leaf Village Silver Fox? I admit I underestimated you. Salamander Hanzo regarded Yuta coldly. Even a fool could deduce that the massive earth-style ninjutsu from moments ago had been executed by the young man before him, confirming that the Hidden Leaf Village Silver Fox indeed lived up to his reputation. But in the next instant, Hanzo's expression abruptly shifted. He saw a streak of silver light approaching, like a cold flash cutting through the void. His vision simply couldn't keep pace with the other's speed. Swish. Yuta's figure blurred past, meeting Hanzo head-on and landing behind him. Too much unnecessary talk. Yuta maintained the posture of swinging his tanto, glancing sideways at Hanzo, who stood motionless. Hanzo also maintained his forward-rushing stance. What incredibly swift swordsmanship! Hanzo exclaimed in admiration. Ice style, Hyuso Tenjin. The Mizukage, following closely behind Hanzo, witnessed Yuta's apparent swift defeat of the salamander and launched a surprise attack. A frigid current swept across the sea. Crack. Crack. The once rippling blue surface rapidly transformed into a glacier stretching for kilometers. The Hidden Mist Village shinobi who had found stable footing leaped off their boats, bypassed the unfolding battle between Yuta and the Mizukage, and rushed towards the city wall on the shore. Splash. Hanzo's body was cleanly bisected, yet a flicker of unnaturalness remained in his eyes before his entire form dissolved into a stream of water, revealing it to be a water-style bunshin. And in the next moment, the glacier beneath Yuta's feet suddenly surged like a mire, morphing into a multitude of Kage-Fuin, Baku that adhered to Yuta's legs and wrapped around him. Explode. Hanzo reappeared beside the Mizukage not far away, forming a single hand seal. A cold glint flashed in his eyes. With a roar, Yuta, ensnared by the detonating seals, was instantly engulfed by the violent explosion. Is that all there is? Salamander Hanzo narrowed his eyes, observing the scene. His sensory perception detected no other chakra signatures of the same nature approaching, indicating that it was indeed the original body caught in the blast. Retreat. Before the smoke from the explosion had even begun to dissipate, the Sandame Mizukage suddenly yelled. Observing the Mizukage violently retreating using his ice style, Hanzo didn't hesitate. He flashed away, disappearing in an instant. Swish. Another silver flash cut through the air, and Yuta reappeared at the exact spot where Hanzo had just stood. It seems that as long as I remain on the ice, I cannot escape the Mizukage's sensory perception, Yuta thought to himself. He sheathed his tanto, clasped his hands together, and declared, Earth style, Keiru no Daiki. Crack. Crack. The coastline in front of the city wall began to fracture, then abruptly rose upwards, slamming down towards the glacier like a colossal fly swatter. The Hidden Mist Village shinobi who had been speeding across the ice were caught in the devastating earth manipulation, suffering countless casualties in an instant. This is the power of Hidden Leaf Village's Silver Fox. An Uzumaki clan ninja standing on the city wall, prepared to meet the enemy, gaped in disbelief at the scene. That's incredible. Yuta-sama did a magnificent job. Humphrey. Humphrey. Some Miramist ninja dared to set their sights on our land of whirlpools. Now they see just how formidable we are. A 10-year-old Uzumaki child proclaimed proudly, seemingly forgetting that Yuta was a ninja from Hidden Leaf Village. The other Uzumaki looked at the boastful child and fell silent. If it weren't for the dire circumstances, who would willingly send children to the battlefield? Now it's a more even playing field. Yuta narrowed his eyes, his gaze fixed on the Mizukage and Hanzo in the distance, as if he had accomplished something trivial. Observing the drastically altered terrain of the battlefield, the Mizukage's expression turned solemn for the first time. Swish. Swish. The Uzumaki clan head and the Great Elder appeared behind Yuta. Leave the Mizukage to the two of us, Hanzo will be Yuta-kun's opponent. As soon as the Uzumaki clan head finished speaking, he surged directly towards the Mizukage, 8 chakra chains erupting from his back and lashing out. Seeing this, the Great Elder sighed and said to Yuta, if the worst comes to pass, I entrust the remaining members of our clan to Yuta-kun's care. Witnessing the two elders resolutely charging towards the Mizukage, Yuta no longer intended to conceal his power. The Hanzo before him was not the same Hanzo who would later join forces with Danzō to confront Akatsuki 2 decades hence. His physique, taijutsu, kenjutsu, and ninjutsu were all at their zenith. Years later, he would defeat Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru, even condescendingly bestowing upon the defeated trio the title of Hidden Leaf Village's Sannin, arguably the greatest humiliation of their lives. Observing Yuta drawing his katana not far away, Hanzo's expression turned grave, and his hands swiftly began forming seals. Judging by the sequence, it was undoubtedly water-style, water dragon projectile jutsu. However, the seals were completed in an instant, yet the iconic dragon-shaped water column did not materialize beside Hanzo. Instead, the already fractured glacier emitted a series of creaking sounds and began to break apart continuously. Hanzo did not cease his seal formation, immediately transitioning into another sequence, this time, the same water-style, water dragon projectile jutsu. It wasn't that Hanzo was unwilling to employ lower-level ninjutsu or end the battle swiftly with a single water dragon bullet, rather, he sensed that Yuta's strength was likely on par with his own. Utilizing weaker techniques would only serve to deplete his chakra unnecessarily. Yuta was not so arrogant as to wait for Hanzo to fully activate his ninjutsu before attacking. He flashed forward, appearing a short distance from Hanzo in an instant, poised to strike the decisive blow. Hanzo appeared oblivious to Yuta's approach, his hands continuing their rapid sequence of seals. Suddenly, Hanzo paused, his expression turning more ferocious. The seawater instantly surged behind Hanzo, forming a massive horizontal vortex with the salamander as its center. The colossal waves effortlessly breached the weakened ice layer. Hanzo stood like a sea deity, the immense waves, wind, and rain at his command, rapidly coalescing into a gigantic water dragon. Then one split into two, two into three, and in a mere moment, the sky was filled with a multitude of roaring water dragons. Chapter 37, Hanzo, defeated. Observing the overwhelming water dragon surging towards him, Hanzo, defeated by Yuta, retreated swiftly, drawing his Kusagakure. After creating some distance, he yelled, Earth-style, Dorakuiki. A wall of earth erupted from the surface of the glacier, shielding Yuta behind it. Hanzo regarded the seemingly fragile earth barrier with a look of sarcasm. I had thought the Hidden Leaf Village Silver Fox was a truly formidable opponent, but it appears his reputation is inflated. I foolishly underestimated you. Very well, you shall perish here today. Boom. The densely packed water dragons crashed into the earth while protecting Yuta. The resulting water mist enveloped the entire battlefield, obscuring vision. When the mist finally dissipated, Hanzo was shocked to see the earth wall, battered but still standing. How could it be? I never anticipated such mastery of earth style from someone in Hidden Leaf Village. Gazing at the section of the wall whose color was distinctly different from ordinary earth style, Hanzo instantly understood. This was the hue produced by the extreme elemental transformation of earth style chakra. No wonder it could withstand such a powerful ninjutsu, he exclaimed inwardly with genuine surprise. Not good. Hanzo's instincts screamed. He swung the sickle behind him. Clang. Yuta used his Danzō's scabbard to steadily block Hanzo's sickle, then his form dissolved into a puff of smoke. Kage Bunshin. Not good. Summoning Jutsu. Hanzo immediately formed the necessary hand seals and summoned his personal summoning beast, Ibuse the Salamander. Witnessing Hanzo summon his powerful ally, Yuta, who was preparing another surprise attack, grew even more serious. This was a complete display of the ninja world's demigod, signaling that Hanzo intended to end the battle decisively. Yuta shared the same sentiment. The Uzumaki clan head and the Great Elder were elderly, and prolonged engagement carried significant risks. Although he couldn't reveal his magnet-style KK Genkai yet, a consequence of his past encounters with the daimyo's forces, Yuta in his standard state was still capable of a swift victory. Whoosh! Ibuse the salamander spewed a large volume of poisonous mist, instantly engulfing Yuta's position. Hanzo stood atop Ibuse, observing the area shrouded in the lethal fog downwind. Suddenly, an idea struck Hanzo, and he swung his sickle behind him. Clang! Yuta's tanto was intercepted by Hanzo's Gusa Origama. As expected of a demigod, truly impressive. Yuta praised. Hanzo scowled. You have a penchant for attacking from behind, child. Yuta smiled. The same could be said of your affinity for poison, wouldn't you agree? Clang, clang, clang. Yuta rapidly wielded his tanto, engaging Hanzo in close combat atop the massive salamander. You were just within that poisonous fog. It's impossible you didn't inhale any of it. You won't be able to endure for long, Hanzo stated while parrying Yuta's relentless attacks. Yuta sneered. Don't worry, I assure you I will sever your head before that poison takes hold. After over a decade of rigorous training and enhancements, Yuta's physical capabilities, strength, speed, and reaction time, far surpassed Hanzo's. Gradually, Hanzo began to falter, the hand gripping his sickle starting to tremble. What is wrong with this child? How can he possess such formidable physical prowess? Hanzo thought anxiously. His plan was to force Yuta off Ibuse first, then combine their efforts to defeat him. Yuta's taijutsu was too strong, and his swordsmanship was on par with his own. In a prolonged close-quarters battle, Hanzo knew he would be at a significant disadvantage. Before he could execute his next maneuver, he suddenly saw a dangerous smile spread across Yuta's face, and a shiver ran down his spine. Abruptly, Yuta locked his tando against Hanzo's sickle, raising the index and middle fingers of his free hand. Wind style, Shinkua. A focused blast of compressed air shot directly towards Hanzo's face. Close-range output of ninjutsu. Who had ever encountered someone like Yuta, capable of seamlessly executing ninjutsu in the midst of close combat? Hanzo was caught completely off guard and struck directly by the vacuum wave. Before he could recover, Yuta's speed increased dramatically, and he slashed his tanto towards Hanzo's neck. Forced to evade, Hanzo executed several backward leaps, disengaging from Yuta and jumping off Ibuse's back. Hanzo, his face grim, glared murderously at Yuta, who stood smiling atop the salamander. Little brat. It's far too early for you to celebrate. Suddenly, Ibuse began to dive rapidly beneath the fractured glacier. I've been prepared for this trick of yours. Yuta, having knowledge from the original timeline, was well aware that once Ibuse had only one enemy remaining on its back, it would attempt to submerge and force them off. But there is no time for games now, so please be quiet for a while. Yuta said to the descending salamander beneath him. Yuta brought his hands together, then opened his right palm. Fuin Jutsu, Shizo Fuin. The four-symbol seal was performed by Yuta himself. The curse marks instantly spread from the top of Ibuse's head, and following Yuta's guidance, rapidly covered the entirety of the salamander's body. Asshole, what did you do to Ibuse? Yuta's movements might have appeared deliberate, but he actually completed the seal on the salamander in a fraction of a second. Observing Ibuse, now lying limp on the ground, its entire body seemingly paralyzed by the curse marks, Hanzo instantly became agitated. This one was far too troublesome, best to silence him. Yuta offered a placid smile, though his thoughts raced, perhaps I should acquire my own summoning contract? Otherwise, facing such enormous opponents in the future, especially in 2-on-1 situations, will be excessively difficult. Witnessing Yuta's nonchalant demeanor, Hanzo concluded that his summoning beast had been neutralized and erupted in fury. Then you shall be buried alongside Ibuse. You little. Before he could finish his sentence, a powerful gust of wind struck his face, and a tanto descended from above his head. The immense pressure forced Hanzo to swallow the rest of his words. Clang. Crack. Two distinct sounds echoed almost simultaneously. Hanzo had managed to block Yuta's tanto with his Kusa Origama, but the opponent's overwhelming arm strength pressed down relentlessly, causing the glacier beneath his feet to crack audibly. I already informed you that you engage in excessive unnecessary chatter. Crack. A loud, muffled sound resonated, and ice fragments erupted from beneath Hanzo's feet. The sheer force exerted by Yuta forced Hanzo downwards, embedding half of his calf into the solid glacier. The impact made Hanzo believe his leg had been fractured. Buzz. A high-speed rotating chakra sphere suddenly materialized in Yuta's other hand, the wind-style chakra affixed to its side spinning rapidly, audibly cutting through the surrounding air. Hanzo was exerting all his strength to block the tanto above him, but before he could react, Yuta slammed the spinning chakra sphere into his abdomen. Struck head-on by Yuta's Rasengan, Hanzo could no longer maintain his footing. Boom. The tremendous power directly propelled Hanzo off the icy surface. He flew more than 10 meters through the air before crashing to the ground and tumbling several times. Observing Hanzo lying motionless in the icy depression, Yuta sensed his condition. Within his chakra network, Hanzo's abdominal meridians had been severed in multiple places. While they could potentially be healed later, the recovery process would be lengthy. Seeing that Hanzo had completely lost his ability to fight, Yuta swiftly approached him. Hanzo was still conscious, staring at Yuta with wide, unwilling eyes. "You little brat, you have won. Kill me now." He was filled with resentment. He loathed this child for his perceived lack of martial honor, for resorting to trickery, and attacking an elder like himself, who would suddenly employ ninjutsu to the face during a taijutsu engagement. This child had not only done it once but twice. Yuta ignored his bitter words, opening his right hand and pressing it directly onto Hanzo's abdomen. Fuin Jutsu, Gogyo Fuin. When Hanzo witnessed Yuta's actions, he understood the intention to capture him alive. However, he no longer possessed even the strength to commit suicide and succumb to unconsciousness, overwhelmed by rage. Ha! Finally dealt with one. Yuta looked at the unconscious Hanzo, then turned his attention towards the ongoing battle where the Uzumaki clan head was engaged. Chapter 38, World War II breaks out ahead of schedule. After Yuta dealt with Hanzo, he saw that the situation facing the Uzumaki clan head and the Great Elder was already precarious. They were covered in blood, desperately trying to withstand the Mizukage's assault. Overwhelmed, they could only focus on defense. "It appears my time has come." The Great Elder seemed to have accepted his fate, preparing to burn his life force to buy Yuta some precious moments. Hearing this, the Uzumaki clan head offered a carefree smile. "Excellent. I shall have company on my journey. I will not grant you the opportunity for any last-ditch efforts." The Mizukage, witnessing their resolve, maintained a cold demeanor and intensified his attacks. "What?" The Mizukage, about to unleash a ninjutsu, was interrupted by a violent sound. He glanced towards the source and witnessed the scene of Hanzo's defeat at Yuta's hands. "You pathetic excuse. You call yourself a demigod, yet you can't even handle a mere child." Despite his shock, he continued his assault, determined to eliminate the two elders before Yuta could intervene. The Uzumaki clan head and the Great Elder also saw Yuta's victory over Hanzo, and their spirits immediately lifted. They redoubled their efforts to resist the Mizukage's attacks, striving to buy Yuta time to provide support. However, their advanced age and weakened state meant they could not endure for long. After blocking a few more attacks, they could only watch helplessly as a water dragon bullet hurtled towards them. Earth-style, Earth Flow Wall. Just as despair began to consume the Uzumaki clan head and the Great Elder, a loud shout echoed from the side. "Phew. Fortunately, we arrived in time. Thank you both for your valiant efforts. I will handle the rest." Yuta finally arrived at the critical moment, briefly assessing the exhausted Uzumaki elders before turning and fixing a cold stare on the water-style user not far away. Boom. The water dragon bullet slammed directly into the earth wall, scattering water droplets that pattered onto the icy surface. The Mizukage was visibly displeased that his attack had failed. This had been the perfect opportunity to eliminate the Land of Whirlpool's strongest defenders, but Yuta's timely intervention had thwarted his plans. Gazing at Yuta standing protectively before the Uzumaki clan head, the Mizukage felt a surge of frustration. It seems Hidden Leaf Village is determined to aid the Land of Whirlpools. You must be aware that numerous ninja villages are acting in concert this time. Are you certain you, Hidden Leaf Village, wish to interfere? Knowing his individual strength might be inferior to Yuta's, the Mizukage resorted to threats. Yuta had no intention of engaging in a protracted battle to the death with the Mizukage at this juncture. He simply couldn't stand by and watch Hidden Leaf Village's allies be destroyed before his very eyes. Seeing that the Mizukage was not immediately pressing the attack, Yuta breathed a sigh of relief. Before he could speak, a mist village Anbu suddenly appeared beside the Mizukage. "Mizukage-sama, urgent news from the village. All major ninja villages are mobilizing their forces, and their intentions are unclear. Master Yuanshai has instructed you to return to the village as swiftly as possible to safeguard the Land of Water from potential attacks by other ninja villages." The Mizukage was no fool, he instantly grasped the implications of this intelligence. "It appears we underestimated the situation this time." He then glanced at Hanzo, who was captured in the distance, and decided to abandon the current operation. The immediate priority was the security of the Land of Water. "Hey! It seems something significant has transpired in the ninja world these past few days. All the major ninja villages have begun to gather their troops. Is the Second Great Ninja War about to commence?" The Mizukage was already anxious, But upon hearing the Mist Village Anbu's report, Yuta fixed a smiling gaze on the Mizukage and drew his katana from its sheath, as if inviting a continued confrontation. Seeing Yuta's readiness to resume their fight, the Mizukage could no longer mask his frustration. He immediately exclaimed loudly, "You insolent brat! Do not push your luck too far. I concede defeat this time, but if you continue to provoke me, I will simply forge an alliance with the Land of Earth upon my return, and then it will be Hidden Leaf Village that suffers the consequences." Hearing the Mizukage's threat, Yuta remained unfazed. "If I allow you to leave here unhindered, will the Cloud Village seize the opportunity to invade your Land of Water? After all, without you, the Land of Water is a more vulnerable target than Hidden Leaf Village. What exactly do you desire?" After hearing Yuta's pointed question, the Mizukage had to admit the validity of Yuta's concern. This was precisely what he feared, leading him to preemptively offer a form of surrender to Yuta. Yuta also recognized that this was not the opportune moment for a decisive confrontation with the Mizukage. Judging by the Mist Village Anbu's report, the ninja world was likely descending into chaos. However, he was unwilling to let the Mizukage depart without some concession. Finally, Yuta considered the situation and addressed the Mizukage. "I believe the warships you brought, Mizukage-sama, may be undermanned for the return journey. Perhaps you could leave a few behind for the younger generation?" The Mizukage glared at Yuta fiercely. "You speak so casually. These warships are the finest vessels of Hidden Mist Village, crucial for our naval dominance. If Hidden Leaf Village seizes them, you can study their designs. How will we contend with Hidden Leaf Village in future naval engagements?" Seeing the Mizukage's displeasure, Yuta tightened his grip on his katana, subtly conveying his readiness to detain the Mizukage should he refuse. Observing Yuta's unwavering stance, the Mizukage weighed his options. He concluded that returning to Hidden Mist Village was the paramount concern. Other matters could be negotiated later. "Child, you have prevailed. I will leave one of the 4 warships for you. The others will return with me." Hearing the Mizukage's grudging agreement, Yuta sheathed his katana and said with a seemingly embarrassed expression, "Thank you immensely for your generosity, Mizukage-sama. It just so happens our own vessel was sunk during the recent engagement." Looking at Yuta's smiling face, the Mizukage suppressed the urge to strike him. "Humphrey! Order the frontline assault forces to disengage and return to the Land of Water immediately." The Mizukage made no mention of Hanzo, understanding that Hidden Leaf Village would undoubtedly exploit his capture for their own purposes and would not release him easily. Watching his subordinates retreat, the Mizukage's expression grew more serious. He cast a glance at the cheering Uzumaki clan ninja on the city wall and let out a deep sigh. It seems the Land of Whirlpools is a tougher target than initially perceived. What? Hanzo was captured by the Hidden Leaf Village Silver Fox. Excellent. Order the troops to immediately launch an attack on the Land of Rain. Upon receiving the news from his subordinate, Ebizo promptly issued the attack order. The second great ninja war had erupted. Damn it. These sand ninja have actually attacked the Land of Rain. And that cursed Hanzo, so utterly useless as to be captured alive by a kid. Immediately order the troops stationed on the Land of Rain border to launch an assault on the northwest of the Land of Rain. Secure the territory and establish defenses on the spot. Do not allow Hidden Leaf Village to gain an advantage. Upon hearing the news, Onoki immediately gave the command. Damn it. The situation in the Land of Rain is completely spiraling out of control. What on earth is Saratobe Hiruzen thinking? Dispatch reinforcements here swiftly, we are severely undermanned. We cannot simply watch Hidden Sand Village no Sato completely occupy the Land of Rain, or Hidden Leaf Village's position will become far too precarious. Danzō, equally taken aback by the sudden outbreak of war, immediately sent a message requesting reinforcements from Hidden Leaf Village. Order the frontline troops to attack the Land of Hot Water. Dodai, what is the situation in the Land of Water? Has the Mizukage returned? The Raikage was decisive, immediately ordering his forces to begin seizing territory. Additionally, he sought information on the Land of Water's situation. If the Mizukage had not yet returned, he would not hesitate to seize a portion of their territory. Dodai looked at the eager Raikage and said with a hint of regret, the Mizukage returned to the Land of Water yesterday evening and is currently mobilizing troops. I fear he has already established defenses along the border. Is that so? It seems Hidden Mist Village no Sato's response is still quite swift. The Raikage was slightly disappointed. Chapter 39, Kushina's surprise. As the Second Great Ninja War began in earnest, Yuta was bidding farewell to the Uzumaki clan head and his remaining group. 3 days had passed since the Mizukage's attack, and everyone had been resting in the Land of Whirlpools during this time. Gazing at the massive warship docked at the pier, the Uzumaki clan head was filled with awe, quickly followed by deep despair. How could his small Land of Whirlpools withstand the Land of Water, which possessed such formidable naval power? Moreover, The land of whirlpools' next adversary would not only be the land of water. Other forces would not relinquish their pursuit of the Uzumaki clan's secrets regarding tailed beast control. This time, they had relied on Yuta's extraordinary strength to overcome the crisis, but what about the next time? The next conflict might very well be their final stand in their ancestral homeland. After all the Uzumaki clan members heading to Hidden Leaf Village boarded the warship, Yuta looked at the worried old man before him and offered his counsel once more. Uzumaki Dangcho, please do not reconsider. If you decide to relocate to Hidden Leaf Village as a collective, I will personally ensure your safe passage. The Uzumaki clan head offered a helpless smile and shook his head. Do not attempt to dissuade me further, Yuta-sama. I am prepared to sacrifice my life for my clan. My only hope is that you will care for the clan members who are journeying to Hidden Leaf Village. For that, I would be eternally grateful. My remaining time is short, and I shall not trouble my sister. Hearing this resolute declaration, Yuta ceased his attempts at persuasion. As the head of the Uzumaki clan, his relocation to Hidden Leaf Village, while undoubtedly welcomed by the Sandaime Hokage out of respect for Mundo, would inevitably create a complex dynamic. Without a leader, the Uzumaki clan would likely be absorbed and integrated into Hidden Leaf Village more readily, assimilating into the village more quickly. With him as their leader, the Uzumaki clan might maintain their distinct identity, as ingrained habits possess a powerful inertia. Watching the land of whirlpools recede into the distance, Yuta couldn't help but sigh. He felt their current strength was still insufficient. Had he possessed the power of Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha, he would have been actively shaping the world long ago, without the need for such cautious maneuvering. Child, what are your intentions regarding me? Hanzo, lying on the deck at this time, looked at the sky with a resigned expression. He had briefly contemplated suicide earlier, but after Yuta had informed him of the current precarious situation of Hidden Rain Village, he had abandoned the idea. The entire land of Rain depended solely on him. His death would spell its doom. How dare I presume to decide the fate of Hanzo-sama? These are matters that fall under the Hokage's jurisdiction. I have no authority to determine your disposition. With these words, Yuta turned his attention elsewhere. Hanzo was now merely a prisoner, and his future was a matter for Hidden Leaf Village's leadership to decide. What were our losses this time? Yuta asked a ninja from the Senju clan. Captain, in the engagement with the Mist Ninja, we suffered 2 fatalities, 1 serious injury, and the rest are unharmed, the ninja replied. Very well, that is an acceptable exchange. I will do my utmost to negotiate with the Hokage regarding the arrangements for the funerals of our fallen comrades. Have you completed the count of the Uzumaki clan members we are escorting? Yes. The tally is complete. We have extracted a total of 46 members of the Uzumaki clan, including 31 children under the age of 10, 14 women, and 1 adult man. Understood. Instruct everyone to remain vigilant and not to lower their guard until we reach Hidden Leaf Village. Yes. This outcome is significantly better than the original accounts, where only Kushina Uzumaki was rescued. At least now, there was a strong possibility that the Hokage's heir would not need to rely solely on the Uzumaki surname to ensure the continuation of the clan's bloodline. Yuta turned and entered the cabin, intending to check on the rescued Uzumaki. As soon as he stepped inside, he was stopped by a small girl. Hey, it's Kushina. What can I do for you? The one who stopped Yuta was Uzumaki Kushina, the granddaughter of the Uzumaki clan head and the mother of the future protagonist. At that time, she was still a 4-year-old child. Kushina looked up at the smiling man before her, and asked Yuta with a maturity beyond her years, we won't be able to go back, will we? We won't see Grandpa and Mom and Dad anymore, right? As she finished speaking, her voice grew hoarse, and tears welled up in her eyes. Looking at Kushina's tear-filled red eyes, Yuta slowly squatted down, met her gaze, and said gently, your grandfather and your parents have important responsibilities. You need to be a good girl from now on and not cause them any worry, okay? Will I be able to see them again in the future? Kushina asked, her voice filled with longing. Yuta didn't know how to answer her question truthfully. He couldn't bring himself to tell her to give up hope, to say that her family was already gone. Observing Yuta's silence, Kushina could no longer restrain the tears that had been brimming in her eyes, and they streamed down her face. Yet, with remarkable composure for her age, she didn't cry out loud. She wiped away her tears with her small hands and bowed to Yuta. She instinctively understood that the fate of herself and her remaining people rested in the hands of the man before her, and so she treated Yuta with profound respect. Looking at the sensible Kushina, Yuta sighed. Just as he stood up, a woman from the Uzumaki clan hurried over. Her eyes lit up when she saw Yuta. Uchiha-sama, Taku, the adult man from the Uzumaki clan, found an unusually large box while packing his belongings. He didn't dare to open it without permission and asked me to request that you come and take a look. Yuta immediately followed the woman, and Kushina trailed behind them, her curiosity piqued. "What is the matter? Didn't you notice it before boarding the ship?" Upon entering, Yuta saw that all the Uzumaki clan members had gathered. They were clustered around a large box in the center, pointing, whispering, and none claiming ownership. When Taku saw Yuta enter, he quickly stopped the hushed arguments among the clan members, stepped out of the small crowd, and explained to Yuta, "The luggage was brought aboard by individuals arranged by the clan head. We were unaware of the specifics. Who would have imagined there would be an extra box, and no one has claimed it until now? What could be inside?" Yuta approached the box and examined it closely, discerning no immediate danger from its exterior. "We do not know. We decided to wait for Yuta-sama to come and inspect it with us," Taku replied, shaking his head to indicate his ignorance of the box's contents. "Everyone, please step back a little. I will open it and take a look," Yuta instructed, asking them to create some distance to avoid potential harm from anything dangerous within the box. Just as Yuta was about to pry the box open with his tanto, Kushina, who had followed him, quickly stopped him. "Hey! Isn't that my box? This box was part of my mother's dowry. How did it end up here? Uncle, could you please let me try to open it?" Hearing Kushina's words, a collective sigh of relief rippled through the group. At least it didn't appear to be a trap set by their enemies. "Then please be careful," Yuta said gently. For this remarkably mature little girl, he didn't mind granting her small requests. "Thank you, Uncle," Kushina said, bowing to Yuta before walking to the box and fumbling with its latch for a moment. "Kaka!" The box sprang open. "It's Mom! It's Mom!" Kushina exclaimed in joyful surprise upon seeing the contents of the box. As everyone peered forward, they saw a woman lying peacefully within, her entire body seemingly encased in intricate seals. She appeared to be sleeping soundly. Chapter 40, Homeward Journey. In other words, your husband forcibly sealed you and sent you away. Is that what you are saying? Indeed. Blast him. How dare he do this to me? I will never forgive him. At this time, Kushina, who was nestled in her mother's lap, looked at her mother's sudden fiery demeanor. She tugged on her mother's trousers, tilted her small face upwards, and gazed at her with undisguised admiration. So, this is where Blood Red Habanero inherited her personality from. Perhaps a thought struck her. After her initial burst of anger, Kushina's mother suddenly calmed down, looked up at Yuta, and said, "Yuta-kun, I know this request is presumptuous, but please, I beg you, save Tenzin, Kushina's father." Tears began to stream down her face as she spoke. Kushina had initially been overjoyed to see her mother, but hearing her mother's plea, she thought of her father and began to cry as well. Observing the two weeping women, one adult and one child, Yuta felt helpless in the face of their request and could only sigh. "I am truly sorry." He then quietly withdrew, leaving Kushina and her mother to their reunion. Standing at the bow of the warship, Yuta gazed at the endless expanse of the sea, a multitude of emotions swirling within him. In this ninja world where human life holds so little value, only overwhelming strength can guarantee the safety and survival of oneself and one's loved ones. Without power, one becomes like the now destroyed land of whirlpools, regarded as easy prey by others, exploited and ravaged at will, utterly powerless to resist. After dealing with several minor ambushes along their route, Yuta and his group successfully entered the territory of the Land of Fire. Meanwhile, in the Hokage's office, a heated debate was raging among a large gathering of ninja. "We must not release Hanzo this time. Otherwise, he will pose a significant threat to Hidden Leaf Village. Yes. It is because of him that a small nation like the Land of Rain dares to challenge our Hidden Leaf Village. We cannot, under any circumstances, let him go." Bang, bang, bang. Silence. The Sandaime Hokage slammed his desk forcefully, his voice booming through the office, instantly silencing the contentious arguments. In truth, the Sandaime was currently facing a difficult dilemma regarding Hanzo's fate. Releasing him, as these individuals argued, would indeed leave the Land of Rain, under Hanzo's leadership, as a persistent threat to Hidden Leaf Village. However, refusing to release him would leave the current Land of Rain defenseless against the ongoing onslaught from Hidden Sand Village and Hidden Stones Village. Already, more than half of the Land of Rain's territory had been conquered by the Sand Village and the Rock Village. If Hanzo did not return, the Land of Rain would likely be annihilated within a month. Hidden Leaf Village would then be forced to confront the combined might of Hidden Sand Village and Hidden Stones Village simultaneously. Therefore, despite his reluctance, the Sandaime Hokage, after carefully considering the potential consequences, intended to demand a substantial ransom from the Land of Rain and then forge an alliance with them, leading to Hanzo's release. While such alliances were often as fragile as paper, easily disregarded when conflict arose, it would at least provide a semblance of justification for their actions. Thus, even before Hanzo arrived in Hidden Leaf Village, his fate was essentially decided. he would be returned to his homeland to continue serving as Hidden Leaf Village's buffer, hindering the advances of the Sand and Rock Ninja and preventing Hidden Leaf Village from facing multiple major enemies at once. After entering the Land of Fire, their journey became considerably more peaceful. Look! There are so many people there. The Land of Fire is truly the largest nation, its population dwarfs that of the Land of Whirlpools. Indeed. The environment in the Land of Fire is also remarkably pleasant. Look over there, aren't those enormous trees incredibly tall? Without the enemy's attacks, the members of the Uzumaki clan became much more cheerful and pointed out the surrounding scenery along the way. Why? We're almost to Hidden Leaf Village, what are your plans? Kushina's mother held her daughter tightly in her arms and stared ahead expressionlessly. What other plans can I have? As long as I can raise Kushina, that is enough. Observing the woman's cold demeanor, Yuta could only touch his nose awkwardly, offer a wry smile, and walk away. Troublesome kid. A mass of black substance slowly emerged from a tree on the roadside after Yuta and his group had passed, its gaze fixed on their retreating figures. Yuta turned around suddenly but found nothing. What was that feeling of being watched from behind just now? He muttered to himself. Yuta's sensory perception was highly refined, and the feeling he had just experienced was undoubtedly real. Someone was secretly observing them, yet ordinary individuals could not evade Yuta's senses. Thinking about this, the image of Zetsu appeared in his mind, no, specifically, Black Zetsu. However, Yuta displayed no outward signs of his suspicion. At this point in time, Black Zetsu should have already gained Madara Uchiha's trust. He must have come seeking a new vessel for Madara's Rinnegan. It was best to avoid any interaction with him now. Madara was an opponent Yuta was not yet equipped to handle. Was Nagato's mother also among them? Logically, shouldn't Black Zetsu be searching for a partner for Nagato's mother, who had fled to Hidden Rain Village? Why was he spying on them? In reality, Yuta was overthinking the situation. Black Zetsu had already located an Uzumaki clan woman who had fled to Hidden Rain Village. She would become Nagato's mother. However, upon learning that Hanzo had been captured alive, Black Zetsu had become immediately anxious. Without Hanzo, Hidden Rain Village would certainly be divided amongst the Land of Fire, the Land of Wind, and the Land of Earth. But Madara was currently concealed within Hidden Rain Village. Hidden Rain Village under Hanzo's rule was manageable. It lacked powerful sensory ninja or intricate ceiling barriers. If Hidden Rain Village were to be partitioned by these major powers, it would become significantly more challenging for him and Madara to remain hidden. Therefore, he had came to ascertain if Hanzo was deceased and, if not, to explore any possibility of rescuing him. Unexpectedly, his presence had almost been detected by Yuta as soon as he manifested, prompting him to abandon his rescue plan. He resolved to return and warn Madara to exercise caution around this particular child, as he sensed that Yuta was concealing the majority of his true power. Mother, please wait a little longer, just a little longer. Black Zetsu's form sank back into the earth, stealthily moving towards Madara Uchiha's hidden location. When Yuta and his companions arrived at the gates of Hidden Leaf Village, they saw a group of people welcoming them at the village entrance from afar. These individuals were not primarily there to greet Yuta and the Hidden Leaf Village ninja, but rather the rescued members of the Uzumaki clan, and, of course, Hanzo. Thank you for your hard work, Yuta. The Sandaime Hokage, still puffing on his pipe, addressed Yuta first. Haha, I am relieved that Sandaime-sama does not hold me accountable. Yuta had grown weary of the Sandaime Hokage's political maneuvering. Rather than wasting time on such matters, he would much prefer to return home and spend time with his wife and children. However, the third Hokage clearly intended to delay his departure, as the handover of Hanzo had yet to occur. Yuta understood the Sandaime Hokage's unspoken request and, not wanting to embarrass him publicly, directly instructed several Anbu members who had participated in the mission to bring Hanzo forward. As for the Uzumaki clan members, the third Hokage would likely defer to Mido's wishes regarding their resettlement. After all, she was still alive. As soon as the third Hokage saw Hanzo being presented, he enthusiastically extended his hand. Welcome, Hanzo Dano, to Hidden Leaf Village to discuss a potential alliance. Hanzo. Others involved in the mission? The Uzumaki clan. Only Yuta held a cynical view of the Sandaime Hokage's actions. What in the world are you talking about, an alliance? He was captured by me. If you want to see shamelessness, you only need to look at the Sandaime.